Welcome to the Full Story series, where we take a compilation of old videos that we did here on Comicstorian and bring them together for a giant movie. Today we're going to be covering the Gerry Duggan Deadpool run. This is my favorite Deadpool run of all. This is what is known as the Sad Clown run. You're going to see Deadpool go from being just an over-the-top, crazy, kooky guy to discovering he has a family, to discovering that he wants to do better by his family, and then discovering his marriage and a bunch of other things. I hope you guys enjoy this run, and if you do enjoy this and you want to show more support for Comicstorian and you want us to continue doing this, consider going over to our Patreon, patreon.com/Comicstorian, where you'll find a lot of early access to videos and 5 different podcasts. I think I've wasted enough of your time. Enjoy the Gerry Duggan run.
His career as a superhero started very painful for him. It started with him entering the Weapon X program after he was diagnosed with cancer. One of the doctors who ran Weapon X wanted to know, why did they kick out a man who had the cure for cancer? But the technicians explained the man was mentally unstable, and there's a chance that his healing factor didn't even kick in until after he was expelled. So the man who had his cancer cured was literally thrown out with the trash because he was mentally gone. And Department K, the Weapon X project owners, were on board with this. But the doctor, he brought up a good point. Does anybody seem to realize how much a cure for cancer is worth? And he states, he no longer works for Department K, and he kills the technician. But this doctor, whose name is Butler, has been knocking out Deadpool for the last 30-odd years, and he's been taking Deadpool's organs and blood for use in experiments. He hopes to try and cure every disease and problem known to mankind. Because, as we discover, he's trying to save somebody. Deadpool has recently had the spirit of a large black woman named Preston who works for S.H.I.E.L.D. placed in his head. She talks to him frequently and is always aware of what's going on. So that's how Wade found out that his organs were being removed by them knocking him unconscious, because she wasn't unconscious when he was. It doesn't take much for Wade to figure it out though. This is definitely a Weapon X project thing, so he better go find Wolverine. And of course he does. With Wolverine in bed. Wolverine has no idea what's going on with Deadpool, so Deadpool says goodbye to Wolverine and Storm, who's hiding underneath the covers. Wade then heads off to talk to Captain America for advice on what he should do, and he finds the Cap in the middle of a Hydra fight. Cap tells Wade that he's a good soldier, but a bit of a head case, and Cap says that everyone needs somebody to talk to. And good luck with your mission, Wade. Wade contemplates what he should do next. This isn't normal for him. Normally he's on some crazy adventures where he fights his own clones, he kills dinosaurs, or he's bothering the X-Men. But to go back to where all of this started, he's gonna need to be ready. And since the people who jump him for his organs know that he knows what they do now, they won't be coming for him so quietly next time. So he prepares a surprise, and he cuts open his own leg to slip something into it. He then heads to a slum of a room, and he gets ready to be captured. But somebody is already there waiting for him, and it's Wolverine! And he says, Deadpool, you're right. Somebody is here for you, and they're seconds away. Deadpool opens fire in the door, killing the first of his kidnappers. Preston tells him to get the mic off that guy's head, and he responds to her, that's a great idea, now I control the bastards! But she tells him to be quiet and listen to them. It gives them a tactical advantage. Wolverine gets his claws out. 4 guys just dropped onto the roof, and Deadpool begins to throw things into a microwave while Wolverine begins to cut up the thugs through the walls. Deadpool then opens fire on more of them while Wolverine cuts their ropes so that no one is climbing up the side of this building. And Deadpool declares on the headset that he stole, Butler, I'm gonna kill these men and I'm coming for you. And Preston says in his head, well, there goes our tactical advantage. He then sets off the microwave, destroying the entire building. And he screams up at the men, I won't go back. I won't be your guinea pig anymore. Wade then mows down the mercenary sent to get him. He's gonna win this. Or is he? He's actually been under sedation this whole time, and this is just a dream. We see Dr. Butler explaining to a colonel that they have been letting Deadpool roam free this whole time because it's far too dangerous to keep him here. Weapon X went crazy and killed everybody, so the only way that they can keep Deadpool is by keeping him sedated. But remember that thing in Wade's leg? He was expecting that this might happen, and it breaks open, waking him up with an adrenaline shot. He snaps the nearest scientist's neck and he tells Preston to shut up for a second, let him work. And once he slaughters everybody in the room, they look around to see what they're dealing with. he's been getting injected with a powerful mind-wiping drug, something that allows you to implant memories into somebody else's head. Wade moves forward, killing everyone in his path, but they did something to him, and he's not feeling too well at all. Preston suggests that they should go outside and call a shield airstrike, and Wade agrees. But once they step outside, they realize that they're off in some far-off corner of Korea. And just then, Dr. Butler walks out, and he wants to explain what they're doing to Wade. Dr. Butler explains that they haven't been experimenting on him, they've been harvesting his organs, and what they're doing is right down there in that camp. And when they get there, Wade sees what they've been doing. Korea has been paying for super soldiers, so Dr. Butler has been grafting on other mutants' powers using Wade's tissue to make it stick. Wade is happy that he saw this, because now he can kill Butler with no remorse. But Butler tells him, if you kill me, you'll never see your family again. Wade just laughs because his family abandoned him when he entered the Weapon X project. But Butler says, no, the family that you started when you had a child with Carm. Wade turns and says, what now? And Butler shoots him in the head. With this knowledge, Wade is defeated mentally, and he explains to Preston that the child's name is Eleanor, and he knew about her. Carm came looking for child support, and he just laughed it off. The baby was just too beautiful to be his. But just then, a Nightcrawler Korean experiment named Kim arrives, and he says that the other experiments and him, they're planning to escape tonight, but their families are being kept hostage elsewhere. They need Wade's help. He's the only person that Butler seems to be scared of. But Wade, he's mentally broken. Thankfully though, he has Preston inside of his head, and he allows her to control his body so that they can leave the area with Kim. As they go through it trying to find a way back outside, Wade comes across something interesting though. Butler was watching when Wade asked for help, and he asked Wolverine and Captain America. So guess who Butler has sedated and being kept hostage right here in this Korean base? Oh boy, are these two gonna be pissed. Wade, now back in control of his body since his friends are here, explains that the Weapon Plus project has been continuing right here in North Korea, and he needs the both of them to help him shut this down for good. With the rest of the experiments, they plan the ultimate prison break. Wade begins firing at everybody, and it's time for Deadpool to be back in action. The experiments are all getting wrecked, but Captain tells the guards, I urge you to surrender. You won't win this. The guards then get wrecked because they said, nah. And Captain lobs his shielded one while Wolverine leaps inside of another, letting Deadpool stick a grenade inside of the guy. The fight is epic, and once it's done, they win. And Deadpool slaps a Hello Kitty band-aid on Wolverine, and they get ready to end this with Butler. All of the experiments' families, Butler and his sister that he keeps reviving, and Deadpool's daughter, they're all being kept at Camp 23, so that's where everyone goes. Wolverine notices Wade's never been this quiet, and it's because he finally has something to lose that he didn't know he had. He's scared that he'll lose his daughter. The entire group goes to town killing everybody that stands between them and their families. And they do it. They kill all of the guards standing between them. Some of the families are freed, but there's a problem. The Korean army had enough time to Wade, he's excited. He's gonna finally see Carm again, and he's gonna meet his daughter. And he wants to know, will this sign help? But Wolverine can smell it in the air. He knows what happened, and he tries to tell Wade, to warn Wade. But Wade won't hear it. They're alive. He just found out about them. They can't be dead. He finally has something to fight for. Preston even begs him, don't go look. Don't be the one to go check. But there she is, on top of a pile of bodies. Carm has been killed, and Wade is distraught. Cap and Wolverine begin to wire the entire place to explode, and Wade just walks to Butler's little panic room. Butler states that he called the entire Korean army, and Wade might as well just give up now. There's so much good that they could do together if Wade would just join Butler and help his cause. He tells Wade to stop looking past him, stop looking at his sister, and where is that damn Korean army? Well, they're currently at the front gate, and standing at the front gate is Captain America, and they really don't want to fight him. Butler tells Wade that his experiment gave Wade's life meaning, but Wade argues that Butler had no right to put him in a tube, no right to experiment on all these poor civilians, and no right to experiment on his own sister. And he tells Butler's sister, death before experimentation. She opens the door, letting Wade in. He walks in, snaps Butler's arm, and then he chokes him to death. No one gets to experiment on human beings. Wade thanks Butler's sister, and he helps her back to her bed. She just wants to rest now, without somebody trying to revive her. Wolverine walks in and says that there's plenty of explosives here to make this place blow sky high. And Wade waves goodbye to Butler's sister. This is what she wants. Wolverine, Captain America, and Deadpool all get out of there, and they say their goodbyes. Wade ends up in Tokyo, contemplating what he had, and what he didn't even know he had. His daughter could be alive. He never found her body. And he says, leave him out of it. He'll just leave Preston to find his daughter if she's even alive, if it's even possible. But this isn't where our story ends. Very soon, the Watcher's secrets will be revealed to the world, and Preston will find out that Deadpool's daughter is alive and well. But we'll cover that soon, because for now, Wade needs to cope.
Recently, somebody killed the Watcher, and thousands upon thousands of secrets spilled back into the world. Deadpool is a man of many secrets, but today we'll be looking at only one of his many. It was recently discovered that Deadpool had had a wife and a child, and that both had died as leverage against him. But a large black woman named Preston that was living in his head thought that maybe his daughter could still be alive. So she decided to continue searching until she could at least find a body to give Deadpool some closure. Well, after getting out of his head, she's been having some success, and on a visit to the S.H.I.E.L.D. helicarrier so that he can get some help fighting some vampires for his wife, which was Dracula's former bride, Preston shows Deadpool an official birth certificate and his daughter's name, Eleanor. Well, before they could get any more information out of the birth certificate, the Avengers cornered the orb while he was holding the Watcher's eye, and Preston, as a S.H.I.E.L.D. agent, was called to the site with her partner. On the way to the site of the Watcher's supposed killer, Deadpool hitched a ride so that he could get off at the Baxter Building and use the time-traveling portal so that he could travel back to the 1970s and, with Dazzler's help, fight vampires before they could launch attack against his wife, all while dancing to disco. But we're not going into that today. Today we're going to explain what Preston and her partner saw when the Watcher's eye exploded and Deadpool's secret was revealed: the location of Eleanor. As it turns out, Butler, the man who was experimenting on Deadpool, actually kept the child alive, and he left it with his own brother, Joshua. Well, since she knows that this is Butler's brother, she just looked him up and paid him a visit to see if any of this was accurate. And what she finds is a nice house, a lovely yard, and a young girl named Eleanor, who wants to be called Ellie. Preston steps inside to speak with her foster father, Joshua, and explain the situation. Butler's now dead, and the child that he's been raising wasn't Butler's. Ellie is technically a missing person, and Preston would like to bring her in. Well, Joshua isn't happy with the idea of the girl that he raised being taken away by S.H.I.E.L.D., and he politely asks Preston to leave the building so that he can do the only thing an elderly man raising a child can do: try to run, since he can't take on S.H.I.E.L.D. But as they're packing, he runs into another problem, because Preston isn't the only person who has officially tracked down Deadpool's daughter. Deadpool's enemies did also. They tie up both Joshua and Ellie, and they take aim at Joshua's head. He's just an elderly man. What did his brother get him into? But our story can't end here with an old man dying and his daughter being kidnapped. Shouldn't this be the part where Deadpool shows up and cracks wise? Oh, right, he's coming back from the 1970s to bring Dazzler back to the present day to help him nuke the vampires who don't sparkle. And for some reason, he came back to the modern day with an afro. But don't you worry, dear listeners. Preston will just punch her way through the wall. You see, when she had her soul pulled out of Deadpool and put back into a body, her body was already decomposed. So they just put her into a robotic body. And they try to shoot her face off, so she punches them in the head, knocking their face clean off. Oh, too bad they're not robots also, because they kinda died when that happened. She then flips a tub onto the kidnappers and opens fire Terminator style. While Preston was against killing people while inside Deadpool's head, no one tries to kidnap a child. Everyone has their line, and they've just crossed Preston's. But while Preston was fighting, Joshua and Ellie made a break for it, and now Preston doesn't know where they are, and there's still more soldiers chasing them. She sends out a distress text message to Deadpool. "I found Ellie. They're going to kidnap her. Help." Deadpool looks around. Oh my god, no!
They're gonna kill Ellie, and he's halfway across the states right now. He needs to cross the country in a hurry, so he goes to the Baxter building hoping to get help. But the Baxter building is all closed up. And Doctor Strange isn't in his sanctum, and Tony Stark is missing. How is he gonna get across the country? He jumps onto the front lawn of the Avengers Tower looking for Cap, but Cap isn't here either. Not again. He's gonna lose her again. Why can't he just get some help getting across the country? But there's one Avenger here, Thor, and he refuses to help Deadpool because the last time Deadpool visited, he broke their toilet. But Deadpool, please, please, Thor, don't let a little girl pay the ultimate price for his mistakes. Please help him. Thor still isn't happy with Deadpool, but he won't sacrifice a child for his own vendetta. He tells Deadpool he'll fly him there. Hold on to the hammer, and boom, Deadpool rides Mjolnir to Chicago. He won't lose her again. He will save her. Following the trail that Joshua and Ellie left, Deadpool ends up on the train tracks with the kidnappers, but they see Deadpool before he sees them, and he's a little preoccupied looking for his daughter. So they open fire and unload everything into him. It's gonna take him some time to regrow everything, so the kidnappers pick up the Deadpool mush and they carry him away. Well, the kidnappers also have some police officers on payroll, so they quickly locate Joshua and Ellie. The toll of everything that's going on is too much for Joshua though, and he begins to have a heart attack. All hope looks lost. S.H.I.E.L.D. doesn't know where they are. Deadpool's a pile of mush, and Joshua's about to check out. Except, Deadpool kind of regenerated, and he took the outfit of one of the kidnappers, so he's kind of there. And he kills the kidnappers, and then he pulls his mask off. Ellie, my name is Deadpool, and I'm your fastest ticket out of here. He kneels down to Joshua, and he tells him that help is on the way. But Joshua grabs Deadpool's hand. My brother wanted me to keep her protected from you. But once I realized that he was more of a monster than you, I decided to protect her from the world. Promise me you'll protect her. And Deadpool says, on my life, I'll protect her. Deadpool then takes her hand to run the heck out of there because there's a lot more henchmen shooting at them. And they make their way to an office building where Deadpool tells Ellie to hide, and no peeking, so he can do what he does best, which is slicing, dicing, and shooting up the henchmen left and right. But eventually, they overwhelm him again, and they shoot him in the spine, paralyzing him. He can't stop them as they pull Ellie out, and they call up their boss. And who's the villain that's trying to get his revenge against Deadpool? Who's the villain that started all of this? The Flag Smasher steps out of the elevator, laughs at Deadpool, and he throws Ellie out of the window. Wait, all of this is from a D-list Captain America villain? He just lost his daughter to a D-list villain? Deadpool uses all of his strength to heal faster, and he gets up and he tears all of the henchmen limb from limb. And at the end of it all, he walks over to Flag Smasher, who is bleeding and injured, prepared to kill this man and make him pay the ultimate price that he made his daughter pay. When Evan shows up, otherwise known as Kid Apocalypse. Deadpool sent out a distress call to one of his friends, and he came and caught Ellie just in time. Deadpool thanks Evan so much, and then he walks over to Flag Smasher, with Flag Smasher begging that Deadpool just kill him, don't torture him. But Deadpool says he's gonna try something new. He needs to stop all of this killing for his daughter's sake. He'll just take Flag Smasher's finger for evidence, and if Flag Smasher ever shows up again, Deadpool will kill him. S.H.I.E.L.D. then shows up, and Deadpool asks them to take Ellie into protective custody. He wants to be a part of her life, but he can't just take this girl home with him. Not with his life. So S.H.I.E.L.D. does just that. Deadpool has his daughter back. Agent Preston is watching over her right now while they sort out where she should go. And Deadpool is getting to know his daughter.
And our story begins with Deadpool laying on a park bench with a gunshot wound in his head, singing to himself, but as he lays there, a shadowy figure appears and reaches down towards him. Deadpool asks if he's here for his family jewels, and he throws the man over himself and he notices the man's fangs. Vampire! Deadpool says that at least he's not sparkling, and he's wearing a shirt, and soon after the man begins to get away. Deadpool chases them down and he kicks the man in the back, and the two of them begin to roll past a Queen's Guard. Really, bro? You got nothing? Sorry, mate, off in 5. Piss off! As they continue to roll away from the guard, the vampire bites Deadpool's arm, and then he spits it back out, telling him that you taste awful. There are worse tasting parts of me. As a bus passes, the vampire disappears, and Deadpool asks if British vampires can turn invisible. Then Deadpool tells him nice try, he must think I'm an idiot, and he swings at the air, and the vampire gets away on the top of the bus. The vampire returns back to a house, and as he walks in, he says that the message was sent, and he was not followed. Then Deadpool jumps on his back and tells him, yes you were, and he stabs him in the back with an umbrella. Once Deadpool's done, the figure that the man was talking to asks him, what is the meaning of this? And Deadpool tells him that I will be asking the questions, who are you? And the figure tells him, Dracula. Dracula tells him that he was sent a message, and when Deadpool checks his pockets, he says, you want to hire me? Dracula tells him, I did, until you killed Raoul. But maybe I'll just snap your neck and drink your blood instead. Dracula tells Deadpool that he understands that he has a special talent, and Deadpool asks him if he's been talking to Squirrel Girl, because she said she wouldn't be gossiping. Silence! Dracula begins to tell Deadpool to look into his eyes. And he wants Deadpool to pull out his gun and shoot himself in the head. Okie dokie. Usually people hire me to kill other people instead of killing myself. Dracula notices that he hasn't pulled the trigger though, as the gun is now at Deadpool's head, and he asks him why not. Deadpool tells him that your vampire whammy doesn't affect me. I'm impervious to mind control, even from myself. Dracula then takes Deadpool and pours him a glass of wine. This is wine, right? It is the finest wine. And I'm going to inform you why I've called you here. I am to be married, and I will unite the monster world, but some people do not want this marriage to happen, so I need you to go and bring my wife here safely. Deadpool sniffs the wine. This is blood. Oh, I see, the finest wine is blood. So where is she? Or the lucky gentleman? Dracula tells him that she is in the Arabian Peninsula, awaiting to take his hand in marriage. So, Deadpool sets off on his journey, riding a llama and eating a burrito until he reaches the ruins of where she is. Dracula continues to tell him that there are members of her tribe, even some of his own vampire line, that do not want the factions to have a peace, which is why he's sending Deadpool. But as Deadpool begins to go deeper into the chambers, he finds some dead bodies and some assassins already surrounding the coffin. They tell Deadpool to leave, but he begins to shoot at them all. That was so easy, I'll throw in me shooting myself for free. But shortly after, the assassins reappear and they begin to attack, and every time Deadpool attacks, they just disappear. Then Deadpool tells him, okay, the trick is to stab where they will be, and he begins swinging his swords around randomly, and as they appear, blood begins to fly everywhere. Deadpool notices that one of the assassins appears again and tells him to get away from that horrible spider thing, but then he sees that it's a bomb. Let's see how much time Oh. That's when he notices the 1 second timer, and the explosion goes off! Deadpool grabs the coffin and he begins to try and escape. Seeing as he can't get out, Deadpool sees the water down below and he hopes that the coffin can float, and he throws it down there. Soon after, he's thrown into the lake. When he starts to pull the coffin ashore and sit by the coffin, he states how it's so nice to carry a corpse that he didn't make, and then the coffin cracks open. Later, Deadpool heads to the zoo, and then he tries to steal a zebra to help him carry the coffin, and he begins to ride through town. One of the townspeople sees the coffin and asks if it's what he thinks it is. Deadpool says yes. But if we pretend it's empty, would that be okay with you? Townsman says yes. And Deadpool says good, because the fiancé of Dracula is totally not inside. With that, everyone starts to run inside their houses, slamming and locking their doors. Deadpool says, man, the streets are deader than Gwen Stacy. As Deadpool continues, a Minotaur statue comes to life asking what is the meaning of this obscenity? This obscenity is a zebra, and it's a beautiful creature. After suggesting that the Minotaur pull his cart, the Minotaur begins to attack him. Deadpool starts swinging his sword at the Minotaur's head, only hitting its horns, and shortly after, the Minotaur begins to charge and impale Deadpool, running him through a building. As Deadpool lays there, he tells him that he would love to stay, being as he's never been killed by a Minotaur before, but he has a zebra to catch, and he jumps off a cliff. Deadpool then takes a scooter from a couple riding by, asking if this was the Uber that he ordered, and he takes off. As the man begins to get back up, the Minotaur comes looming over the couple. Deadpool begins to chase after the runaway zebra, and just behind him is the Minotaur on a scooter. Deadpool catches up and he jumps onto the wagon, and he begins to taunt the Minotaur with a red sheet. As the Minotaur speeds up and crashes through the wagon, it begins to fly into the river down below. And then, in a purple mist, it begins to swirl, and a voice begins to ask Deadpool if he's the one that she is to thank for freeing her. She tells him that she is Shikla, the queen of the undead. And who are you? Pool. Deadpool. Shikla tells him that it is time for him to claim his reward. One kiss. And as they begin to kiss, Deadpool falls dead. As she steps away, she tells her flying creature, of course, she kills the first man that she meets in a millennia. But Deadpool appears behind her with his gun to her head. And he tells her to keep her lips to herself, or she's gonna make him do something that he's going to regret. And that's his job. The two of them begin to walk down the street. Deadpool asks how long she's been in the coffin, and Shikla tells him about her past. A long time ago, Sheikla's family used to rule the night, but as time passed, vampires began to challenge them, and after an attack on their bannermen, a war began. After her brothers were killed, her father hid her in the coffin to wait until the war was over, or until she was wed. As they continue to travel, Deadpool sees a train and decides that they're gonna hitch a ride. But as they board the train, Deadpool is met by Blade, telling him that he's in over his head. Blade tells him to let him do what he needs to do, and Deadpool tells him that that's not going to happen, so the two of them begin to fight. Blade knocks Deadpool into a box filled with Beanie Babies, and Deadpool yells back at him, "I hit Grandma Gold, I tell ya!" Blade then grabs Deadpool, and Sheikla fires a blast, knocking Blade down. Sheikla then starts to grow her horns. Deadpool states that he didn't see her monster side before, and Blade tells him, "That's not her monster side." Sheikla begins to transform into a massive purple beast, and Deadpool tells Blade, "Help! Kill him with fire!" Back over in the monster metropolis, Dracula returns home to find that he has some unwanted guests in his home. He begins to storm in, and that's when he sees Sheikla's brothers. Amjad tells Dracula that their death was a ruse to preserve their bloodline, but as Dracula's soon-to-be brother-in-law, they're now at his service. And they ask where Sheikla is, and Dracula tells him that he's not sure, but he's about to go find out. That's when he turns to his assistant, asking how they're alive, because if they are, Sheikla's not the monarch, and he goes on to state that he's now in the mood for blood. Back on the train, Sheikla begins to attack Blade, and Deadpool tells her that she doesn't know what vampires are like in this era. They're topless and they sparkle. Blade has suffered enough. Sheikla then reverts back to her lesser monster form, and Blade begins to attack again, and he ends up tackling himself and Deadpool out of the train. Once they're outside, the two of them begin to use their swords, and they climb onto the top of the train. And once they're on top, they continue fighting, but both are forced to lay down as they pass into a tunnel. Once out of the tunnel, Blade jumps up, knocking Deadpool off the roof of the train car. Deadpool then states that he was hoping he didn't have to do this, but feel his fist of explosive rage, and he throws a Hulk fist at Blade. Blade looks at it as it bounces off, and then it explodes. Afterwards, Deadpool thinks that he's won, but that's when Blade appears, slicing into Deadpool's head. And just as he's about to finish off Deadpool, Blade is told to stop by Sheikla, who then uses her powers to seduce Blade. Deadpool gets back up and he tells Blade to go to the next car, while Sheikla questions how Deadpool is even walking. Deadpool then kicks the lock for the train, leaving Blade behind. And as Deadpool wrings the blood out of his mask and begins to heal up, Sheikla tells him that he's strange and handsome. "I suppose you went almost totally blind in that coffin of yours," Deadpool tells her. Sheikla even tells him that her pet bug even likes him. But Deadpool tells her to hang on. He's got to call in a ride. "Siri, call the idiot." And after a moment, he calls his friend Hydra Bob and he tells him, "You got nothing better to do. Come help pick me up." As they're waiting for Bob to come and get them, Deadpool and Sheikla begin to go sightseeing in Europe until he arrives. And Sheikla asks what is that strange device that Deadpool used. So he tells her that everyone has one. It's called a phone. People use it to exchange wanted and unwanted pictures of their genitalia with each other. As the day continues, Deadpool states how he's actually having fun and he hasn't even killed anyone. And Sheikla tells him that she's kind of enjoying herself, so she needs to visit again after she marries Dracula. Deadpool tells her that it would probably be a bad idea to bring Dracula back to Europe, and she tells him that maybe Deadpool would like to go down with her. She knows of some fun in the dark. What? Oh yeah, the catacombs. Wow, you like dead stuff as much as me. If you like Mexican as much as I am, I'm in trouble. But Sheikla tells him that she's feasted on Incas and didn't care for it. Sheikla then tells Deadpool about how her people are basically immortal, and he tells her he's kinda like that too. Sheikla then says that news should not make her sad, but it does because they are so well matched. And Deadpool notices something and asks if she feels it too, and she tells him that she does, but sadly, she's betrothed to another. And Deadpool tells her, "Not that, the cold spot." When Deadpool turns around, a ghost appears, and then more start to show up. The ghosts begin to attack Sheikla, and the two of them try to fight them off, but their abilities and weapons are useless against spirits. A wraith then takes control of Deadpool and focuses back on Sheikla, and Sheikla grabs Deadpool and kisses him, draining the spirit out of him. Deadpool asks what happened, but when he gets up, he asks Sheikla, "What are we doing down here?" And she tells him that she doesn't understand, but he tells her that they just need to keep this as a business trip. He doesn't need to get too attached to her. And she goes on to state that he might be the one not being honest with his emotions. But Deadpool states that he's nothing but bad news. Besides, she's already got someone waiting for her. Once they step outside of the catacombs, they are then surrounded by Hydra soldiers. And Deadpool says, "Don't worry, one of these guys is my friend." But later, inside a cell inside of a submarine, Sheikla says this seems like a lousy getaway. And Deadpool tells her, "Yeah, Bob must be busy." Sheikla then begins to think that maybe Deadpool's friend isn't as loyal as he thought. But while they talk, Bug begins to chew through the cell doors and the two of them escape again. As they turn a corner though, Deadpool sees Bob and he runs up to him. And the guard says, "Bob? You must mean the other Bob." "Wait a minute." And then Deadpool snaps his neck. Behind them, the real Bob appears and asks what is Deadpool doing with Bob from accounting. "Well, I thought it was you." "Wait, you thought he was me, so you killed him?" But before they can continue their conversation, the sub is then pulled out of the waters by AIM, because everyone is now AIM's prisoner. AIM guard comes in and tells all of them to drop their weapons. But Shikla says she'll handle this. She begins to try and seduce the guard, but he says, "Nah, sister, your feminine wiles are not gonna work on AIM Bob." And then Bug, Shikla's little pet, rides a little cleaning robot across the floor. Shikla then kicks AIM Bob in the face and kisses him. Deadpool tells her that she could have totally done that without kissing him, and Shikla just says, "You're jealous, Deadpool." Deadpool says, "Nah, but you could have not done that," and Shikla tells him that she will go and liberate them, so she'll be right back. She begins to run through the sub, killing all of the guards, and Deadpool and Bob wander off to get their gear. As Deadpool and Bob walk through the destruction left by Shikla, Deadpool begins to explain the story thus far to Bob until they finally meet back up with Shikla. Bob asks if she's supposed to look like the end of Raiders of the Lost Ark, and Deadpool tells him, "Yep, evidently it's her lunchtime." Shikla says how she can feel her full power returning, and then suddenly she is frozen by MODOK. Deadpool says, "Let her go, Ultimate Stephen Hawking," and begins to open fire on MODOK. But before long, Deadpool runs out of ammo, stating that he knows when he's beat. MODOK tells him, "Good, I will be going now." And he starts to leave on his tractor beam, going back to his ship with Shikla. Deadpool states that this must be a pretty powerful tractor beam, and MODOK tells him, "Yes, I made it myself." Deadpool then tells him, "Don't forget your pineapple then," and he tosses a grenade that bounces off MODOK up into his ship and it explodes, releasing the beam. As everyone begins to fall, since there's no tractor beam holding them, MODOK begins to ask him, "How will you survive? MODOK can fly." "Funny you should ask," Deadpool tells him. Down on the ground, the bodies begin to fall, but as the shadow of MODOK begins to fall, Deadpool is riding on the chair with Shikla in his lap and Bob hanging from the back of it. "Oh my god, I just realized something amazing. This chair also has a toilet!" And elsewhere, some of Dracula's people begin to release a werewolf using a magic collar so that they can control it. The woman says that Deadpool is late delivering the bride, so his contract is now terminated. And with that, his life. Deadpool continues to fly everyone across the fields, and Bob begins to lose his grip because he's been hanging onto the back of the thing for so long. Deadpool tells him that he's gonna be fine, but Bob ends up letting go and he ends up falling and breaking his legs. Shikla asks if they should go help Bob, and Bob asks her, "Please don't have her suck out my soul." So Deadpool tells him that she won't, and he'll help him instead. So begin counting backwards. Then Deadpool smacks Bob with a blackjack. Deadpool then takes Bob to the vet and he tells him that his dog ate something and turned into a man with broken legs. And while Deadpool begins to fill out the forms, he also asks, how much would it cost to get Mr. Fluffles fixed? After dropping Bob off to get his legs fixed and get fixed, Deadpool and Shikla continue on their journey. But when Shikla notices Bug isn't with them, Deadpool begins to ask what smells like wet dog. And then the werewolf appears behind them, attacking. The werewolf continues to attack Deadpool, and Shikla tells him that the werewolf is enthralled. "Oh, gross! Does it mean it's in heat?" Shikla runs over to a nearby building to find Silver, but she suddenly stopped when Deadpool is thrown past her. Shikla tells Deadpool to hold off the werewolf while she transforms into her war form, and Deadpool tells her that she's pretty bossy for not even being his girlfriend. But as Shikla runs into the next room, the werewolf appears covered in Deadpool's blood. But before it can attack, Deadpool comes charging back in a suit of armor and he starts fighting the werewolf again. Deadpool jumps into the air, calling upon the power of George R.R. Martin. Shikla tries to tell Deadpool that the collar is what's controlling the werewolf, but she realizes that it's pointless and decides she'll go get it herself. When the werewolf begins to come to, Shikla asks whose bidding he's doing, and he says that he's doing Dracula's because of that collar. They seemed upset that Deadpool wasn't back, and also her brothers are alive. Shikla says, "Oh, that's wonderful. But why would that upset Dracula?" Well, if you've been following this story, you know that Dracula's plan is to marry Shikla to get control of the undead armies. But with her brothers there, she isn't the actual heir to the undead armies. So he's already got a new plan. And his plan is to kill her brothers. Luckily, she was watching thanks to Bug. And Bug begins to head back to report his findings. He then pops out of a mirror in a cruise ship in the room that Deadpool and Shikla are sharing. Deadpool says that they were just resting their eyes and wrestling. And Shikla asks Bug if he saw Dracula or her brothers. She then kisses Bug's head and she sees what Dracula did. He killed her brothers. Deadpool tells her not to worry though. He'll hide her somewhere. And that's when Shikla tells him, no, they need to go to Dracula. Deadpool then turns to the couple whose room they took and tells them that they're gonna be their roommates for a little bit longer. As the ship docks and Deadpool and Shikla leave, they are soon being followed by someone. Deadpool and Shikla begin to walk through New York when Shikla asks who are all these people in fur suits, and Deadpool tells her, those are just hobos! But as one gets close, Deadpool realizes that they're not hobos, they're vampires! Deadpool begins to knock off parts of their suits so that the sun will kill them, and soon Shikla and Deadpool have to run to a church. The vampires begin to back away as they are now entering holy ground, but that bothers Deadpool. The priest behind them asks if there's anything that he can do, and Deadpool says, actually, I have an idea. And he begins wiping his sword with holy water. He then tells Shikla that they're gonna go blow some minds. Outside, the Frightful Four, which are actually Frankenstein's monster, the Mummy, Zax, the Brood Mercenary, and Marcus, the Centaur Warrior, wait as Deadpool jumps out from the glass above them. Marcus then asks, why didn't he just use the door? And then the door explodes, because the door was covered in C4. Duh! After the explosion, Deadpool begins to fight off the Frightful Four, and Shikla begins to sneak down below to where Dracula is. The Mummy begins to summon the power of fire and blast Deadpool into a hot dog stand, but seeing as he's a mummy, Deadpool takes the gas from the stand and he shoots the fire back at the Mummy. But as the fight goes on, the day turns to night, and Marcus asks if Deadpool can hang on. He needs to make sure that his blood sugar is in proper balance. Deadpool asks if it's diabetes, and he allows Marcus to take a shot. He doesn't want to kill someone if he's feeling all woozy. After Marcus's injection, they continue their fight, and Marcus tells him that he's afraid diabetes will take his hooves one day. So Deadpool tells him, hey, I can help you with that, and he cuts his legs off. As Marcus falls onto some fresh concrete, Deadpool proceeds to roll over him with a steamroller. Marcus begins calling out for help, and the Brood Mercenary begins to fire on Deadpool from above. Deadpool begins to fire back, and the burning Mummy grabs on and says, if I'm gonna burn, so will you, Deadpool! But Deadpool kicks him off, and he grabs the Brood Mercenary as he flies around. Hey, I'm not grabbing you by your junk, am I? Deadpool asks, as he slams the Brood Mercenary into an oncoming fire truck. But before Deadpool can even finish another witty comment, Frankenstein's monster falls on top of him, slamming him into the ground. And then the monster pulls Deadpool back up, and Deadpool asks, what's that rumbling? Suddenly from the sewers down below, all of Dracula's minions begin to fly out, and out of the subways, Shikla returns with all of her minions, and the two factions begin to go to war. As Deadpool looks around, he says the first person to make a monster mash joke is gonna get a stake in the heart. Deadpool then tries to call the crisis line while fighting Frankenstein's monster, and after being punched in the face, he tells the operator that he now has a broken nose. How dare you! This is not a prank call! Thankfully, I called in my other friends too, so go turn on the TV and come at me with that smart mouth. The monster punches Deadpool back into the air while he's trying to have his phone call, and then Deadpool gets bit by a dragon and starts fighting people up above. Things begin to look real bad, but that's when Blade appears to help with the fight, and soon after that, the Thunderbolts. Everyone begins fighting, and Frankenstein's monster returns and grabs Deadpool by the neck. He starts to pull off Deadpool's mask, and when he does, he tells him that his face is gross. And Deadpool says, I see the pot calling the kettle black, and he kicks Frankenstein in the face. Then down below, Shikla continues to make her way to Dracula, killing his two guards, and she enters Dracula's chambers. After taking the guards' heads with her, she tells Dracula that she's brought more heads for his collection. Dracula tells her, but what a better gift with your brother's dead, you get to become monarch. Shikla says that she knows that he just wanted to marry her for that power. So instead, she married Deadpool. Dracula tells her to forget about the kingdom. He has a reputation to maintain. He won't be cockled by an escaped mental patient. Back up above, the fight with Frankenstein continues as they fight on the back of a dragon. As the dragon flies around, Deadpool grabs a pot of hot dog water and he throws it at Frankenstein. And then he kicks Frankenstein into a pit of tigers. Deadpool jumps down in front and he yells, onward, Falcor! Take me to the monster metropolis! In Dracula's chamber, Shikla and Dracula begin to transform into their fighting forms, but Dracula manages to force Shikla out of hers. He then tells her that he has someone that he wants her to meet, Medusa, at least her head, and then he begins to turn Shikla to stone. Topside, Deadpool begins to take the fight down into the monster metropolis, killing Dracula's minions until he finally gets into Dracula's chamber. Once he gets inside, Deadpool sees Shikla and he tells Dracula that he could walk away from this. Just release Shikla and he won't drive a stake through his heart. Dracula tells him to come and die, and Deadpool charges at Dracula, but Dracula is too fast and he appears to bite down on Deadpool, but when he does, he steps back, spitting up Deadpool's blood. Oh, that's awful! Your blood is disgusting! It's vile! Dracula tells Deadpool that it doesn't matter. He'll just pull him apart, and he rips off his hand. As Deadpool lays on the ground, Dracula turns his attention to Shikla and tells Deadpool that soon his arm will have company. But before he can even swing, Deadpool grabs Dracula by the cape and he pulls him down. Dracula hisses at him, asking, how dare you lay a hand on me? If you're grumpy now, good thing you don't know what I did with that other hand. Deadpool then grabs his katana and he begins to fight with Dracula. The two start deflecting each other's swings until Dracula stabs Deadpool through the stomach and he slashes across his neck. Dracula then tosses Deadpool aside and he turns his focus back to Shikla. But before he can do anything, Deadpool appears telling him, I'll give you a hand. And then he stabs Dracula with the bones from his severed hand into Dracula's heart. Dracula swings his sword and he questions why he isn't regenerating, and Deadpool tells him, it probably has something to do with my hand. The things that it's done are not pretty. Dracula then uses the last of his strength to try and escape, and Deadpool goes over to Medusa. He tells her, look, I'll give you a new body if you change Shikla back, because if not, he'll just whisper, whisper, whisper. Enough! I'll do whatever you ask, Medusa says. Medusa reverts Shikla, and then Deadpool takes her head outside and starts turning all of Dracula's minions into stone. Deadpool then tells her, only Dracula's minions though. Medusa tells him she's decapitated, not stupid. "You're the worst head ever," Deadpool tells her. Everyone finishes up the rest of Dracula's forces, and they start to say their goodbyes. Deadpool finally gets the girl. I'm sure I'm gonna pay for that later, but for now, let's all enjoy the story of how I beat up Dracula and stole his lady. Things begin in a diner with an officer reading the paper, and the paper explains that Carnage has gotten free again, and he's on a murderous spree right now. He's fed up. Why can't they just kill this monster? Well, the man next to him turns to him and says, "Is that so?" And then he spears the officer through the head. "Who ordered bacon?" Carnage asks as he stands up from the counter, and then he leaps into the air and cuts the limbs off of everyone in the room. Meanwhile, Deadpool is sitting on his couch in New York City munching on some cereal when he overhears the news explaining the murderous rampage that Carnage is on. As he flips through the channels, he pieces together a message that he believes the world is trying to tell him. The killer is not acting randomly, as he believes. Ride the wave of insanity, and you can be the first to find him, boy. So Deadpool gets on his knees and he asks, "Am I the only one crazy enough to find Carnage?" And a game show goes on the television. So Deadpool walks out singing to himself, "Yoo-hoo! Carnage, your soulmate Deadpool is hunting you!" Deadpool isn't wrong though. Both men are totally crazy and he follows the breadcrumbs that he feels the galaxy has laid out for him. He and Carnage are on the same wavelength, so he can find him. So just as Cletus was breathing in the freedom that he's given to himself, Deadpool launches a missile right at his farm, blowing up the whole place. Deadpool then walks up on Carnage as he's recovering, wondering who found him. The two men go at it with Deadpool pulling out his guns, Carnage blocking the bullets, and both men swinging their blades around. Eventually, Carnage jumps on him and pins him, and he asks, "Who the hell do you think you are?" And Deadpool just looks at him. "I'm Deadpool, the merc with the purty mouth." And with that, he shoves a grenade in Carnage's mouth. With Carnage officially defeated and on the ground, Deadpool takes his sword to Carnage's throat, and he says, "See, pal, you may be a homicidal maniac, but when it comes to crazy, you're simply outclassed." And then he gets blasted in the face so hard that it peels back the skin off of his face and blows his mask away. Shriek, Carnage's lover, has arrived. So Carnage gets up and he spears Deadpool. "How did you find me?" So Deadpool explains that there are these crazy wavelengths, and he's able to track the wavelengths of Carnage. This just pisses off Carnage. "Everything I do is random. Every action I do is an offering to the Almighty." "Dollar?" Deadpool jumps in. "Chaos!" Carnage yells out. So he begins to run Deadpool through in hopes of ending his life right here and now. And Deadpool struggles to ask, "Do you like music?" And he blares speakers that are on his belt right at Carnage, knocking the symbiote off of Cletus. Cletus falls to the ground yelling, "What is this?" "Oh, this is dubstep," Deadpool tells him. "Your brother, daddy, or whatever Venom is, hates this stuff." Shriek interrupts again though, and Deadpool has to just chuck a whole bunch of grenades on the ground. And just as Deadpool is about to do his victory dance, Carnage rips his stomach out, and Shriek flies the two of them away. Once Deadpool comes to, he realizes that he's gonna need a new uniform and some new gear. So he goes to a local storage locker that he was keeping his gear in, and the lady there tells him that he didn't pay his rent, so it was all sold off to the locals. So he goes to the local who bought his storage locker, and it's there that Deadpool meets his largest fan. After a little bit of gearing up, Deadpool meets back up with Carnage on the highway while he gets ready to crush him with some farm equipment. He begins to chew up Shriek in Carnage's car until he forces Shriek to bang her head, knocking her unconscious. This, of course, pisses Cletus off, so he suits up as Carnage and he jumps back in to fight. "Let's do this, Carnage versus Deadpool round 2. And Deadpool stops him. "Don't you mean Deadpool versus Carnage?" They begin their battle once again, and this time on the highway with Deadpool cracking jokes like normal. And Carnage just asks, "Don't you ever shut up?" But Deadpool defends his jokey manner by telling Carnage one of us has to keep the conversation going. Their fight continues with Deadpool slicing at Carnage and Carnage pushing around Deadpool's insides until Deadpool is hit by a truck and smeared across the highway. Once he wakes up, he's clueless as to where Carnage went as he puts his stomach back together and picks at his own brain. But the universe fills him in once again. The fight isn't over. "Find him, stop him," is all Deadpool can hear from the passerbys. And then he sees a nameplate that says Mercury and Team. What's Mercury Team, he thinks to himself. So Deadpool follows the trail of blood and death until he gets to the Mercury Team, which is a government-run team that uses the other symbiotes that they've captured over the years. Carnage has gone to the Mercury Team to kill the host of the symbiotes and leave the symbiotes themselves to die there. So Deadpool creeps into the base, but realizes that he's too late because the entire Mercury team has already been killed, and the vats have already been broken into. Suddenly, before he can even attack, Carnage cuts off both his arms, and his legs, and his head. "Try healing back from that as I burn this place to the ground," he yells out as he leaves the room with Shriek. Is this the end of the Merc with the mouth? Well, it may have been if Carnage didn't leave the 4 symbiotes there that hate him, because they bond with Deadpool becoming his new arms and his new legs. Deadpool gets up with symbiotes all over him now, and he thinks, "Oh boy, and here I thought I had split personalities before." And he yells out as he gets ready to battle Carnage one final time. This time, Deadpool starts things off by taking a sniper shot at Carnage's head from a distance using the enhanced sight of phage, while Carnage is trying to get answers as to who this higher power of chaos is that's controlling him. Then Deadpool sends in the symbiote dog, Lasher, which just confuses Carnage even more. And on top of that, Deadpool uses the super speed of the symbiote Riot to tear through Carnage's body. While doing all of this, Deadpool makes Shriek think that she just blasted Carnage in the stomach, messing with her head, forcing her to flee from the scene as she thinks that she just killed Carnage. With Carnage weak and confused and Shriek gone, Deadpool lights up Carnage, throwing his tasers into Carnage's stomach, and then he runs him through the stomach. But Carnage gets an upper hand as he fights back like a cornered dog, and he knocks Deadpool out temporarily. Carnage runs off looking for Shriek so that they can get out of there, but Deadpool has one last trick up his sleeve. He covers Shriek with his symbiotes and makes her look like Deadpool, so Carnage falls for the trap, and he kills her. He screams out that he should have listened, he should have left, no one can control Carnage! Well, Deadpool fled the scene because Carnage turned himself in. He decided that he would just sit right there in jail in one spot and do nothing until he is free of whoever is controlling him. And once he finally breaks free of whoever is controlling him, he'll get his revenge. Once Deadpool walks away from the whole scene, he passes the combined symbiote of Hybrid onto the Team Mercury dog. And he walks away, because who needs a symbiote when you're Deadpool? Our tale begins with Deadpool flying home from Egypt where he just fought and let Omega Red go. But as he ponders what he should do next, he has a pseudo-nightmare. Ultimatum is coming to kill his friends and family. Meanwhile, at the home of Preston, Ultimatum's soldiers are forming up outside of the building. As the men walk forward with their guns raised, the ground begins to burn green and skeletons begin to rise out of the ground. Benjamin Franklin chuckles to Michael. "You thought I was crazy for planting an army of skeletons." "Hey man, when you're right, he replies to him as he shouts, "Lightning bolt!" Preston takes her own family and Ellie, Deadpool's daughter, and she begins to go into the safe house, which is located in the basement, as Benjamin Franklin possesses members of Ultimatum and kills them off one at a time. The new Flag Smasher, who took over when the previous Flag Smasher refused to get revenge on Deadpool, sees that the family got away and he tells his men to just burn the house down. Preston then gets everyone out the secret exit and into S.H.I.E.L.D.'s custody, and then she calls up Deadpool. "Wade, you need to come in. By now, S.H.I.E.L.D. knows what happened, and they're going to formulate a response. We can't go off half-cocked. We need a plan." But Deadpool just puts his head into his hands. "I have one. I'll fix this. Stay with the family. You'll know when this is done. Goodbye, Preston." And Deadpool hangs up as Preston tries to tell him to wait. He spends the next few days setting everything up. He kidnaps a tech guy to rig up a bunch of stuff for him, and he buys a farm with nobody around it. And he carves the coordinates into the chests of the Ultimatum members so that the new Flag Smasher knows where to go. It doesn't take long for Flag Smasher to mobilize the entire Ultimatum army. Deadpool killed off so many of their group that they just need their revenge, and it'll take every single one of them to get it. They fly in on choppers and they roll up on Deadpool in tanks, and they march in the rest of their army. But all they find is Deadpool sitting on the hood of his car, playing with a tablet. Without even looking up, he says to them, "I tried to end this situation without more violence. That was my fatal mistake." Flag Smasher stops Deadpool right there. "We're not here for a history lesson or an apology. We're here to kill you. So the least you can do is look up from your game." And Deadpool just keeps looking at it. "I don't play games." Just then, a series of unmanned drones fly in, bombing the entire farm and killing massive amounts of Ultimatum members. Deadpool then presses a button in a briefcase. "Thanks for the EMP, Tony," he says, and whoop, every aircraft in the area hits the ground, killing off more members of Ultimatum. Deadpool simply thinks to himself, "I can't undo the mistake of killing everyone in the first helicarrier, but I can fix the mistake of letting everyone else in their little club live." He then redirects the unmanned drones straight into the ground, killing more and more of the group. At this point, Deadpool just does what he does best, and in his own words, he's just murder drunk. "Everything here needs to die. You guys are lucky," he tells them as he makes their deaths short. "Can you imagine what I would have done if you had actually killed my family? Thanks to you guys, I found where I belong. Not with the people I love, but here in hell, protecting them." And after Deadpool kills everyone in the field, he finds himself in front of a beaten and battered flag smasher. Somehow, he lived through this. "Wait, please. I thought we were just gonna kill some clownish merc. I had to kill you." "Well, you succeeded," Deadpool tells him as he puts a hole right through his face. Then, as a part of his own grand finale, he cleans up any survivors, any wounded, and anyone who's trying to save their own hide. No one walks away from this fight, not even Deadpool. And with a 3-gun salute, Deadpool dies so that Wade Wilson can live. About a week passes and Deadpool is on a boat with his family. Everyone's here, Preston with her family, Benjamin Franklin's ghost, the evil wizard Michael, and of course, his daughter Ellie. He thanks everyone for their help in putting up with him, and they all reply with, "How could they not? They're his friends." Wade closes his eyes and he thinks to himself, "I can feel it, love, and it feels warm." And then he opens his eyes, too warm. Above him is another planet, about to smash into this one. "Oh man, I thought the incursion stuff was just a bunch of Avengers nonsense. Are you telling me that none of them figured this out?" And as the two worlds collide, Wade holds his daughter close to his chest. "I accept this ending. I'm safe in love. I can live with this finale. And the entire world is destroyed." And that is where Deadpool died. No, seriously, he really did, but so did the entirety of the Marvel Universe. But since you're about halfway through our video, you know that there's more to this story. You see, what had actually happened is Secret Wars had started and multiple universes were colliding together. That universe that Deadpool died to, that was the Ultimate Universe colliding with the Marvel Universe. Secret Wars goes into this part of the story, but Deadpool himself really doesn't matter to that story. So what we're going to do is bring you two things that are in continuity, and you'll understand more as the videos go on. But they don't really have a good place in this series, so I figured they would be good for bridging the two halves of the Deadpool story. So, you're going to get Deadpool 2099, and then you're going to get Deadpool, where did the voices in his head come from? And then you're going to notice the story of Deadpool continues. He's been brought back to life on this new version of Earth 616, and they don't even reference that he died. But the story of Deadpool, his family, and his friends will continue on after these two stories. I hope you enjoy. In the alleyways of New York, a man gets ready to rob a woman when a voice in the shadows tells him that she has a question for him. The man shouts that he doesn't know nothing about nothing, and he begins to run. But before he can get very far, the masked woman strikes the man in the back, and she asks him, "Where is Deadpool?" The man looks back at her, telling her, "You don't find Deadpool. She finds you. And when she does, she straight up deads you." Meanwhile, in another part of the city, Deadpool is being chased by the police while riding on her giant dragon. As the cops get closer, they begin to fire on the dragon, and the dragon tells Deadpool, "If this is my end, please don't res me 101101. Deadpool quickly jumps onto a building and the cops yell that it's the end of the line. There's nowhere else to run. Deadpool tells them that she really doesn't like fighting cops, so she'll let the Bobs do it for her. As the police turn the corner, Deadpool's makeshift Bob-themed gang jumps out and fights off the cops, allowing Deadpool to run away. A short while later, at Deadpool's apartment, she flies into where the other Deadpool, Wade Wilson, sits chained up watching the news. Wade asks, "What the hell are you doing here?" And Deadpool says that is no way to talk to his daughter. Wade sits up for a moment and says, "I have no daughter." Deadpool looks back, and as her mask retracts, she says, "Yeah, and she has no father." Wade says, Shikla never wanted me to be a father. And then Deadpool grabs him, shouting, Warda! Her name is Warda! Shikla was her mother. All of this could end if he just tells her what she wants to know. And Wade says, that's the thing. I can't tell you something I don't even know. Maybe Preston knows. She was a spy and all. The last thing I can remember about Shikla is when you were little. She went crazy and unleashed her monsters in New York. Wade tells Warda that she really shouldn't be using the Deadpool name. It's cursed. And Warda puts her mask back on and says, no one is coming for you. No one even knows that you're alive, so sit there and watch C-SPAN on repeat. And as she leaves, Wade shouts, damn you! Damn you to hell! Later that night, the Bobs head out after a drug deal when the masked woman from before says, psst. When the larger Bob looks over, the masked woman kicks him in the face and she begins to beat up the rest of the group. Through her swing, she says that they should already know what she wants. And one of the Bobs says, Deadpool has a subterranean lair known as Metropolis. And they shout that they won't tell Deadpool that she was here. The masked woman knocks the last Bob out, telling him, actually, she wants Deadpool to know that she is coming. Later, down in Metropolis, Warda makes her way to find out that her monster guards have been turned to stone. One of the monsters says that if she would bring a mage, then they could, but Warda stomps on the stoned monster, telling him there's no need. She has no use for failures. As Warda looks through Wade's things, she asks herself, who would want any of Wade's old crap? There's nothing missing except that. Back outside, the masked woman rides off to where Wade is being held as she plants an explosive. She knocks on the window and Wade looks up and sees her counting down on her fingers. He shouts, oh no, no, go away! Don't use any finger countdowns here! Suddenly, an explosion of colors goes off as it rips through the walls, and Wade says, man, explosions have gotten really groovy since the last time I've blown up anything. But as Wade hangs onto his chains, he asks how he's going to watch TV now. Oh wait, he can just kill someone who has a TV and take it from them! The masked woman holds out her hand, telling Wade that if he wants to live again, come with her. As the two escape, the dragon watching the camera goes off and alerts Warda that there has been a breach. Warda shouts, oh, that was a distraction. All of the Bobs converge on the safe house. Shikla's depending on us. Back with Wade, the Bobs start to fire at them, and Wade says, you know, I never realized how much a person can miss being shot at. One of the Bobs speeds down on his bike and he shouts that that is a totally rad bomb inbound. Wade says, look at this idiot. Let me borrow a gun for a second. The masked woman hits the brakes, letting the Bob pass, and then tosses a ground bomb. As the explosion goes off catching Bob, he rockets back towards the ground. Wade then says that he appreciates the save, but really she can just drop him off anywhere and run. Just then, Warda rides in on the dragon, and the dragon starts to breathe fire, burning Wade. He shouts, you're not taking me back! While on fire. The masked woman hits autopilot on the bike and tells Wade to bring up the hologram so it can get him up to speed. She's gonna find them once she's done here. She then jumps back off towards Warda, and Wade looks at the projection asking, who? Oh, it's you! An image of Preston appears and she asks Wade, why does he look like a California Raisins turd? And Wade says, well, I got old, unlike some hollow people. Back with the masked woman, she jumps onto Warda's dragon and the two of them begin to have an all-out brawl. Through the punches and the kicks, the masked woman tells Warda, you're a snake like your mother. And Warda shouts back, who are you? And as the fight continues to go on, Warda pushes the woman off asking, where is Shikla? The masked woman fires a hook and the two swing into a building. And the masked woman says, even if she knew where that monster was, she would never tell Warda. Warda kicks the masked woman, saying that there's no point in keeping her alive. Who would be dumb enough to put on Wade's pacifist uniform? The masked woman kicks back at Warda, ripping her mask off, and Warda stares, telling her, no, you're supposed to be dead. And that's when Wade's daughter Ellie says that she has some bad news. Not only is she not dead, but she's taken back the family name. Meanwhile, over in the alleyway, Wade and Preston arrive at their destination, and Preston asks, where is this place? Wade holds out his hand, unlocking a switch, saying that it's a speakeasy underneath the Schaefer Theater, the place where the Unity Squad bunked. He then opens up a box and takes out a knife and begins to shave, and he says that he knows that he promised to never ask, and she promised to never tell. But what happened to Ellie? Preston looks away and says that she's not sure. She's been gone longer than him, remember? Besides, they need to worry about Warda right now. Back at the fight, Ellie continues to beat into Warda, and after being knocked away, Warda radios over to the Bobs that she's going to need them to get the plan she reserved ready. Warda then continues to lead Ellie through the streets, but when Ellie catches up, Warda mentions that the Madison Square Garden is packed tonight. Right now, once the concert is over, if people don't hear back from her, they're going to open up a glass casket that was left over from Shikla's war, and they're going to release an elder beast. Ellie steps back, telling her, you're insane, and Warda says maybe they both are. Just look at how they dress. Ellie asks, why is there so much hate for Wade? And Warda removes her mask, telling her, look at her face, look at her inheritance. Ellie sees the marks from Shikla and the damage done by Wade. Warda then says that it looks like she's working for her now, so go get Wade and make him cough up Shikla. As Ellie turns, she says that she never killed anyone before, but tonight that might change. And a short while later, with some actual clothes, Ellie's bike brings Wade and Preston to a building with a bouncer standing outside of it. Wade jumps off shouting to the bouncer, asking, "Why did you bring me here?" And the bouncer says, "Don't point that finger, you don't even!" But before he can finish, Wade pulls out a blackjack, hitting the bouncer, telling him, "It's true, hurting people is like riding a bike." From the shadows, Ellie steps out, stating that he didn't bring them here. She did. The three hug, and Wade says that he remembers her dying, and Ellie tells him that that's an inherited paternal trait in the Wilson family. As he looks at his daughter, he asks her where she got all of those scars. And Ellie says that Warda got all of the healing, but their reunion will have to wait. Warda's got her gang in the arena threatening to kill a lot of innocent people if they don't produce Shikla. And Wade shouts, "Out of the question!" But as he thinks on it, he says, "Okay, fine, damn it, go here and dig up the casket." Wade scribbles in her dress onto a piece of paper, and Ellie asks, why does she have to dig it up? And Wade hands the paper over to her, telling her that she gets to dig it up. He's got a much harder job, but he thinks he knows where he can get some help. As Ellie runs off, Preston asks if he really plans on handing over Shikla, and Wade says he's not sure. They can burn that bridge when they get to it. Right now, they have to go see someone. A short while later, over at Little Italy, Wade walks up on a group of men, telling them that he needs to see their master. The men look at Wade and they say that they don't have a master, so Wade says, "Fine, you wouldn't mind me looking around then, would ya?" The men appear behind Wade and they snap his neck and they begin to drag him off. And Preston says that there have been so many times that she wanted to do that. Once Wade regains his consciousness, he's brought in front of a shadowy man. And the man tells Wade that he's got a lot of nerve coming here. Wade says that he's got nowhere else to turn, and Preston looks at the man and shouts, "You!" And the old man steps out, and Danny Rand says, "It's okay. Now give the immortal Iron Fist a hug." After explaining the situation to Danny, Ellie radios in that she dug up the grave, and she says that she's not quite sure who Doc Samson is, but it turns out he's a real dead guy. Wade starts to think and asks, "Is there any other bodies there?" And Ellie says no, she's coming back. The Robo Gravekeep shouts, "Damn kids, now I have to bury Handsome Boy here." As the group moves out to Madison Square Garden for the big meeting, Danny tells Wade that they still have some unfinished business. Something that shouldn't be passed on to the next generation, Wade. Wade tells him that he has no clue what he's talking about. Memory isn't so great, and Danny pulls out a small case and Wade looks at it and he says, "We'll sort this out when the girls are gone." Up at the top of Madison Square Garden, Warda watches as the concert ends, and before she can tell the Bobs to go ahead, Wade shouts in the crowd. Warda jumps to the building onto Wade, asking where is her queen, and Wade says, "Well, you might have to be a little bit more specific. I've hung out with a ton of queens." Wade then goes on stating that Shikla is something from the past, even when he met, and Warda punches Wade, telling him, "Wrong answer, now where is she?" As Warda kicks Wade in the face, she asks, "How much of this do you really think you can take?" And Wade spits a tooth out, telling her, "Kid, you gotta kick off your leg before you get that answer." Warda starts to kick Wade again, telling him to fight, and Wade tells her that he's got plenty of regrets, but kicking the crap out of his kid ain't gonna be one of them. Warda then grabs a girl from the crowd, telling him, "Fine, she'll hurt someone else until she gets what she wants." Just then, Danny Rand and the Iron Fists jump out, and Wade says, "What took you so long?" And Preston says that they wanted to watch the negotiation, and once that got screwed, they wanted to see him get his butt kicked for a little while. While Warda fights back, she calls out to her dragon, and seconds later, the dragon swoops in, breathing fire on the Iron Fists. Before any damage can be done, though, Ellie flies down, striking the dragon, and the dragon shouts, "Oh, thank the Maker! If you ever cared for a dragon, don't harass me!" Warda runs over to the glass casket, but before she can open it, Ellie jumps in, kicking her away. As Warda struggles with Ellie, she turns back and fires a gun into the glass casket. The shattering stops everyone. The Elder Beast gnarls, and Warda looks at how tiny it is. And she asks, "What the?" Wade looks at it and says that he needed someone else to beat it last time. What was it? What did we do to stop this thing? While Wade is muttering to himself, trying to figure it all out, everyone is looking down at the creature, and then up even higher. The Elder Beast growls, and it grabs onto people, and Wade in the background just says, "Oh, that's right, I needed the help of Lang and some Pym particles. Is there an Ant-Man in 2099? Surely there's one by now, right?" Danny runs up to the Elder Beast shouting, "I know what must be done," and then he gets picked up and eaten. Wade starts rubbing his face, and he takes a gun from one of the Bobs, shouting, "Just give me the pew stick!" As Wade fires, he hears Warda and Ellie still fighting, and he tells Danny, "Wait a minute!" He then shouts to the girls, "Stop fighting! I just want to do what's best for you, but I know where Shikla is, so just stop fighting." Ellie looks at Warda and asks for a truce, and Warda tells her, "Nah," and stabs her in the chest with a knife. Wade runs up, but Warda kicks him back, and Ellie says that it's going to take a lot more than that. So Warda jumps on Ellie's back and says, "Fine, shame you didn't get the healing factor from our father. Let's see how our family deals with liquid napalm." She stabs into Ellie's neck, and as Ellie falls to her knees, she bursts into flames. Warda then grabs Wade, forcing him to look at his daughter burning, telling him, "Watch, because if you won't help me, there's no need for you to be around either." Once Ellie's body is nothing but ash, Warda drags Wade down into Monster Metropolis. She throws Wade to the ground and then she steps on his head asking, "Would you cry the same tears if it was I who died?" Wade tells her, "You're not making a really strong case here, but I did remember something. I remember that Ellie is a mutant, whereas the Wilsons constantly regenerate. Ellie, well, she regenerates all at once, rolls back the clock to when she got her first mutant ability. She gets a total reboot, and the memories stay intact." A few moments later, a younger Ellie jumps in, kicking Warda's mask off, asking if she missed her. Warda shouts, asking if she will live forever. Will she ever be rid of her? And just as Warda runs in to attack her, Wade grabs her shoulder, telling her, "No, you won't." Warda turns back to swing, but then Preston appears and shocks the both of them, telling them that they should probably try something else. Wade shouts, "Look, just cut it out. Truth be told, I never wanted any of you. You all just kind of happen, but that's life. You don't always get a vote on things." Warda then asks, "Why? Why did you fight my mother then?" And Wade says that, "I got no real answer for that. She tried to annex New York and there was a big fight and then we reconciled. But we were on again, off again for years. Shikla hid the existence that she even had you. And the next time that she tried to take over the surface, help was called. Avengers, Guardians, Fantastic 54. And when she did, it was all over for her. On Earth, you can either coexist or you cease to exist. Just ask the Skrulls." Warda asks, "Who's that?" And Wade tells her, "Exactly my point. Who are the Skrulls? They did way less crap than Shikla. They came here pretending to be some of us, and you know what happened? We blew up their homeworld, and we made the Skrulls space hobos." Warda stops, shaking her head. "Okay, let's say I believe this. What happens to me? Are you just gonna forget about me too?" And Wade tells her, "Of course not. You're my daughter. You're a spectacular up, but I got plans for you." Wade looks at Preston, asking if she's ready, and she says that he's going to owe her for this. Preston then goes back to her hollow ball, and Wade takes it, jamming it into Warda's head. Warda's vision begins to change, and then she sees Preston with a broom. Preston says that her head is a real mess, so it's time for the two of them to become friends and clean this place up. Back in the real world, Warda says that this is so weird, but as Wade and Ellie leave, Wade says to listen to him. "We'll be back soon and we can talk about Shikla." Outside on the streets, Wade walks up to the Elder Beast, where Danny is being pulled out of the hole that he just punched. Wade says, "Looks like you figured a way out, huh? I'll see you in a few days." Ellie asks what's next, and Wade says that he's going to walk the earth and find his old enemies and send them to hell. First, it's time to eat! The two of them sit inside, and the waiter asks for drinks, and Ellie says 2 Manhattans. And Wade tells him that they're, both for him. Ellie then asks, so what about Shikla? Where is she really? And Wade points to his chest, stating that he could never bring himself to kill her. So she's right here. Ellie laughs, stating that he's not going to say, "That's fine. Just don't make it sound so cheesy." And Wade tells her, "No, seriously. I remembered when Warda broke the casket and released the Elder Beast. During the fight, we had Ant-Man use the Pym particles to shrink down Shikla and hide her inside. So that way, she can be the one bullet that I can't dodge." And that's when we see Shikla is sound asleep in a coffin in Wade's chest. Our story begins with Deadpool sitting on a roof in New York complaining because there are just too many superheroes in New York. How can a guy shoot one blind lawyer without another superhero seeing him? And that's when a man in an odd hat and an even odder uniform shows up behind him. "Hi there, are you selling dead ninjas? Do you have any a medium?" "Aw, who am I kidding? I need a large." He then walks up and boops Deadpool on the nose. "Boop me? I'll boop you!" And Deadpool cuts off his head. He then catches the head and it starts to talk. "Oh, sorry, you can't kill me. I'll just Wolverine myself back together again. So you're Deadpool. I'm Madcap." Deadpool then sticks Madcap with a bunch of ninja swords from the dead bodies. Madcap eyeballs himself and then he stabs Deadpool with a whole bunch of other swords from the same dead ninjas. He then pulls out a bubble gun and hits Deadpool with bubbles. He finds himself quickly in a psychedelic world of warm and fuzzy animals. Deadpool has a few birds drop off his sniper rifle while a deer leads him to a rainbow to get a drink. But in the real world, Madcap is slapping Deadpool with his hat. "When I hit you with my bubble gun, you're supposed to go insane, not to your happy place. Stop going insane!" But Madcap interrupted Deadpool in the middle of something important. You know, trying to kill Daredevil. And Daredevil has now arrived on the rooftop to finish this. While Daredevil did kick them, both Deadpool and Madcap kind of ignore him, and Madcap tries to pull a sword out of his chest. "Oh, I don't have time for you healing factor guys." But he won't need time, because Thor just happened to be flying by and noticed that Daredevil may need a hand. "Oh, what the hell, New York?" Deadpool shouts. "Lightning them, Thor. They're healing factor guys." So Madcap jumps into Deadpool's arms as a giant lightning bolt hits the roof, turning them both into a pile of ash. And as Thor and Daredevil took off into the night, Deadpool heals himself back up, but it looks like it's only him sitting there now. At first, he's curious as to where Madcap went, but it honestly didn't matter. He just walked away, and that's when things got weird. Deadpool was able to hear another voice in his head, a crazier one that would talk to him. Maybe Madcap drove him crazy with the bubble gun after all. The two of them went on a lot of adventures together, from killing the Skrulls by making them all into Deadpools to becoming a pirate, wearing a meat suit, and fighting a hitman monkey. They even did some more serious things like join X Factor, try to join the X-Men, and eventually fight his own evil clone. Until eventually, after an entire run of 4 years in a comic series, Deadpool found himself sitting on a roof in New York looking down on Daredevil with his sniper rifle yet again. You know, right before the Marvel Now run began in 2012. It's the same problem though. There are superheroes everywhere in New York. And just to remind Deadpool of that fact, Luke Cage happens upon him. You know, the guy with unbreakable skin. Deadpool tried everything on Luke Cage, from breaking multiple swords to bouncing multiple bullets off of Luke Cage. Until eventually, Deadpool takes a hit from Luke Cage so hard that it jogs his memory. But it wasn't his memory. "What the hell was that?" Deadpool says to himself mentally. You weren't supposed to see that," the crazy voice tells him. "Wait, are you hiding things from me?" The white boxes then begin to take shape and form into something that looks like the Hulk. The voice explains that when Thor zapped both Madcap and Deadpool together, they reformed as one person. And since that time, Deadpool's been driving, but now it's Madcap's turn. So he takes control of Deadpool and he turns to Luke Cage to use his madness powers. And instantly, Luke Cage is forced to dance. This pisses off Thor, who happened to be flying by so much that he yells "Nay!" and he throws his cappuccino off the roof. Deadpool, with Madcap steering, turns to Thor and he forces Thor to become Luke Cage's dance partner. "Hey," Deadpool says from inside his own mind, "I am not okay with this arrangement. I'm not okay with you in charge, and I'm not okay with all the silly stuff in here and out there. I hate silly stuff." "Oh, well then here's an anvil," Madcap says, throwing an anvil onto Deadpool. "You do realize we can't hurt each other in here, Madcap." "Yeah, I know. I have an idea," Deadpool says, and a light bulb appears over his head. "Yeah, I can see that." So Deadpool goes between Luke Cage and Thor, and he has them play tug of war, tearing his own body in half. At that exact moment, both Luke Cage and Thor snap out of it, and they see that they've killed Deadpool. So they decide to leave. But Deadpool and Madcap both form back up on each side of his body. And they officially have their own bodies again. They look at each other longingly, and Madcap gets up and begins to walk away before turning around. I'll call you." And that is why Deadpool had a crazy voice, and why now it's gone. To top it all off, Deadpool eventually hires Madcap to join his group, Deadpool's Heroes for Hire, and they're working together again in the current run with the all-new, all-different Marvel, and that's why I wanted to tell you who Madcap was and his special relationship with Deadpool. Deadpool comes flying in a wingsuit and opens a parachute before hooking a grappling line to a building and pulling himself up. He then lowers himself onto the glass windows where he cuts open a circle and he walks in, melting the wall and grabbing the flash drive that he's after. That's when behind him, the White Fox stops him. She kicks at him and he dodges before hitting her in the back. Then after his next dodge, she kicks him into the wall and pulls off his mask, where she's shocked to see how handsome he is. Name's Bourne, James Bourne. But perhaps you know me by my superhero codename, Solo? Nope, never heard of you. Solo leans in to give White Fox a kiss, and then an explosion goes off behind him and he jumps out the window waving goodbye. White Fox then shows him that she took the flash drive from him. "You're really good at this, you know? Did you even really want to kiss me?" Meanwhile, two other individuals in Deadpool costumes are arguing about their jobs, and two other ones are at a kid's bar mitzvah. Even still, there's another Deadpool using a giant hammer to smash a potential thief's head in. Oh, and there's another one in lockup in New York, and yet another one in the background of a hostage video killing the kidnappers. But the one who rescued the man with the kidnappers, that's the real Deadpool. And he tells the man that he just rescued that no one hired him for this gig. He did this because he saw the man's daughter on the news. So if anyone asks, the man paid a lot of money for this rescue because no one can know that he did this for free. You see, Deadpool is now world famous and he has an appearance to keep up. So he hired a bunch of his superhero and villain buddies to pretend to be him so that he could take every job that came his way. Sales from his merchandise are even funding the Avengers now, or at least the Steve Rogers group of them.
There is a total of 6 Deadpools running around, but only one real one. But with this new life came a price though. He's pissed off his wife Shikla by ignoring her, and his daughter Ellie is being watched over by Preston, the S.H.I.E.L.D. agent that he used to work with who is now residing in a robot's body. After a gig in which Deadpool's crew kicks a bunch of frat guys out of a house, they realize that they haven't been paid and they take these complaints to Deadpool himself. The problem is, Deadpool is now spending his money far too quickly, and he isn't making enough, but he tells his crew that he'll fix this. So, while they run off on another free mission, Adsit, a man that once worked for S.H.I.E.L.D. and aided Deadpool in his efforts, decides that he needs to talk to Deadpool. You see, during the original Sin event, he learned the dark truth of what happened to Deadpool's parents, and since Deadpool just announced to the world that he intends to find his parents' killers, Adsit feels that it's time to tell Deadpool that it was he himself who killed his own parents. Adsit heads over to Deadpool's headquarters where he's allowed upstairs and he enters Deadpool's room, intent on finally telling Deadpool the truth. He has Wade sit down and he reveals the truth to him, that back then under Butler's influence he killed his own parents. He then turns around to see Deadpool is happy with this information. Adsit is so relieved he goes to hug his old friend, and that's when Deadpool literally stabs him in the back. As Adsit hits the ground, he pulls Deadpool's mask off and asks, "Who are you?" Because that man is not Deadpool. He is a man in the Deadpool mask, and now he has some rather interesting information on Deadpool himself. At that same time, the police bring Deadpool in for questioning because the zoning commissioner was shot, and he's telling everyone that Deadpool shot him. The fake Deadpool has been busy. But the fake Deadpool has no idea that the real Deadpool turned in the zoning commissioner for demanding a bribe. So the police believe Wade when he says that he actually wasn't involved. Because why would Wade turn the man in and then shoot him? But this gives Wade the idea to draw out the wolf in sheep's clothing. He asks the police officers to continue acting as though they've arrested him, because the fake guy has no idea that his plan isn't working. The bus begins driving Deadpool to court, and that's when he sees it. Exactly what he's looking for. The fake Deadpool is aiming a rocket launcher at him. It was all an ambush, except Wade knew it was coming. He stops the bus short and he jumps outside, watching the missile hit the ground in front of them. "You wanted me? You got me." He yells to the fake and he chases them through a building as he's firing an SMG back at him with a brrrap. Wade dodges it and he chases the guy to the roof where he grabs a cinder block and he throws it at the fake Deadpool's head, knocking him out. He then walks up and the fake opens his eyes, tripping Wade. He then handcuffs Wade with a loose handcuff to a nearby pipe. "I'm gonna kill you!" Wade shouts back at him, and he breaks his own hand to get free, and he starts chasing the fake again. The two of them end up in a stairwell shooting at each other, but as the fake runs for the front door, Wade comes across someone else in a Deadpool costume chained up. He slips the mask off, and he finds a barely breathing Adsit. And that's when he realizes, whoever this guy is, he's messing with him bad. The fake gets away, so Deadpool comes up with another plan. Says the fake is pretending to be him, he'll get all of his guys to change their Deadpool costume colors. We now have a blue, violet, green, orange, purple, and yellow Deadpool. Deadpools for all! He tells them all to be safe out there and shoot any Deadpools that they see on sight. So the blue Deadpool shoots him. I deserve that. But the situation is beginning to get worse as random citizens are now throwing on Deadpool masks and fighting it out, declaring, "Do it for Deadpool!" Someone is driving them insane. Once all of Deadpool's men drop all of these fake Deadpools with fake Deadpool masks, and they remove their masks, Wade sees that one of them is actually Bob, and he realizes that this is all a part of fake Deadpool's plans, and that's when he puts it together. Bob is holding a piece of Madcap's costume. Madcap is actually one of the people on Deadpool's Mercs for Hires, and Madcap spent a significant amount of time trapped in Wade's head. A long time ago, Madcap and Wade were fighting, and Thor got in the middle of it by striking them both with lightning. They then healed back up into one person. Madcap was in Wade's head for years until Thor did it again, separating them. But the damage was done. Wade's head and memories are not for the faint of heart. While Wade doesn't want to believe it's Madcap, it can't be anyone else. So Steve Rogers and Wade drive to Madcap's apartment, and inside, they see all of Wade's memories drawn on the walls. Madcap's actual power is to turn people insane along with his healing abilities, and right now, he is off in New York making everyone think that they are Deadpool. Everyone wants to feel his love. Wade devises a plan to get the fake's attention, and he brings his little girl Ellie to the rooftop of his building. Ellie wants to know what's going on though. First, Wade sailed away with her and then changed his mind and sent everyone away. Is he mad at her? Did she do something wrong? It's not her, he explains. There's a very bad man trying to kill him, and he wants to use her to get that man. That's when they hear it. Blam, blam, blam! 3 shots are fired. As the bullets get closer and closer to Ellie, instantly she is picked up and brought all the way out to New Jersey by Quicksilver helping out as a Avenger friend. Even though Ellie was bait, she's safe, and Deadpool knows where Madcap is, so he runs over to his location and throws the both of them off of the roof. While this is going on, Deadpool's mercs for hire are successfully wrapping up all of the poor civilians that Madcap sent to their own deaths. "It's over, Madcap!" Wade shouts as they hit a car in the street. Wade begins tearing off Madcap's mask and beating on him, but he also has a healing factor, so no matter how many times Wade breaks his face or stabs him, Madcap comes back. He then gets Wade to the ground and he shoots him through the head multiple times. That's when another fake Deadpool arrives named Massacre, and he cuts off Madcap's head. Then Massacre begins cutting up the Madcap pieces into various littler pieces. Stingray lands in front of them with his own plan to put the pieces of Madcap into a box so that when he heals, he can't get out. But Madcap isn't done yet, and he begins moving the pieces of his body and he breaks Stingray's kneecap, and then he grabs a gun off of Deadpool's belt, the only gun that could probably kill Deadpool, a Chitauri hand cannon. It disintegrates whatever it hits. He turns it to Deadpool, and then with a smile, he turns it to himself. Hey, wait! Do you think I'll regenerate from the molecular level? I think I will. He then shoots himself. Wade is standing there in shock, and Preston runs over, hitting him across the head. "Don't you ever use Ellie as bait again." He stands back up and a fan runs over, grabbing his mask off of his own head. He turns to yell at the guy, but he sees a billboard with his face on it selling a drink. The slogan is, "Because you deserve it." He smirks at the irony of the situation, and then takes a selfie with one of the fans before walking back into his building and smashing the glass on all of his own pictures.
Deadpool doesn't have the greatest memory, which could also be from his line of work, but he really wants to know Fool Killer's opinion. Even though they are driving around shooting Hydra agents, Fool Killer tells him that he's not even really a psychiatrist yet, he's only been taking Psychology 101 for a few weeks. Deadpool tells him that he hasn't felt well lately. For example, last night he stayed up all night remembering how Iron Fist said that his face looked like a melted candle. Fool Killer says that maybe he's having a manic event. There have been wild mood swings, and that's when Deadpool gets it. Enough with the blahs, he's just gonna go confront his issues. So, a little while later, Deadpool heads over to Danny Rand's dojo for underprivileged kids, and he tells Iron Fist that his face doesn't look like a melted candle and Kung Fu is stupid. Deadpool then walks out all proud of himself for serving Iron Fist. So who else is in the Grudge book? There's the Hand, and even though they're kind of Daredevil's thing, they must have done something wrong because they're in the book. So he begins to slaughter ninjas, and one of them asks how many times does he need to come back and take revenge for something that happened so long ago? Some of them weren't even born at that point. And Deadpool stops and says, "Wait, I've done this before?" The ninja tells him, yeah, every couple of months. They don't even know what they did to have such a grudge with him. You know, the Grudge book doesn't say, but whatever it is, you ninjas know what you did. But while he goes back to killing everyone else, Deadpool gets a call from Shikla telling him that he has 15 minutes to get home or she's gonna declare war on him. Deadpool returns home and Shikla tells him that he's never around anymore. He just doesn't do those monstrous things that he used to do anymore. And Deadpool informs her that he'll show her something monstrous. 10 minutes later, two of them are laying in bed, and Deadpool tells her that that will shut her up for a while. And Shikla agrees. But before he can leave, Shikla chains him to the bed and tells him that she'll be back. So how does Deadpool break free? By chewing his arm off, and then supergluing it back together. He could have just let it grow back, but the whole baby arm thing is funny only for a few minutes. So who's next in the book? Creed was there. And Deadpool stares at those words in the book. He doesn't know what he did, but he does remember that he was there for something. And while there are some things that he can forgive, not Creed, not Sabretooth. Deadpool goes about his day confronting those that he can't forgive, like the guy who spoiled the Harry Potter book before the book was released, and the doctor who told him that he would help him but selfishly died. But there's something still bothering Deadpool. As he sits at his table flipping through his Grudge book, he begins to trace the page after the one that was ripped out. And then Deadpool sees it. Victor Creed called me a sap. Sabretooth must die. Deadpool figures that he'll start where things started to go bad. So he begins looking for any clues that he can find in Butler's medical supplies. When Deadpool enters the building, he hears a voice telling him that he remembers this place too, even though it wasn't that much fun. And that's when Deadpool notices Madcap there. But he's just a hallucination, so whatever. He's done talking. Deadpool makes his way into the bathroom and he begins to search, and he finds a handprint, and he knows who this might have belonged to. He then travels to a strip club that he's told that he can't enter because of how he looks, but that doesn't stop Deadpool from stabbing the bouncer and the soldier and entering anyway. He tells everyone that he's here from Michael, and then a figure appears in the doorway asking, "Who is interrupting?" Yoo-hoo! Deadpool says that it looks like they've been acquainted before, which is good because this is the part where you're going to start from the beginning. Michael explains that Butler used to hire him to bag Deadpool from time to time, stating that Deadpool would never remember. You see, in Deadpool's past, the guy Butler used to send him off to do hits and kill for him. This is back when Deadpool wasn't such a nice guy. But before Michael could go any further, he starts to grab his chest, like he's having a heart attack. He falls to the ground in pain and he passes out, and Deadpool just stares at him. Seriously? Moments later, Deadpool sits in the ambulance that is taking Michael to the hospital, and as he wakes up, Deadpool tells him that he's gonna want to get out a journal and write down everything he knows about Deadpool's hits. Michael tells him that he doesn't remember too much, but there was 2 of them, and Deadpool interrupts him asking, is the other man Sabretooth? Deadpool begins to head over to Canada, where he begins to pick through a safe looking for a form or something, and he asks Jarvis if he can locate Sabretooth for him. Jarvis begins to search, and he sees that Sabretooth has been traveling with Eric Magnus in central Canada. Eric Magnus is Magneto, and Sabretooth is on his new team. Deadpool tells Jarvis to just send all of the data to his phone, and Jarvis responds with, very well, sir. You see, Deadpool is currently working on one of the Avengers teams. Deadpool reminds Jarvis not to call him sir, and Jarvis responds with, very well, my dope-ass Fresh Prince. Damn straight. Sometime later, Deadpool finds Magneto and Sabretooth rescuing some civilians from a truck. Deadpool lines up a shot to take out Sabretooth, but with Magneto there, he may catch a bullet. So it's time for Plan B. Plan B is simple. Deadpool thought of it when he was arguing how he can kill Wolverine by decapitating him and soaking his head in acid, but someone else said that that was a stupid plan. Maybe it was Logan telling Deadpool that he couldn't kill him. Anyway, all he needed was a piano wire and someone to be riding really fast on a motorcycle, and snap! Except Sabretooth's head now looks like a Pez dispenser. Glad Logan wasn't around to gloat about being right this time. But in the end, it doesn't matter, because he remembers. He remembers what angered him about Sabretooth. He killed his family. Sabretooth gets right back up after having his head partially severed, and Deadpool tells him he's gonna do what Logan couldn't do. He's gonna finally put down Sabretooth. Deadpool swings in with his katana, slicing off the top of Sabretooth's head, and then Sabretooth slashes up and rips open Deadpool's chest. Deadpool begins to step back, and then Sabretooth throws Deadpool's katana right through him. Suddenly, the two stop as they hear a loud squeak, and they see a school bus full of kids is watching them. Deadpool tries to sing them a song, but just tells the kids, don't be like him and stay in school. Bus then begins to drive off, and Deadpool pulls his katana out and says, it's a girl! I'm gonna name her B. But right back to taking off Sabretooth's head. Deadpool tells him that his memory's not that great, but he needs to know something. What is it that he did to have Sabretooth murder his parents? And Sabretooth stops and asks, is that what you think happened? Sabretooth pushes Deadpool in front of a passing car, and Deadpool goes crashing through the windshield. The car continues to speed off, and Sabretooth falls to his knees, asking, how can't he remember that he killed his own father? Sabretooth remembers just like it happened the day before. Butler wiped out Deadpool's memory again, and Butler wanted Sabretooth to go with Deadpool on that night, the night where he was supposed to kill his father. Later, Magneto finds Sabretooth lying in the snow, and he tells him that he needs to end this thing between him and Deadpool now. Sabretooth tells him that there's something that he needs to do for him though, and Magneto tells him that they have more important things to attend to, like the extinction of their kind to the Terrigen Mist. So whatever you need to do, Sabretooth, you better do it fast. Elsewhere, the car that Deadpool landed on finally stopped, and the family was so happy that it was the real Deadpool that they decided to take a family picture. If you forgot, Deadpool's currently world famous. Deadpool gets back up and he begins to head back, and the young girl of the family asks if he needs a ride anywhere. He tells them no, but he does ask for a favor. Where's the worst place here? The place that her father wouldn't even go. And the young girl says, that's easy. The biker bar, Kaminsky's, a few miles down the road. But over at the bar already, Sabretooth is already there eating, and he tells the cook to put a few more steaks on. He's expecting some company soon. Later, Deadpool manages to reach the bar, and he and Sabretooth have dinner. Deadpool says the food is almost as bad as the reason that Sabretooth killed his parents. And Sabretooth tells him that it's just, he thought maybe he could finally kill him. Like, succeed where Logan failed. He wanted to provoke Deadpool to put him out of his misery. And Deadpool tells him he's still got to kill him though. So Sabretooth lashes out at Deadpool, telling him it's time to go outside. After Sabretooth sticks Deadpool with the bill, he's already getting away in his bike, and he tells Deadpool it's over. Do not follow him. Deadpool knocks another man off his bike, and that man tells Deadpool that that's his bike. Deadpool sits on the bike and says out loud, urge to kill, rising. So the man tells him to enjoy his new bike. Deadpool begins to chase after Sabretooth, telling him that he sucks worse than the band Creed. As Sabretooth rides next to a semi pulling some trees, he slashes the straps, causing them to fall into the road in front of Deadpool. Deadpool yells out that this isn't even his final form, and he jumps onto the moving truck. He then makes his way to the cab of the truck, and he continues to shoot at Sabretooth. Deadpool then mentions that they need to lose a little dead weight, and the truck driver jumps out saying, you're the boss, Spidey! While Deadpool jumps into the cab to control the truck, two helicopters start to fly over them, telling them both to pull over. But the helicopters get too close to each other, and they end up crashing into each other, and they fall into the woods. Sabretooth asks if they should just call a truce for now, and the two go back to rescue the people out of the helicopters. Once they get finished though, Sabretooth tells him that he's going to go get on his bike and go. But before that, Sabretooth extends his hand asking if Deadpool forgives him. Deadpool shakes his hand and tells him that he forgives him for his dad, and then he pulls out a gun shooting Sabretooth in the face. But he can't forgive him for his sweet old ma. As time passes, Sabretooth begins to wake up and he finds himself tied between a tree and a semi. Sabretooth tells him that pulling him apart won't kill him. And Deadpool tells him, no, that part is just for fun. However, this Terrigen mist that I have is gonna kill you instead. As Deadpool begins to get things ready to kill Sabretooth, Sabretooth's eyes begin to roll back into his head and soon he says, hi, it's Scott Adsit from The Office. Deadpool tells him, nice try. But how does he know he's the real Scott? What's his favorite album? Invisible Touch by Genesis. Deadpool tells him to get out of Sabretooth's head. I'm about to shoot it off. So Scott tells him that he's been trying to reach him for a while through Michael. He can't go through with this. He'll be making a terrible mistake. Deadpool begins to put the mask over Sabretooth's face, but Scott tells him that it was actually him who killed his own parents. He saw it when the Watcher's secrets were revealed in Original Sin. Check out that video. Scott goes on to state that he's not sure what he saw, but maybe it'll prevent this from happening. Deadpool sits back and he rips the mask off of Sabretooth's head. Scott's connection begins to fade and Sabretooth wakes up and begins to ask, what the hell just happened? Ah, never mind. You have to trust me on this, Deadpool. But Deadpool says, I know, I did it. I just wanted to take the burden off of you. What are a few more bodies on your account and another sworn enemy? I am surprised that you would come up with such a way for killing me though. So can you cut me down now? Deadpool will get him down for sure, just with the truck. But before he can drive, Deadpool sees Gandalf? Magneto begins tearing the truck to shreds, telling Sabretooth that he's disappointed. Bested by Deadpool, the worst Avenger. Sabretooth shoots the bullet from earlier out of his nose and he says, I was just playing possum. Magneto takes the Terrigen container, and Sabretooth explains that Deadpool actually had it for research, because his daughter is immune, or at least she will be in a few years. Sabretooth frees Deadpool from his trap, and Magneto says that he didn't think there would be a good reason to not kill Deadpool. Deadpool then grabs Magneto and tells him he'll give him another, and then he begins to whisper in his ear. Magneto's eyes widen, and he throws Deadpool onto the ground, telling him, I'll hold you to that, so you better not cross me. But for now, good luck protecting your little girl. Sabretooth helps Deadpool back up, and Deadpool asks why he saved him from Magneto. And Sabretooth tells him it's something that Logan would have done. Also, I'm a sadist, so I'll be looking forward to doing this again when you forget. But before I go, I have some advice. Get some help, Deadpool. Deadpool lays down and thinks that maybe it is time to see a real doctor. So, he goes to visit Doctor Strange to make sure that all that happened was true. And Doctor Strange hands him a book with a hidden video in it. One Deadpool made to tell himself that it was true. He tells them that this is the first time that he'll actually be fully remembering everything. And as Deadpool looks at the tape, he throws it in the fire. Before leaving, Deadpool asks if Steve Rogers knows about this, but Doctor Strange tells him no. And Deadpool tells him, thanks for the whole doctor-patient confidentiality. Later, Deadpool heads back to the strip club to get the journal that he made Michael write out about Butler, but instead of reading it and learning more about his past, he just burns it. As he begins to leave, he tells Michael that if the Mountie comes looking for his horse, tell him that it'll be at the border crossing. And as Deadpool gets on his horse, he hears a voice telling him to halt! And that's when he sees the Canadian Mounties chasing him. And he rides off yelling to the Mounties to catch him if they can! Going back to his usual Deadpool self. Our story begins in Juarez, where Wade Wilson sits in a bar discussing his problems. He says that he thinks his crew might be turning against him. The person asks, has he tried maybe not being a jackass? Wade says that he's trying, he's really trying! But the more he tries, the more it makes him look like a jackass. Domino takes another drink stating, wow, you must have been trying really hard for years then. As the two go on, Wade pulls his gun out at the sound of the door opening, and he sees Massacre. Massacre tells Wade that they have their next mission. And Domino says, you know, pointing a gun at your friends isn't a way to earn you any additional points. As Wade heads out, Domino tells himself that it seems like he really is trying. He's definitely going to get himself killed. A short while later in Albuquerque, New Mexico, Wade and the Mercs all get ready to move in on their next target. Wade asks Fool Killer, what do they have? And he tells them that they have a highly trained professional acting like a creeper. Target's alone in the house. Everyone gets out of the van and Solo says that he didn't sign up to kidnap a child. And Wade says that their target is dangerous. Why else would she call herself a Negasonic Teenage Warhead? Inside the house, Ellie sits on her phone talking with her friend Cheryl when she sees something. Images of Fool Killer bursting in with his guns. And the second he does, she's already gone. As Ellie moves through the house, she continues to see visions of everyone trying to capture her, and just as they jump out, she disappears. You see, Negasonic Teenage Warhead, aka Ellie, she's a telepath with precognitive abilities and telekinetic detonation powers. So she kind of saw them all coming ahead of time. However, as she's attempting to vanish, she sees Wade and she sees one more vision. One of him telling her not to worry he won't be leaving her behind. Now in the current time, because that was a flashback, he tells her, how about we just do it the easy way so nobody gets hurt? And she tells him, okay, she'll do it. Wade shouts, really? That's awesome! I totally knew cooler heads would prevail. Solo pulls Wade aside and asks, what the hell is really going on? There's something you're not telling us. Why would our client want this kid? Wade tells them by kid, he assumes that they mean kid who just kicked their collective butts. Wade then reminds them that their mission is to gather dangerous individuals who all fall into the radioactivity spectrum for monitoring and observation, so don't ask too many questions. He would also like to add that they need to stop being whiny baby men and start showing some respect for finding them these sweet gigs anyway. As they leave, Tara asks Ellie if maybe they should inform her parents, and she tells them it's alright, they don't need to tell them anything. As they drive off, Ellie's house begins to fade away. Over at the Umbral Dynamics drop point, Wade notices the men taking Ellie away are all suited up in hazmat suits, and his he did a bad thing sense begins to tingle. One of the workers tells Wade not to worry, she'll be in good hands, and here are the details on their next target. Wade tells everyone that it's time for them to move out, and as Ellie walks off, she begins to see another vision, one of her being strapped to a chair to be examined. The next mission begins with everyone over at Vietnam. As the team begins their preparations, Wade tells everyone to suit up if they feel they need to. Slapstick tells him, what's the point? Are we even gonna get more freakier? Solo grabs him by the shoulder and tells him that it's his call, but he won't be taking any chances. On their last op, they didn't pick up any radiation and they still managed to get their asses handed to them. Slapstick then says that if the suit's protecting against teenage girls, then maybe he'll wear one. Stingray jets off stating that he'll get into position and the rest of them head inside of the temple. Wade tells everyone to be quiet. They don't want to tip their guy off too soon. Element of surprise, you know? The room suddenly begins to glow green and Solo says, I think we're a little late for that. Tara then adds that he's pretty sure Radioactive Man already knows that they're here. He then slams his fist down and everyone opens fire. While the bullets fly, Folk Killer tells Slapstick to flank him while they get to cover. Slapstick springs in with his hammer shouting, "Fate don't fail me now!" Radioactive Man then grabs him and throws him into a stone pillar, while Slapstick screams, "Fate, you failed me!" Solo quickly runs over to ask if he's okay, and Slapstick says that his life, his entire existence is pain. As the fight goes on, suddenly Radioactive Man vanishes. Wade gives the order to move out, and while the mercs head out, Slapstick starts talking to himself in third person, acting out a conversation as if Wade asked him if he's alright. He then turns to Solo and asks, does Wade even care about us? If I were to die, Wade would just replace me with someone else who would work for cheaper. Or maybe it's time we replaced him. Soon Tara's device begins to pick up radioactive signatures, and Radioactive Man tells him, you're not going anywhere with them. My soldiers will march and step on your bones as we journey to crush Western culture. As the soldiers begin to appear and fight, Wade tells them, Western culture is not that bad. The outlaw Josie Wales, Rio Bravo? Wade then leaps in to take Radioactive Man head on, and as he knocks Wade down, he tells him that his employers will not subject him to their torture. He then picks up Wade a second time, and Wade says, hang on, I'm not done with my stop, drop, and rolling. And what do you mean by torture? They're trying to help you. Radioactive Man laughs, stating, just like a capitalist, taking jobs without fully understanding. And then he releases a radioactive blast into Wade's face. Massacre jumps in to free him and makes sure that the fire doesn't spread too quickly, and Slapstick crushes Wade's head with a mallet. Soon Radioactive Man shouts that they have all stepped into his trap, and he begins grabbing each of the mercs. A voice calls out that he's sorry he's late, and Stingray swoops in. He holds out a rocket launcher, and Radioactive Man tells him, your fancy weapons will do nothing against me. And Stingray tells him, well, it's not a rocket launcher, it's a ram cannon, as in a radioactive absorbent material. The rocket fires, and as it hits, foam begins to cover and encase Radioactive Man. As the group starts to get back to their feet, Wade begins to think back to what Radioactive Man said. Umbral Dynamics are forces of evil and torture. Negasonic Teenage Warhead, what has he done? A few days later in West Virginia, Wade and the mercs jump out of a van ready to move in on their next target. Stingray says that he's not picking up any radioactivity. Are they sure that this Nucleo guy is here? And Wade says that the old dude at the gas and get out of here said that this is where Nucleo hangs out. And even if he's not, he's pretty sure someone deserves an ass whipping. Wade bursts into the bar, telling the bartender to give him a pint of whatever bacteria-filled pig swine he has on tap. He's worked up a powerful thirst, being generally terrific. And give his companions whatever they want, just make sure they're on separate taps. Wade then leans into the bartender, asking if he's seen a guy named Nucleo, one that can kinda glow in the dark. Heard he kicks his feet up here. A voice then says that he's been in and out of here for 3 months and no one goes by that handle. He's never heard of anyone named Nucleo, but his pals call him Nuke. Solo tells everyone he knows this guy. He's like a super soldier gone wrong. Maybe their intel is a little shoddy. And Wade says that with a name like Nuke, he's bound to be radioactive. Nuke grabs Wade and soon the bar begins to burst into an all-out brawl. As Nuke holds up Wade, Wade says, you're right, we don't need to fight, but I want to. Wade holds his gun up to Nuke's head and says, which of the 50 states to shoot first? And the gun goes off and Wade shouts, so long, Indiana. Nuke grabs his head, stating that that was a mistake. One thing that he should know, these colors don't run. Nuke grabs Wade by the leg and starts beating him against the floor. The next day in Chicago, Wade and the Mercs set out to take down Ralph Roberts, Cobalt Man. During the fight, Stingray says that they need to be careful. Any mistake and there could be some serious casualties. Wade tells him not to worry, he just has to finish the guy quickly. They don't call him Half-Minute Wade for nothing. As Cobalt Man blasts him away, Wade begins to realize that maybe the name was for another reason. Activating selective memory. Wade then takes out a grenade and Solo shouts that they can't use it here, they're civilians. So Wade tells him, grow up. How am I supposed to strike fear and explosive diarrhea into the hearts and butts of bad guys without a little? And a blast burns off Wade's hand and he shouts, see what you just did? You distracted me and now you have to live with the fact that I got my hand blown off by a guy named Ralph. Cobalt Man begins charging back up and suddenly he's shot in the back by a shadowy figure and drops to the ground. Wade says that's what he's talking about. But this mess that all you guys caused in my Mercs group, most of your money's gonna have to go back to fixing that. The next day, the Mercs all gather to discuss their next plan. How they may be better off without Deadpool. Over at the drop-off, Wade waits as Umbral Dynamics arrives for their pickup. On board of the helicopter, Machine Man Aaron asks where's the rest of his team, and Wade tells him, you know, mercenaries, probably some meeting to unionize or something. Aaron leans in and whispers that he's been working undercover at Umbral Dynamics and he needs to alert someone. The Avengers, the X-Men, anyone what they're attempting. They need to stop Umbral Dynamics. As Aaron walks off, Wade says, sure. So he heads back to the theater to grab the Mercs, and as he walks into the halls of his offices, he notices things are rather quiet. He looks at the gathering table and he realizes, my Mercs team ditched me. He turns back stating, I guess I need to get old school. I'm coming to bust you out, Negasonic, Cobalt Man, and big green guy who's not the Hulk, Lone Wolf style. Don't jump. The woman with the long flowing blonde hair pauses, and then is startled as a hand touches her on the shoulder. Please, not here. Deadpool then leans in. Parker Industries is just a few blocks down the road. That's the sort of address you fling yourself off to death at. The woman just stops and looks at him stunned. You're making jokes? Deadpool frowns and he tells her, I was bitten by a sad radioactive clown. He then has a seat next to the girl who's about to jump to her own death. Yeah, well, I'm sure a real hero would have something profound to say to make you feel better instantly, but I'm all you got. I'm Deadpool, what's your... Don't what? Don't pretend to care. You're being presumptuous. I don't care. Yet. And you're making it very hard for me to get my care on. Is it a boy? Girl? Money? Did you marry a succubus and she might ruin your life? Are you trying to make me jump? Tears begin to flow down the woman's face. Again, Parker Industries is right over there. I hate you. I think maybe that's a sign you're on the mend. How about I make you an offer? If you're determined that this is going to be your last night. Have you seen Hamilton yet? She begins to laugh through the tears. You're a maniac. What's wrong with you? No, I haven't seen it. Tickets are impossible to get. Don't worry, I can get us some. The two of them go to the theater where Deadpool knocks out some slumlords and takes their tickets. And the woman enjoys the show. Afterwards, they step outside where Deadpool asks her, where to next? And she tells him, Parker Industries observation deck. Ha! You made a joke! Wait, are you joking? You're not joking, are you? Look, cut the shit. What problem do you have that I need to punch? And still, she won't tell him. So he pulls out a list of letters from people asking for help from the Avengers, and he explains that anytime he feels bad, he goes to these locations and he beats people up. And she tells him to leave her alone, unless... Is this a kidnapping? Deadpool chuckles. Haha, how dare you? I only kidnap for money. I'll let you go once you do everything I say. Oh my god, you are kidnapping me. What's your name? Danielle? Oh good, I was worried you were gonna be named Robin. They arrive at an apartment where Deadpool explains that they're here to beat a guy up for stealing from the elderly to support his drug habit. He kicks in the door, knocking an old woman to the ground. The man he's after then shouts, Mom! And Deadpool shrugs it off. To be fair, none of the letters mentioned you lived with your mother. He then knocks the man out and Danielle begins to kick him while he's down. And Deadpool sends off a few text messages. The next stop they go to is the location of where a bunch of hackers are stealing information, and Deadpool lets Danielle press the button on the door charge, blowing it up again. Deadpool then breaks a few arms and begins fighting off all of the nerds, with Danielle watching, until someone takes her hat, and she cracks him with a bat, and then she takes out all of her frustrations on the computer equipment. Deadpool then takes her off on a stolen motorcycle, and they drive off. We had fun, didn't we? Aren't you glad you picked my roof to fail to fall off of? Yeah, sure, but you seem to have a handle on things without me, like the rest of the world. You can let me off anywhere. So, Deadpool pulls up to an emergency room. No, I can't. I'm smart enough to know that I'm dumb enough that I can't help you, but they can. You promised you would let me go. I am. This is where you and I part ways. I've been texting the staff all night and they're expecting you. What if I don't want to go inside? I don't know. I don't think I'll have to do anything because I think you want to walk in there. Will you walk in with me? Plus, we can visit all of the elderly people that I accidentally beat up. Listen, I don't think you're crazy. I think you just need a little help, and I'm not the guy to help you. So Danielle gets off the motorcycle, and she walks inside with Deadpool. And they take her to the back of the hospital. Deadpool watches her walking away, telling himself, unkilling someone is way harder than what I usually do.
Of course, the moment she leaves my life, I think of the perfect advice. You gotta remember, no matter how bad things get, life is fluid. There's always a chance that something great is waiting around the next corner. You just have to find a way to keep walking around the corners. And then as Deadpool walks around the corner, it's easy stepped and dog do.
New York City was under attack from a celestial alien. The mercenaries for money were watching from on top of a building, but you probably don't know who the heck these guys are. Massacre, Terror, Stingray, Fool Killer, Solo, and Slapstick have been the guys helping Deadpool maintain his mercenary rep while he was working with the Avengers. They are the mercenaries for hire, and they're basically Deadpool's other team. So while all of New York is under attack from the Celestial, Deadpool, his wife, and the mercenaries for money all head out to save the city, and they start by putting out the fires and saving the civilians. They use everything from guns to teleporters to flying aids, and ultimately, they save everyone that they can. And in the end, it's not the superheroes that defeated the Celestial in a fistfight. Instead, the powers of Ulysses gave the magical individuals of the planet enough time to come together and send the Celestial home. To celebrate their new tool, the superheroes all went to a party at the Avengers Tower. Everyone, except the mercenaries for money. They weren't too happy about getting the snuff from Deadpool again either. They all headed back to the theater that Deadpool was keeping as his base of operations, fed up with everything that was going on. Deadpool doesn't pay them on time. He takes all of the credit, and now he gets to go to the parties without them. Deadpool, meanwhile, meets up with Ulysses, and he doesn't believe in Ulysses' powers. No one can predict what Deadpool is going to do. He then tips his drink up to the circling news helicopter as the Fact Network reports that Deadpool has once again helped save the day with his hirelings. And Adsit, one of the friends of Deadpool, tells the mercs that maybe they should be making better decisions. As a matter of fact, so should he. Deadpool hasn't paid him either, and because of that, he's going back to S.H.I.E.L.D. With no other real options, the mercs for money begin digging through Deadpool's paperwork trying to find their contracts so that they can tear them up and then go off to do their own thing, which leads to a rather interesting discovery. Deadpool has been skimming their paychecks off of the top, which is why they haven't received any money for the last few months. Meanwhile, Deadpool has decided to see if Ulysses can actually see the future, and he's decided that he needs to have a chat with him. So he heads over to the base of the Ultimates where they're keeping him at this time. He walks into the room that Ulysses is in and he puts a gun to his head, telling him that if you can really see the future, then you're really bad at it. But the fact is, Ulysses has had a lot of people testing him recently, and he knows that Deadpool's not really going to kill him. So he just asks him, "Why are you here?" He explains that he wanted to get some answers about his daughter Ellie. He needs to know if she's you know what? Never mind. Ulysses explains that he can't actually pinpoint the future, he just gets visions. And then he looks at the monitors and he asks if Deadpool has any business in New Jersey. He points to the screen showing the mercenaries for hire breaking into a bank, one where Deadpool is keeping his stash. So after a battle against Black Panther on his way out the door and trying to use the toilet in the middle of the fight, Deadpool begins to make his way to New Jersey. Over at the bank's vault, the mercs begin breaking down the door and they try walking in. They start digging around his safe box and they find their contracts, along with the footage of the incident at Washington, D.C., the one that made Deadpool famous to begin with. But Solo turns to Stingray. "You know that wasn't Deadpool, right?" Everyone turns to Solo shocked. But that's when Deadpool throws a bomb into the vault. He walks in with the button. "Thanks for coming to the team meeting, but I'm afraid I'm gonna have to let you all go," into pink fine mist. That's when another of the mercs jumps Deadpool, pushing him into the vault so that they can all beat him up. But as he does that, he accidentally closes the vault, locking them all inside together. With nothing else to do, Solo asks if they want to hear the story of how he dressed up as Deadpool and saved Washington, D.C. Deadpool sits down and tells him, "So this is the issue where we all have a flashback." Solo explains that no one was hiring washed-up James Bourne anymore, so he took on a new identity, Deadpool's. He got a basic assassination job, but he got an odd feeling about it. One that got worse as the dignitary's motorcade arrived. That's when he realized that he had been set up to take the fall for killing a dignitary. Well, Deadpool had been set up. He jumped down saving the man and he ran him into a parking garage with the shooter opening fire on the two of them. He then stole a dog washing van and he began to flee, but the Secret Service agents began to chase him and they opened fire on the van. As Solo teleported into their car, they simply told him, "Boop." So he teleported between all of their cars, knocking out each of the agents working against them, until eventually he dropped each of the booping Secret Service agents and got the dignitary to the White House. The world saw Deadpool as a hero, even if he tried to tell them that his name was actually Solo. That's when Deadpool stands up telling his guys, "It's obvious, that was Madcap. He practically signed off on it by having them say boop." So he hits Solo telling him, "Why didn't you tell me that part? You said it was a random telepathic attack." Because even though Madcap had turned himself into dust, he's not gone. and he still has a bone to pick with Wade. For those of you guys who don't know who Madcap is, our first two videos of Deadpool's adventures and the all-new, all-different Marvel explain that Madcap is trying to take down Wade because of their history together. Go check out those videos in the Deadpool playlist. The next day, the guards open the vault to find everyone punching it out. That's when the pin on a grenade hits Solo in the head, and he runs for it with everyone else not wanting to be killed. Deadpool stands up holding the grenade, telling the guards to calm down. He did it to scatter everyone. And then the guards inform him that the flashbang grenade doesn't have a pin in it either. Boom! It goes off and Deadpool exclaims, "I'm blind!" He stumbles out, "Holy shit, here comes Swear Devil!" Slapstick holds his hammer up high. "Nice to meet you, Swear Devil. I'm Slapstick, one of the guys that you've been cheating for months." He hits Deadpool in the stomach so hard that Deadpool throws up in his own mask, and then he throws his nasty mask over at Fool Killer. "You guys are gonna keep fighting me? Can't you see that I'm disabled?" Fool Killer proceeds to kick him in the spine. "It's differently abled, you piece of." Meanwhile, Stingray and Solo burn the contracts and the police arrive. The police begin to open fire, so Terra grabs Deadpool and holds him up like a shield, and then throws him towards the cop car's windshield. Deadpool then grabs a shotgun and he begins to blast away at the mercs. A few minutes later, S.H.I.E.L.D. arrives handcuffing everyone, and Preston wants to know, what was he thinking? She looks down at Deadpool and asks him, "How long do you think you're going to be an Avenger for? Are you looking ahead in our story, Preston? Do better, Wade. See you at Sunday's dinner." Realizing how much hot water the whole group is in, Wade uses his Avengers credit to vouch that it was, in fact, Kang the Conqueror. He was teleporting into that bank, so Deadpool and his team had to stop him. They walk outside and everyone wants to know what Deadpool was thinking. Every dime that they made went to fund Steve Rogers' Unity Squad, the Avengers team that Deadpool is working on. "Let me explain your severance packages. Don't any of you ever cross me again. If we're on the same job, I will kill you on sight." They all end up on the same train trying to leave at the same time, because it's really the only way out of New Jersey. But eventually, Deadpool makes his way back to Preston's house, where his daughter is being kept. Ellie answers the door calling him Wade, to which he asks, isn't the normal nomenclature his dadness or dadarino? She informs him that her therapist doesn't think that she should be considering Wade a father figure. Preston doesn't want to hear it either. Deadpool is getting out of control, and she doesn't want that around her house, so she throws him out. With his team disbanded and his daughter being held back from him, he decides to go visit his wife, Shikla. He enters the underworld and walks into their bedroom, where he takes off his clothing and he climbs into bed, only to find her in bed with a werewolf. He gets up, grabs a shotgun, and then takes off that werewolf's head. "What was that, Shikla? I couldn't hear you over my big honkin' murder gun." Shikla gets up telling Deadpool that he knew about this, her many visitors that enter her bed chamber, and Deadpool knew what he was getting into when he married her. Deadpool turns to her and tells her, "So did you. I fight and I fight and I fight and I screw up. It's all I know how to do. So are we gonna do this or not?" Shikla smiles. "Oh yes," and she hurls a spear through his chest. Then she begins to charge at him. "I don't mind you ruining your happiness, but leave mine alone." She tears him through a wall and into the streets of the underworld. She then grabs him by the ankle and begins to fling him around. "You shouldn't have made me angry, Wade. And you shouldn't have married the first idiot that you saw stepping out of a coffin." She bounces him back into the subway system where a train is headed towards him, so he leaps through the window. Shikla isn't done though, as she follows him onto the train and begins to kick him around some more. And then she bounces him out of the subway. And he asks if they can be done now. He'll go get a dog so that she can shoot its head off in his bed. She walks up top and sticks her foot into his throat. "Fine, that was the most fun that we've had in a while. Why don't you come back to bed?" "The one that I just shot the werewolf in? Nah, I'm good." "Very well, husband. Never the end." And she walks away. He gets up and he starts to walk down the sidewalks trying to sort all of this out. He wants to protect Ellie and Preston, and he wants to be close to them, but the longer that Madcap roams free, the worse the end is going to be. Eventually, he made it back to the theater, or what's left of it ever since Ultron destroyed it when he attacked the Unity Squad. After talking to Rogue, he walked up to the roof to go over what a cluster that his life has become, because he needs to fix this somehow. It was a cool winter night as two Santa Claus impersonators headed off to work, robbing a diamond store. For these two impersonators, it was a yearly tradition to celebrate the reason for the season, and that's for money. As the two robbers run into the back alley, we discover that they are Wade Wilson and Hydra Bob as they pull off their costumes. And Wade notices that Hydra Bob has put on a little bit of weight, and he tells him that Hydra should really secretly take over a fitness center for the Hydra agents. Bob laughs and agrees, and Wade says that now it's time for him to sprinkle his magic rocks on a hobo and turn him into an insufferable thousandaire. As Wade pours the diamonds on the hobo, he shouts, "Oh yeah, make it rain, Spider-Man!" And Wade tells him, because it's Christmas, he will not kill him. Bob then asks Wade if he wants to go get something to eat, and Wade tells him that he can't. He actually has some serious stuff to do. As Wade rides off, the sirens begin to blare, And Bob asks, "Wait, where's my getaway bike?" After a bit of a ride, Wade begins to think about how he picked up a nemesis, and he's not really sure how he did it. In fact, he doesn't even know his actual name. All he knows is that this person is called Madcap. So what better place to figure this person out than to return to the place where it all started, the place where Madcap was born. There was an accident that left Madcap laying in a pool of chemicals, and when he woke up, he went crazy. So he did what any normal person would do, and he tried to kill himself, but that's when he found out that he doesn't feel pain and he can regenerate from any wound. So along with some fate and fancy lightning, Wade and Madcap were electrocuted by Thor, and Madcap got to experience all of the joys of being stuck in Wade's head while their healing factors combined, turning them into one individual. But that was Deadpool. Madcap was the voice in his head. But since he's now broken free of Wade's head, and he saw what was in Wade's head, that would kind of explain why Madcap kind of hates Wade right now. A little while later, Wade heads over to the S.H.I.E.L.D. helicarrier to see Preston for some information. She asks if he's been sleeping at crime scenes again, and he tells her that he's not. And as Preston looks at the crime scene tape stuck to Wade's boots, she asks if he wants to rethink his answer. Wade shrugs, asking, "How do you always know when I'm lying?" After pulling the tape off of his boot, Preston says that S.H.I.E.L.D. has no leads on Madcap. Even the scientists who made him are dead. Moments later, Preston's office door opens up and Adsit walks in seeing Wade, and he just says that he'll come back later. After he leaves, Wade whispers, "Is it me, or has Adsit gained a little weight?" With no further information to gather, Preston walks Wade out and Wade begins to climb into his jet. He says that he got an invite to Sunday's dinner, so he'll see her then. And Preston says, "Yeah, don't do that, you're not invited. Also, get out of that jet." Wade gives her a thumbs up and shouts, "I can't hear you when I do this," and he presses the eject button. The hatch on the jet pops open and Wade rockets into the sky shouting, "My whole planet needs me!" Once Wade lands in the park, he gets a text from an unknown number stating, "Boop." Wade begins to think that this could be Madcap, and he responds to the unknown number like any normal person would. "New phone, who dis?" A second message then comes in stating that he belongs in a zoo, and Wade knows that there's a zoo nearby, which means that this is probably a trap. Wade sneaks into the zoo and then he begins to hear someone stating, "Boop," over and over again. And that's when he sees a group of zoo workers all in masks stating, "Boop." The staff rush at Wade and he tells them that he doesn't want to kill them, but that doesn't mean he won't hurt them. He manages to fight off a few of the workers, but one of them pulls out a tranq gun and fires it into Wade's chest. He runs over punching the shooter, screaming, "F you!" and then he begins to wobble. The workers all rush in and they knock Wade into the penguin pit. One worker stabs Wade with a broken broom and Wade grabs a penguin and throws it at the man. Wade then pulls himself out of the pit, but all of the workers then dogpile onto him, holding him down, and they spray a mist into his face. With Wade finally not being able to fight back, a voice then asks, "Who wants to see the tigers? Feed the beast." All of the workers then begin climbing into the cage of the tiger pit, and Wade tries to shout for them to stop. But one by one, the workers throw themselves into the pit to be mauled by the tigers. The voice then tells him, "I would prefer no witnesses, and I'm still not at full strength yet." Wade looks up to see a growth on a man's chest, and Madcap shouts, "I did it! I destroyed you!" And Wade asks, "What happened to you?" Madcap tells him that he'll find a new home until he can pull himself back together again. But he is so glad that he's had a chance to watch Wade die. The next morning, Wade's body is being examined when suddenly he wakes up in the middle of the procedure. He tells the doctors that he feels like hell, and then he looks down at his open chest cavity. One of the doctors says that he can see why, and Wade tells him that could he just do him a favor and throw everything back where he found it and close the hood? A short game of operation later, the doctor tells Wade that they had to cut away his clothes, but he can have them back, and Wade tells them to go ahead and throw them out. Afterwards, Wade heads back to the Avengers Theater, and he finds it closed down, and the foreman tells Wade that he's been a hard man to find. The bill is due. Wade walks in telling him to just send it to the office, and the foreman stops him stating, "We all have bills to pay, but my bosses are the kind of people who tend to settle things out of court." Wade looks at him and tells him to go ahead and tell his not mafia-controlled bosses that the money is on the way. And if they don't like it, they can come see him and his guns right here about it. And he slams the door shut. As Wade walks around, he sees no one there, and then he sees a stack of bills on his desk. Flipping through the bills, he comes up with an idea that he could pay the mafia, but he would need some work clothes. A short while later, at the horse racing track, some mafia men load their safe with money, and Wade bursts in shouting, "It's the inferior Spider-Man!" After kicking and taking out the thugs, Wade begins to sing the Spider-Man theme, clearly not knowing the words. And once he's done, he begins to fill his bag with the mafia money and he makes a break for it, which has him immediately stopped as Wade is blasted in the back with gunfire. "Ow, this suit's a rental!" He then jumps out the window and he runs over to the stables, and as he gets there, he punches one of the thugs, and then he punches a horse. Then he realizes what he did. "Sorry, horse, I got carried away. Please forgive," but the horse then kicks him before he can even finish. A short while later, Wade returns to the theater handing the foreman a sack of money. The foreman says that his bosses will be glad that he paid in cash, and Wade says that he's sure the cash missed his boss. He then hops into a cab just as Johnny Storm, the Human Torch, returns, and he tells Johnny to deposit the rest of this money into the group's main account. Johnny asks why doesn't he just do it, and Wade drives off stating that he really shouldn't be seen with that money right now. The cab driver asks where he's headed, and just then Wade gets a message stating that dinner's ready from Preston. He tells the driver to take him over to Queens, and as he arrives, Preston begins to ask him, "Seriously? Who invited you?" Wade holds up his phone telling her that she did. Here's the message! And then the two of them look inside to see Ellie, Deadpool's daughter. Wade says to himself, she's a clever girl, and he walks off. He tells Preston to tell her that he never got her a message. Preston sighs and tells him, "Fine, stay for dinner. Just don't break anything or kill anyone." Wade heads inside all happy, saying hello to his family, and soon they all sit down for dinner. But while they eat, Wade receives a call from Adsit. He heads outside to answer the call, and he asks Wade where he's at right now. Wade tells him that he's feeling a little emotionally vulnerable after the Unity Squad implosion, financially insecure after the Deadpool merch slowed down, and he's trying to keep his chin up. Or did Adsit mean where is he physically right now? Adsit confirms, so Wade tells him that he's currently outside of Preston's house. And Adsit tells him, "Good, don't go inside. Both of the corners are dead. There's something that was on your uniform that the doctors threw out, and whatever it is, it's weaponized and it's deadly." Wade falls silent, and Adsit asks if he's still there, and Wade says, "Madcap said he would destroy me." He looks back inside of the house and falls to his knees as he watches Ellie and the rest of his family dying. Once being cleared that she wasn't infected, Preston looks out at the rest of the family asking what's the prognosis. Adsit says that the doctors felt the safest thing to do was to put her family into a medically induced coma to buy them some time to get answers. She then asks, "Are they going to die?" And Adsit tells her all she can do right now is be here for them. She then turns and asks, "Where's Wade?" Adsit explains that they're currently examining him, and Preston runs over to the containment room where Wade is being placed. She tells him that she needs answers right now, and Wade says that he needs to be out of here finding Madcap right now. They can either let him go or he can break out. Either way, he's willing to cross the lines that S.H.I.E.L.D. wouldn't. Adsit tells Preston that it might not be worth the risk of having Wade around, and then she asks if the facility has a crematorium. Over in the furnace room, Adsit comments that this is the first time they're putting someone into the furnace alive, and the doctor says the heat is beyond 330 degrees. It's hot enough to kill anything, including the virus. But as the doctor goes to turn the switch off, Preston tells him not yet. She wants to make sure that her idiot is well done. A little while later outside, Preston says that she's already starting to regret this, and Wade asks why. She tells him because he's putting his boots on before his pants. Well, excuse me. I never really think about these things when I'm getting baked on high. Once Wade is finished suiting up, Preston asks where they're headed first, and he tells her to his old stomping ground, Sister Margaret's School for Wayward Children. The two head over to that bar, and after roughing a few of the men up, Wade asks if anyone here is selling viruses. One of the men shouts that he isn't afraid of him, and even if he was, he wouldn't be afraid just because he brought some law woman with him. And Wade tells him, "You got it all wrong. I'm actually protecting you from her." The man goes on shouting, and Preston grabs the man's hand, crushing it. Everyone else in the bar begins giving suggestions of who, including a woman stating that her boyfriend has the virus, but probably not the one that they're looking for. So Wade and Preston begin to beat up some Hydra agents, and then some wizards, and then some people over at the Hellfire Club. But while they end up taking down some people who were on their way to poison a Baccarat championship, Wade punts a guy with his minigun while Preston shouts that they're running out of time. Wade begins to stop and think. Madcap must be close. He wants to watch as he destroys my life. And Preston reminds him that Madcap has been currently growing on people like a parasite. So who's put on a few pounds lately? Both Wade and Preston turn to each other and state, "Adsit!" Over at Adsit's apartment, he sits looking through his telescope at the stars when suddenly there's a barrel of a gun as Wade tells him to check out his black hole. Wade grabs Adsit, telling him to take his shirt off, and Adsit shouts, "What the hell is wrong with you? You can't!" But Preston stops him, telling him to do it. Wade points his gun at Adsit, telling him, "Lift your shirt and do the truffle shuffle." So he does, stating that some people are driven to panic eating. Wade pokes him in the stomach, telling him, "I just wanted to make sure." So Preston tells the two of them to stop, she's getting a message. And then she says they're out of time. It's time for them to go be with the kids. Wade turns back to Adsit and tells him that he's sorry about the telescope, but Adsit tells him it's fine. He wasn't hurt too bad. And then Wade shoots it, asking, "Are you sure about that?" Back at the helicarrier, Preston tells Wade that she was grateful at the chance to adopt Ellie. It made being friends with him worth it, but look at what he's done. After slamming Wade into the wall a few times, she tells him he better do whatever he needs to do to undo this. It doesn't matter what it costs. So Wade heads out, calling the only person that he knows who would have an antidote for the virus. Cable, also known as Strife in the future. Wade asks what's it going to cost him for the cure, but he tells him not to worry about it now. He has a plan for him to work it off. A little while later, back at the helicarrier, Preston sits as her husband Terry's condition gets worse. She tells the doctor that Terry has a do not resuscitate if he's going to be brain damaged. But while her and the doctor go over what to do next, Wade runs in shouting that he has it, he has the cure! Just check for a blood clot that's forming in Terry's right leg. The doctors rush over with the cure and Preston asks how, and Wade tells her that she should be asking when. Preston begins crying, stating that she could kiss that glowing-eyed silver fox named Cable, and Wade says so can he, that he needs to borrow her phone for a moment. He hooks the phone up to a device and begins scanning it. Preston asks if Madcap maybe spoofed her phone. Wade tells her that Ellie didn't send him the text, Madcap did, and if he isn't very careful, they should be able to backtrack him. A ping goes off on the device and Wade says, now the question is whether they go alone or... And Preston says alone. They will go alone for this. Wade and Preston take off and she calls Wade's phone, leaving a voice message stating how everyone is dead and it's all his fault. Once they get into position, Wade jumps down into the abandoned factory. Preston then parks, continuing to leave the message. All the while, Madcap is listening in on that message, laughing, thinking that he's won. And the man that Madcap is attached to begins to state, oh no, and Hydra Bob is that man. Oh god, not those poor kids. And Madcap tells him, be quiet, you're ruining it! The phone call goes on as Preston asks Wade if he knows what his daughter's last words were. Mommy, please find Madcap in that abandoned factory and rip his heart out and send him to hell. That's when Madcap realizes he's been played. Uh-oh. And Bob tells him, they know. A boom goes off, shaking the building, and Madcap hits Bob in the groin, telling him that he didn't follow the safety precautions. After vomiting all over Madcap from the hit, Madcap tells him, you just signed your death warrant, boopity Bob. Elsewhere in the factory, Wade runs in, guns blazing, shooting down Hydra agents. As a few of them try to surround him, the agents hear a crack in the ceiling, and Preston comes crashing down, killing them. Another agent throws his weapon and his arms up, stating, please just arrest me. And Wade looks at him and shoots him, telling him, ain't nobody got time for that. Another agent shouts that he surrenders, just don't let Deadpool take him. And Preston punches through his stomach, telling him, I'm off the clock. Wade runs into the next room shouting that he knows that it's Bob. And Bob tells him, I'm sorry, but Madcap made me be quiet. I just thought it was a tumor. And I was really bummed when I found out I didn't have cancer. Wade walks up to arrest Bob/Madcap. And Preston runs in shouting that she will slide a ghost trap underneath his creepy ass. Wade stops her and tells Madcap that he went to the site of his accident. He knows all about him. Even that he woke up in the hospital screaming for his sister Katie. And then Wade tells him, I'm pretty sure she didn't exist. But whatever you think happened, didn't actually happen. Bob tells him not to antagonize him. Madcap has a tendril wrapped around his heart and he rigged the place to explode. And Wade tells him, who gives a crap about bombs? They can't kill me. Preston here is a murder bot, so... Bob screams in pain and he presses the button and the explosions go off. Wade tells Madcap that he may blame him for what he's become, but he was always a monster. And by the way, the kids are fine, so thanks for asking. Madcap jumps from Bob's stomach shouting, that can't be! You were supposed to destroy yourself! As Madcap claws away at Wade's face, the two fall over the rails, and Wade snaps his spine. Madcap begins to crawl away, stating, I'll boop you later! After escaping, Wade and Preston fly back, stating that they need to find a permanent solution for Madcap. And Wade tells her that he's gonna have to go away for a while to make that happen. As the two walk back into the medical office, Preston asks if the kids are ready to go home. Wade turns to Ellie and tells her to bump him, and she asks if she's gonna get poisoned again. And Wade says that there's only one way to find out. Preston then tells Wade to thank the Silver Fox again for the cure, and Wade thinks back to his meeting with Nate. Nate says that he'll save lives for him, but in return, he's going to have to claim 4 lives for him. Wade asks who's he gonna have to kill, and Nate says not to worry about it, just think about it as a long-term payment plan. Yeah, well, I don't really want to be your bitch, but the cost is too high. Nate walked off, stating that as they speak, Terry had a clot forming in his leg, and he'll be the first to die. And then he told Wade that his parents already paid the price for bringing him into this world. Does he really want to let the next generation die too? Is he prepared to compromise just a little and do whatever Strife wants him to do? There's a man who's been around for all of this insanity, and that man is Adsit. Scott Adsit, SHIELD agent, well, ex-SHIELD agent. He's had his life threatened, gotten fired, gotten a new job, and then lost all of his money, all because of Deadpool. So he's done with it. It's time to end it all. He walks to a bridge where he throws his badge in and he pulls out a gun. Then he notices 2 other people pulling out pistols and throwing them into the river. Aw, come on! Meanwhile, in a space rocket, Deadpool sits calmly in a seat. My name is Deadpool, and I'm commandeering this capsule in the name of revenge. I'm gonna find a weapon that will kill my nemesis Madcap. You see, it all started back when we were fused together by the power of... And the astronauts all look at each other. Do we have to listen to this? Kill is calm. Deadpool docks on the space station and thinks about the whole chain of events that led to this. Thor fused Madcap and Deadpool together. Madcap was then stuck in the insanity of Deadpool's mind. Not a nice place to be stuck in. So when he finally got free in order to get revenge for what Deadpool had put him through, Madcap once again began to fight against him. But then he attacked Wade's family. And while they have seemingly killed him, he'll regrow and he'll heal like Wade. So Wade is off in space to find himself a weapon that will get rid of Madcap for good. And with that, he jumps off the rocket and into the Watcher's home on the moon. The guy's been dead for a while, but maybe there's a weapon or two lying around. He walks over to the wall and he pulls out what appears to be a lightsaber and he cuts it open. Inside, he finds the place mostly ransacked already. The Watcher has been dead for quite some time now, so he walks around until he finds a video storage of great disasters in the universe. And it's through that and the live feed that he discovers a nearby space war. Perfect place to find some weapons! After rounding up the Watcher's surfboard and a kite, he parasails his way through the universe. And while surfing through space and riding on top of the rings of Saturn, Deadpool realizes that he's never done this before, like he's never taken a vacation. As he approaches the planet, he begins to burn up in its atmosphere as he falls down to the planet in the middle of a war with itself. This planet is overrun by the Ultron virus that Pimtron sent out to show the universe how evil the Avengers are. Deadpool gets up, chopping the head off of one of the Pimtron guys. He then plunges his lightsaber into another guy's head, and then one of the aliens runs up at him. "We're already dead!" And Deadpool gets ready. "I like your spirit, bub!" He tackles Deadpool, and as they roll down the hill of dead bodies, Deadpool kicks him in the alien nuts. He then throws the guy aside and he asks him, "So where can I find some weapons?" The alien begins to hold his nuts before telling Deadpool, "Nowhere." "Where?" "Nowhere." "I gotta go to nowhere?" "Yes. That's a place I should go." "That's where I would go if I were you." "It's a place with weapons?" "Oh, sure." "The place I gotta go. Does it have a name?" "Nowhere." "Okay, I got it. Keep it on the down low. I can do that. Where do I go?" "Nowhere." "Ah, I see," Deadpool says, handing him some cash. "Here's something for your troubles. Now, where do I go?" I don't have any paper for you." "No big deal. Just tell me where I gotta go." "But I did." "You did?" "Yes. It's a real place." "Certainly. The place I gotta go." "That's right." "So let's say I hop on a ship right now. Where would I tell the captain to take me?" "Tell him nowhere." "All I'm trying to do is find out where to go." "Nowhere." "So tell me where to go." "Nowhere." "Say nowhere one more time." "Nowhere is..." "Do I look like your space bitch?" And with that, Deadpool cuts the guy's brains out. Short while later, the Nova Corps arrives and finds Deadpool in the fetal position talking to himself. "Nowhere." Wouldn't it be funny if that were like a real place? Over at the Nova Corps headquarters, Adsit sits down at his new job, away from Earth and up in space. Far, far away from Deadpool. And while his first day as the commander of his little Nova squad didn't exactly go over well, as most of the galaxy hates humans with the amount of things that they just seemingly randomly destroy, Adsit sadly walks down the corridor because he was yelled at again, until he enters into the sickbay with a robot informing him that there's been a situation. His eyes go wide with shock. Oh god, it can't be. Wade tries on a helmet and then he sees him. "Adsit, what are you doing here? I was gonna try and sneak inside and kill as many people as possible, but it looks like you already did it. So let's sneak out together and kill twice as many as when we entered." Adsit is literally in disbelief. "I left Earth to get away from you." "Why? What'd I do to you?" Deadpool says, confused. "I don't want to be the guy that just dies in one of your stories. Remember when we first met and you hired me to kill a bunch of dead presidents?" "Touché. Not all the stupid in my life is your fault, but I transferred from S.H.I.E.L.D. to the Nova Corps to keep the Earth safe. And I just want to date a green-skinned girl." And now the truth comes out. Say, while I have you, what's the most powerful weapon in the universe? Adsit thinks about it. I think that's the ultimate nullifier. It can destroy anything. But no one knows where it is right now. Deadpool looks at the computer on the wall. "That sounds perfect. Computer, print me up a replica of the ultimate nullifier." "Well, Adsit, once you're done here, I'll be on Earth kicking butts waiting for you." "I'm going to die in space." "Alright, well, one more question, and I'll leave you alone. Where do I find some kick-ass weapons?" "There's a dead celestial head on the outer reaches of space called Nowhere." Deadpool throws his helmet back on and he walks out. "Oh, that Nowhere! Why didn't the crazy guy just say that?" And with that, Deadpool pokes his head in one of the Nova Corps rooms to inform them, "Hey guys, I have the nullifier, you know, the ultimate nullifier, and I'm off to Nowhere. Not that that's anyone's business." They all hit their pads and send out the message over space. Ultimate nullifier found, Earthling heading to Nowhere with it. And up in Asgard, Heimdall sees the message going out and reports it back to the Asgardians that the ultimate nullifier has been found. So Lady Sif grabs whoever she can and they head off for Nowhere. Meanwhile, Deadpool has made his way to the bar on Nowhere when a bunch of ugly aliens arrive pointing at Deadpool. There he is! And then Lady Sif arrives with her Asgardians. Deadpool looks at them all. You guys want it? Come in and get it! He leaves behind the bar to find exactly what he was expecting, a shotgun, and then he stands up, opening fire on the weird aliens, which instantly disintegrates it. Deadpool looks back at the gun. Oh, you sexy beast. This one's definitely a keeper. He jumps up, kicking one of the Asgardians in the face, and as he jumps back on Deadpool, Deadpool pulls out a second lightsaber and cuts the guy's hands off. Then the Asgardian's hand that was holding an axe is kicked across the room by Deadpool, embedding it into an alien's head, and as the alien drops his gun, Deadpool grabs that, and he shoots it at another alien. Lady Sif looks at him rather angrily. This ends now. Give me the weapon. And Deadpool jokingly asks her, could you please specify, because I have so many arms right now. Didn't mean to rub it in, Stumpy. He then blasts the Asgardian through the chest, killing him. The Asgardian appears in Valhalla, where they bring his stumpy hands a drink and they ask how he died. Once he tells them that it was Deadpool, the entire meat hall bursts out laughing at him. Back with Deadpool, the walls are ripped apart and in walks the Brood Queen, shouting in whatever their language is of clicks and noises, give us the nullifier. The alien-type creatures walk in, spitting acid all over Deadpool. Deadpool begins to wipe away the acid and asks them, is this acid? Oh, how original. Next you'll shove a baby down my throat. And the Brood replies with their own language of, once again, clicks and noises, telling Deadpool, oh, that's rich. Tell Deathstroke I said hello. The Brood grabs him, throwing him into the ceiling, and Deadpool falls over woozy. And he begins to think, you know, it just hit me. I'm on vacation. I went parasailing. I played golf. I hate golf. I got to do my favorite things, breaking into a crime scene, living in another guy's house, use my new weapons to kill people. I've been so preoccupied with Madcap and my wife problems that I haven't had any time for me. This feels good. And while he's deciding that he's happy in his mind, Lady Sif and the Warriors chomp and hack away at the Brood until it dies. With it finally disposed of, they walk over to Deadpool ready to destroy him before the Brood infection can take hold, and that's when they begin to argue over the nullifier again, and with that, Deadpool sits up, only to have a chest burster break out of his uniform. The aliens and Lady Sif quickly figure out that the youngling Brood is fused with Deadpool's chest because of his regeneration abilities, and the little one kills the alien! Deadpool pats him on the head. Aw, good boy. And then the little alien spits acid into Lady Sif's eyes. Deadpool stands up after hearing everyone say that they gotta kill the alien. You hear that, buddy? They're coming for you. But don't worry, I'm not gonna let any crummy aliens John Wick my pet. Here, I have a present for you to make it official. And he throws a little Deadpool mask on him. You guys don't want to know what I normally put this on. Everyone meet Deadpal, or maybe Broodpool. With that, Broodpool begins to shoot at everyone while Deadpool is cutting them up with lightsabers. He blasts away at the Asgardians and the aliens, kisses the bar girl, chops up the Nova Corps, shoots up some space wizards, and then he cuts chunks of meat out of the red shirts. As the mess gets bigger and bigger, one more opponent appears, Rocket Raccoon, but after seeing Deadpool spinning in circles with lightsabers, he decides he's gonna pass on this one. With everyone dead, Deadpool grabs a bottle, taking a drink, and then he gives some to his little pal. Then he tells Broodpool, it's time to go, buddy. Just get out of here. Go. Broodpool refuses, so Deadpool tells him, anyone close to me gets hurt, man. You gotta go. And Broodpool continues to refuse. So Deadpool raises a chainsaw into the air. Game over, man. And he hacks Broodpool off of him. He kicks him away, and after flipping off Deadpool, Broodpool crawls off. Before Deadpool can leave, though, a man in a funny cape with a golden falcon arrives. You there. My name is Monarch, and I have an offer for you. Nice to meet you, Monarch. I'm Santa Claus of Earth. Deadpool takes a swing at him, so Monarch blasts a hole in his stomach, and then he reaches down, grabbing the ultimate nullifier, only to see that it's a replica. But once Deadpool heals, Monarch sees something that his employer may be a tad more interested in than the nullifier. So he teleports Deadpool to the Collector's home, where the Collector looks at Deadpool and says that he'd love a regenerating guy. But once he pulls off Deadpool's helmet, and Deadpool gives him that crooked smile, the Collector realizes that he's far too ugly for the collection. Before the Collector can leave, though, Deadpool tells him about another guy, a clown with an indestructible ability as well. The Collector grabs Deadpool and brings him into the halls of collections, where Deadpool explains who Madcap is, and after looking at him through the Collector's little devices to see around the world, the Collector decides that he wants him. If Deadpool can get a hold of this Madcap, he'll seal him away in this collection, effectively removing him from Earth. That sounds like the ultimate answer to Deadpool's plan. Can't really kill Madcap, but you can just get rid of him. So Deadpool walks back out of the portal with a device to call on the Collector when he has Madcap, and he hands Monarch a grenade as a gift for the honorable defeat that he took at the hands of Monarch. Once the portal closes, the grenade explodes, and then the Collector has to piece Monarch back together again. And the words, "I will slay Santa Claus," ring throughout the halls of the trophies. Deadpool was teleported back to nowhere and in the bar that he destroyed, which is where he met a green prostitute. She gives him a spray which will make him unbeatable, and Deadpool hires her for one more thing. A short time later, after Deadpool takes a ship and heads back home, Adsit gets a little gift from Deadpool, the green-skinned alien girl. And she has a message for Adsit. Goodbye. And she smacks him on the butt, leading him to his room. Deadpool makes his way to Ego the Living Planet, where he took some space rocks, and then he heads back home, landing in a zoo, where he assumes that we blew up the planet and the apes took over until he realizes he's in a zoo. He drops off the space rocks with his daughter, who smiles, throwing them at the Lego house with joy, and then he made his way back to his base, where he walked down with a renewed vigor, ready to end this with Madcap. That's when he saw something he wasn't expecting. Steve Rogers, Captain America, standing there. Your country needs you. I need you, Deadpool. And Deadpool smiles. Groovy! There's nothing that I wouldn't do for you, Cap. I grew up idolizing Captain America. I fought him when I first met him because I was too nervous to tell him what a fan I was. It's bad business to meet your hero, so I tried to kill mine. Not long ago, he helped me stay sane through the worst thing I'd ever been through, and then he made me an Avenger. It was one of the weirdest, best days of my life. And now I'm on freelance jobs for him directly. Today's job is to find Phil Coulson for Steve. You see, Steve hasn't taken over as Hydra's leader yet. Nothing seems wrong about this, does it? So Deadpool drops in on Preston and her family and his daughter Ellie. They're having a barbecue. In a typical Deadpool fashion, he uses a helicopter to get in there and he messes up their night. He grabs a burger and some chips and he asks Preston for Coulson. She probably knows where he's hiding, they're good friends, and Deadpool needs to find him fast. She gives up the information because Deadpool is her friend. He's helped her through thick and thin. He's a hero, right? Coulson is off in one of his safe houses, sending off messages warning people that there is something wrong with Steve Rogers. He suspected it ever since Steve became young again, and he's gone into hiding to try and stop whatever Steve is planning. But Steve knew, and he asked Deadpool to handle it. Deadpool fires an RPG at Coulson's flying car, taking it out of the sky, as Coulson is trying to find a way to get his message past the jamming that Deadpool set up. It crashes into a tree and Coulson runs for it, shouting back, "I'm gonna kill whoever you are for murdering Lola!" And Deadpool chases him. "You had a flying car and you named it Lola? I should kill you on principle!" Coulson sees that it's Deadpool and he realizes that he doesn't stand a chance. It's Deadpool, trained killer, world-famous assassin. He runs back into one of his safe houses wondering how Deadpool even found him, and then he realized that Preston must have given him up. This confirms every suspicion that he had about Captain America. There's something wrong with Cap, and Coulson will do everything he can to save Captain America. He would die for Cap. Problem is, Deadpool will kill for Cap. Deadpool leaps into a window and Coulson slams the panic room door shut. Deadpool, you're on the wrong side on this one. Ask yourself, Phil, has anybody ever said that about Captain America and been right? Coulson shuts his eyes. Whatever Cap is about to unleash on America, I could have stopped it. And as he's shutting his eyes, Deadpool got a gun in and he shot Coulson in the stomach. Coulson looks down scared at what just happened, and he gets out the words, "Wait, stop," before collapsing. Deadpool stepped outside and there was Captain America. "Sit rep. Tango down, Cap." Deadpool walked out with an explosion going off behind him and he asks, "Do I get to know what this is about?" "Yes, Wade, but not tonight." "How am I gonna explain this to Preston, Cap?" "She'll understand soon enough. Everyone will. There's going to be seismic changes in the country, Wade, and I'm counting on you to help me make them happen." Deadpool looked down at his own reflection in the glass as Cap told him, "It's time to water the Tree of Liberty." Some time passes and Secret Empire does take over. Captain America becomes the leader of Hydra, and he's used the power that the United States government gave him to conquer the entire country. The country is kind of in a weird state. It's Hydra-controlled and everything is changing around Deadpool. And Deadpool? Well, he's one of the top agents in this new regime. It's his job to find and remove the resistance. He isn't exactly happy about any of this, but he's playing along right now. And as he walks into the Hydra base declaring, "Fail Hydra!" They all question him, asking why he said that, and he goes, "Gale Hydra? Nail Hydra!" To keep Hydra thinking that he's on their side, he agrees that he's going to take down the Resistance members. People that matter. Like Speedball! Okay, not people that matter. He jumps off of a rocket to find Speedball on a motorcycle and he tackles him off of it. Speedball hits the ground telling Deadpool that he knew that he had been working with the bad guys. And Deadpool gets up throwing his sword at Speedball that bounces off of Speedball, stabbing Deadpool in the shoulder. Then Speedball hits Deadpool into a tree telling him, "We all looked up to the Unity Squad. Why did you join Hydra?" Deadpool shoots at Speedball and the bullets all bounce back hitting Deadpool. "Must remember to check myself before I wreck myself." Speedball then runs up on him, taking him to the ground, asking why he's even here fighting him. And Deadpool tries to kick him in the knee. And of course, that's bounced back as well, and he knees himself in the face. Speedball then asks him, "Did you want to get your butt kicked?" And Deadpool answers him slyly, "No, but I knew that you would monologue or grandstand or both." He hits a gas pellet that begins to rise, and then he jumps on Speedball, putting him into a chokehold. "You got a lot of heart, kid. Bet you thought I was gonna say balls." Then he sits on the unconscious Speedball, calling for transport. He brings Speedball back, and they demand to know why he even brought in this guy. They want the leaders of the Resistance, not some low level. And he responds by telling them, "Kill Hydra!" And he soars back off. He begins to hunt for the Resistance main base, and he checks all of the usual spots. Eventually, he does find it. Maybe the base, because he finds Quicksilver delivering supplies to Hawkeye. But he packs up and goes home. He has to pick up Ellie from school. She doesn't like this. Why did her life have to change? Where's her mom? Where's Preston? Then he heads back to Hydra, where he reports what he found. In the Mount, the supposed location of the Resistance he found, that's when he gets a text from the school stating that there's a problem. And the Hydra commander demands to know what is in the Mount. So Deadpool turns to him. "Take it off the board. It's empty." He turns to leave, the commander tells him, "Aren't you forgetting something? Hail Hydra." He goes to the school where they explain that Ellie attacked a bunch of kids, and the proof is, well, Ellie YouTubed it. Deadpool turns on her. "Oh, how many hits did it get?" The principal turns to Wade. "What does it matter? We're going to expel Ellie from this school." And then Deadpool knocks him out. Boring conversation anyway. He gets up and he turns to Ellie to see her stealing the principal's wallet. "Hey, you can't steal from your sleepy principal." Ellie turns back angrily, yelling, "Fine!" And she throws the wallet at him. "No, Ellie, you're supposed to tell me how much is in it so we can make an informed decision as to whether or not we take it or leave it." They then get onto Wade's motorcycle and Ellie tells him, "I want my mom. I told you. She had to go underground." With tears in her eyes, she shouts, "Are you lying to me? Dad, did you hear me? Where's my mom?" And Wade looks on. Preston. You see, it happened right after the Hydra takeover. Ellie called her mom outside and they looked as the Darkhold dome went up over New York. Preston tried to call up S.H.I.E.L.D., but of course there was no response as Steve had taken over S.H.I.E.L.D. at this point, and a car was waiting for her out front. She climbed in and saw that there were 4 agents escorting her, which made her question, why did she have 4 agents escorting her? They tell her that it's possible that her synthetic body can breach the dome. And if you're curious about that, all the way at the start of this Deadpool run, Preston lost her body and her spirit now resides in this robot body. One of the agents makes a call stating that they have Preston and they're en route, and she asks about that as well. I thought comms were down. They go for their guns, so she throws them both out of the car and then kicks the driver's seat, setting off the airbags and grabbing the last guy, throwing him into the streets. She pulls that car over and finds Deadpool conveniently there. "Preston, are you driving for Uber now?" She saw her friend, one of her greatest friends, and the father of the girl that she's watching, the girl that calls her mom. And she told Deadpool to get into the car. They need to find Coulson. He'll know what to do. 50 miles later, Deadpool hasn't said a word and Preston knew that something was off. She asked Wade what was going on. It's not like him not to talk. He slammed his fist on the dashboard. "This is a mistake, Preston. All of the action is in New York and we're driving into the Catskills." And she turns to him. "A few days ago, I told you how to find Coulson. Why did you need him?" Captain America was concerned that there was something wrong inside of S.H.I.E.L.D., and they wanted to know why Coulson went dark. I never found Coulson, though. They eventually arrive at the town and at Coulson's hideout, only to find it burned down. She asked Deadpool to do a sweep inside, and while he walked off, she went to a secret camera and replayed the footage. The footage of Coulson running past, Deadpool chasing him, shots being fired, and then Deadpool and Captain America watching the place burn. She watched the man that she thought that she could trust killing her other friend, and the one guy who may be able to stop this. She begins to cry, and as Deadpool walks out, she tells her robotic body to stop the emotional responses. She walks over to Deadpool. "I want to tell you something, Wade." And with a hurt look in his eyes, he asks, "What's that?" And she slams his jaw off of his face, telling him, "Your daughter called the good man that you murdered Uncle Phil." Back in the present day, Deadpool brought Ellie to their apartment and she looked at her father. "I don't understand. I just want to go home. Back to the Prestons." "I know, Ellie. I'm trying to tell you. You can't. Not ever." And continuing to cry, she looks at him. "Why?" "Because one day we woke up and the world was different. Because you're different." He pulls off his mask. "You have a mutant gene that's going to be activated one day, and some people believe it to be a curse while others believe it to be a gift. We're all just trying to survive, and now I have to do extra work to keep you safe. Hydra is moving against people like you to make other people feel safe, and that's why I need you to behave. Draw no attention to yourself, and I'll continue to work to make you safe. I have to go to work now, and I might be gone for a while. I need you to lock the door and answer to nobody." He went back to Hydra Command where he dropped off another D-list supervillain and they demanded to know, "Where's Maria Hill? Where's Hawkeye? Where's the Resistance?" And he walked out telling them that he'll work on it. Hail yada yada yada. But the fight with Preston and Deadpool didn't end there, and as Deadpool went to his next location, he remembered how it ended. I know you killed Coulson, don't deny it. Deadpool tried to stop her though. Preston, listen! And she punched his chest in. She picked him up by his throat, demanding to know why. Captain America told me that Coulson had gone rogue. He needed him stopped by any means necessary for national security. I didn't know any of this was going to happen. She hit Deadpool so hard that his teeth went flying. That's bull. What was Coulson investigating? No idea. Give me a break, Preston. He's hardly the first S.H.I.E.L.D. agent the government wanted removed. Your old boss, Gorman, was dirty. And when Captain America says jump, you jump. Something's wrong with him, Wade. Can't you see that? Hindsight being 20/20? Yeah, maybe. Over the years, I had plans to remove you. I was worried that someone could control your weak mind like Butler did. Because is there anything scarier than an unkillable puppet? But I never expected the hand up your butt to be Steve Rogers. She throws Deadpool into a lamppost telling him, here, I'll spoil the ending. I'm gonna rip your limbs off and put them in cement-filled caskets that wailed shut. The last step is to drop you into the Atlantic. With blood pouring out of his face and bones broken all over his body, he tells her, my mistake was ever trying to be good. You needed me for a dirty job and then the dirty work piled up, didn't it? For you, for S.H.I.E.L.D., for Rogers, for the Avengers. But you made a mistake too. You got too close. And he rolled over, showing her a grenade, which then went off. She woke up in time to see Deadpool yanking out her core and depowering her. He took out her black box and then he sent it through the mail telling the clerk, it's your life if this package goes missing. He then went to the Preston's house to get Ellie, and while she fought against him, he put her on his motorcycle, while Preston's husband demanded to know where his wife was. And he told him. She went underground, and he left. Back in the present day, Deadpool went over and found the location of Blackout, and he told the Hydra commander that he was going to do exactly what they wanted. He was going to bring them Maria Hill next. Elsewhere, Steve Rogers is giving a speech to some school students when he walks out of the building and a bomb goes off, throwing his guards to the ground and himself. Maria Hill walks up through the smoke as Steve tells her that she doesn't have to kill anyone, and she shoots the guards. And with that, without a second thought, Maria Hill shoots Steve Rogers in the head. And then he looks at her with the bullet hole, and he tells her, Potato, panda, and a handa. He pulls the face mask off, revealing that it's actually Deadpool. Sorry, he hit the language center of my brain. He stands up and he takes out the Supreme Leader costume and he tells her, don't worry, I'm not bringing you in. She opens fire. Oh, I'm not worried. You're incapable of taking me in. Maria, the country's burning down and you're fighting the wrong guy. She kicks him in the face, telling him, inform Preston of that. Tell Coulson that. Who else did you kill, Wade? What's it to you, murder hag? Everything that's happened is your fault. Your secret prison changed the world. She continues to shoot into Deadpool. Don't lay your flaming bag of crap at my door. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were the Maria Hill that brainwashed a lot of U.S. citizens in some crazy science experiment that resulted in Bizarro Captain America. I got you confused with the other Maria Hill. She throws a grenade at him and he bats it into a car, blowing it up. And then she shoots at Deadpool as he tells her, stop! I have information for you. And then she runs into the parking garage nearby. Hill, listen, I have a way to save New York, but I can't do it alone safely. She rams him with a van and then climbs out, crushing his legs. Oh, so we're gonna steal this from a Stephen King novel. And she tells him, I'm listening. Maria, I know where Blackout is. We can free Manhattan. That's where Unity Strange and all the other heroes are, right? He's a prisoner in 847 of the Hydra Detention Center. Let's say I believe you. Why should I trust a man who follows Captain America? I never questioned him. Captain America trusting you should have been a warning sign that there was something wrong with him. Did you kill Preston and Coulson? Just admit it. Deadpool doesn't reply. That's what I thought. I'll check out your Blackout lead because I have a feeling you're the kind of guy that would hedge his bets as to who's going to win this. Hill, I can help you. The idea that I would trust you is laughable. Hill, don't leave me like this. Don't do this. Let me come with you. I'll get myself in, and I won't have to wonder if I'm gonna get shot in the back. Hill, let me fight, please! And she blows up the entire building, dropping it on Deadpool. It took a couple of days for the rescue crews to get into that rubble. They believed that whoever flipped the fire alarms early on saved everyone. If someone was trapped, they couldn't have survived anyway, so Deadpool laid buried there. Back at his apartment, Ellie was there, alone until the food ran out. Then she put her things on and wandered the streets. Deadpool sat there thinking to himself through the days. I know why I did what I did. History will not look kindly on what I've done. Like I give a crap. There's one person that I want to know the truth though, but I fear I've lost Ellie now too. This is the death that I deserve. Here in the rubble. Except death will never take me. Deadpool eventually did get out, but he missed everything. The defeat of Hydra Cap, the final battle, rescuing of the heroes. No one knows that it was Deadpool's information that saved New York, and no one will ever know that. He's just another guy who picked the wrong side of this fight. He thought back to where this all began, the day that he joined S.H.I.E.L.D. How happy he was. They scanned him and gave him access, and he joked, "Ha! Deadpool, the worst Avenger, has a nice ring to it, right?" Preston smiled at him. You aren't going to be the worst Avenger. That's Mr. Druid, that fella that could talk to trees and whatnot. Please, Preston, don't rob the tree whisperer of his dignity. Plus, he's a doctor. Coulson came over, putting his hand on Deadpool's shoulder. Wade, we're just having fun. I know. That's why I haven't killed any of you yet. Ha! Man, you got to hear Steve Rogers say those words. I want you to be an Avenger, Wade. And that's when we go back to the present day. Deadpool, suit torn and charred to the bone, sitting in a bar with a few too many beers in front of him. Yeah, Coulson, it was the best. In the quiet apartment of Laura and Gabby Kinney, there's a scream as Pentagon the Pelican loses a leg. Gabby looks at Jonathan the Wolverine as he's chewing through the broken leg of the statue, asking, "How could you?" Laura comes in holding a leash, telling Gabby that her pet Wolverine just ate through a statue. It's probably time to take him for a walk. Gabby says maybe he doesn't need one. And Laura says if only they had some kind of universal translator so that he could tell them, oh wait, they do. After tying the small device around Jonathan's neck, Jonathan tells them, need outside, sunshine, air, taste of other bird statues. And a short while later, Gabby is out walking Jonathan. It's not long into their walk that Jonathan begins to smell something, and he immediately begins to growl and pull at the leash. Gabby tries to control him, but Jonathan just starts running full force, dragging Gabby behind him. Once he finally stops, he begins to growl towards a building with 2 armed guards sitting outside. Gabby looks at the building and asks, what is this place? And he simply says, bad place. Hurt. Jonathan. Hurt family. So Gabby calls the one person that she knows who can help in this kind of a situation, Deadpool. Wade picks up the phone telling her, hi kiddo! And Gabby asks if it's a bad time. Wade, who was in the middle of stabbing someone, tells her, oh no, I'm not doing anything important. Gabby tells him good, there's something that she was hoping that he could help her with. Wade asks, this isn't something Wolverine can help with, is it? Is it unethical? Is it illegal? Gabby says that she's not sure Laura would help with this, so it's probably unethical. And it's definitely illegal. Wade tosses the body off his sword and he tells her, all right, I'll be right there. Once Wade gets to where Gabby is, he looks at Jonathan and it says, oh my god, he talks. Who's a sweetie little snookums? And as Wade extends his hand to pet Jonathan, Jonathan snaps at him, telling him, we'll eat face off. Gabby yells at Jonathan and Wade tells her, no, it's okay. We've established some boundaries, that's all. And, what is this place anyway? Gabby then says that Jonathan was rescued from a lab and she's pretty sure that this is the one that he was experimented on. Wade tells her, so, you want to burn it down? And Gabby yells, hell no! I want to save the animals! Wade tells her, oh, of course! And then burn it down? And Gabby tells him, they'll cross that bridge when they get to it. And they'll probably burn it down. A few moments later, Gabby walks up to the guards and says, hello, I'm not sure where this sentence is going, but it's okay. I'm only here to confuse and disarm you. The men stare at Gabby, and then Wade reaches from behind, holding a cloth over the 2 men's faces. Gabby asks, do you always carry chloroform? And Wade tells her, of course. In fact, I'd like to give you this bottle. How irresponsible would I be if I let you walk around without a means of knocking anyone out? Now it's time to suit up and get to business. After Gabby gets her honey badger costume on, Wade and her just walk right in, and his security guard yells, hey, you can't be in here. Gabby quickly takes out a cloth with chloroform, putting it on the guard's mask, telling him, shh. The guard falls backwards, hitting his head, and Gabby asks if she was supposed to catch him. And Wade tells her, yeah, but it's your first chloroforming. Don't stress about it. As Wade goes behind the counter, he looks at the computers and he says that the first few floors are full of animals, and he can open them all up from here. How convenient! Gabby then begins to walk towards the testing room, and Wade tells her, hang on a second. You need to prepare yourself for what you're about to see. These animals could have makeup on. Wade pushes open the door and sees a pack of zombie rabbits and squirrels and says, well, they are not spraying perfume in their eyes. But this also means that they have done something else. They've reanimated the dead. Gabby looks at the animals and says that those are monsters. They made zombies cute! Wade then says that he's not sure how to handle this situation. He's had dreams like this before. And Gabby tells him that they're already dead. They have to destroy them. So she pops her claws and yells, I'm really sorry about this, but we're gonna put you out of your misery. Come hippity hop to your doom. After cutting up a pack of zombie animals, the 2 head down the hallway and they see a zombie sloth. Wade shouts, whoa, we have to be careful with this one. And they stand there and they wait and they wait and they wait. And Wade simply says, okay, this one might be a little while before it becomes an actual threat. You want something from this vending machine? Gabby yells, vengeance! And Wade tells her, they're all out of vengeance. How about a soda? And Gabby tells him that soda will do for now. But as the zombie animal killing continues, Laura sniffs the area and walks into the front door asking, is that Deadpool? Wade spins around, surprised, with 8 squirrels skewered on his swords, and yells, this is not what it looks like. Laura tells him that it looks like he just made squirrel kebabs, and Wade tells her, okay, that's actually right. Gabby then runs up asking Laura how did she find him, and Laura tells her that she only went 4 blocks. Plus she's Wolverine. Now tell her why she passed a half-dead sloth back there. Gabby then says that this is the place where Jonathan was kept. They've done terrible things to the animals here. She didn't say anything because she thought that she would get mad and stop her. Laura smiles, putting her hand on Gabby's shoulder, telling her that she should have called. She would have come, and now she's here, so how about they finish this? Just then, one of the scientists runs out of a door with a shotgun, yelling for everyone to get on the floor. Wade looks at the man and laughs and tells him, "Look at you! You think you're an actual threat. That's just the cutest little thing that I've ever seen." Laura walks up and says that she'll take it that he's the one responsible for all of these abominations. The scientist yells, "Of course I am! They all tried to stop me," and Wade looks at the door that the scientist came from and reads the words, "The Pit," spray painted across it, and asks, "What is this?" The scientist tells Wade not to go in, but Wade, being Wade, opens it up. Inside is a pit filled with some more zombie animals, and Jonathan says, "Family." Laura looks around and sees that there's no computers or cameras anywhere. This whole thing is for sport. The scientist points his gun at Jonathan, telling him to step back, and Laura swipes her claws, cutting the shotgun in half. Jonathan begins to growl and inch towards the scientist, and as he steps back, he ends up falling into the pit with the zombie Wolverines. While the scientist is being eaten alive, Wade begins stacking barrels, and Jonathan says, "Leave now. Hungry. Eat bird statue." Wade then kneels down with Gabby and holds out a gas can and a lighter, asking, "Would you like to do the honors?" Moments later, the three leave as the building bursts into flames, and Wade says that badasses walk away from a fire and can't look back, but we should probably watch it burn. Gabby shouts, "Oh hell yes we should." They all sit down with Jonathan stating, "Old family gone, new family here." Wade begins petting Jonathan and says, "Aw, he's just a big softy, isn't it?" And Jonathan tells him, "We'll eat piece of you while you sleep." As everyone watches the building burn, Gabby says, "Wow, catharsis is really pretty." As the rain comes down on Cable's lifeless body, Cable's AI Belle shouts that he needs to get up. She'll inject as much adrenaline as she dares put into him. And seconds after the adrenaline flows through Cable's body, he wakes up screaming, picking himself up, asking, "Where am I?" Deadpool steps out of the shadows, pulling the cord on his chainsaw, telling him, "You're right here, and I'm here to kill." Deadpool swings the chainsaw down, and Cable quickly blocks it with his prosthetic arm, telling him, "That's the crap I know." As Cable pushes Deadpool back, he punches into him, telling Belle to call for Trista. Belle tells him ordnance inbound, and Deadpool asks, "What are you doing? Telling Siri to call someone from the future to take me out?" There's a loud pop, and Cable grabs the giant gun materializing in front of him. And he says, "Actually, yeah." Cable pulls the trigger, blasting into Deadpool, and Deadpool shouts, "What the hell is that? It feels like anime. I hate anime." Cable then tells the gun's computer to induce a pain stasis around the target. Maximum power. As the stasis holds Deadpool in place, Cable walks over, telling him, "I don't know what's wrong with you, Deadpool." And Belle tells him, actually, he's been asking that for a few hundred years now. As for our current situation, body sliding and time jump capabilities are both recharging. For now, we're gonna need to put some distance between you and Deadpool. A short while later, Deadpool says that this is probably the most metal thing that has ever happened to me. And then the bubble pops, dropping Deadpool on his head. He gets back up, running through the streets, knowing that with some of the wounds that Cable had, he's going to have to head to a hospital, right? As Deadpool walks into the hospital lobby, he tells everyone, "Don't worry, I'm not here for you. Do not talk me into it, though." He pulls back the curtains looking for Cable, and just as he finds him, he starts shooting at him through the curtain. Deadpool pulls the curtain back to see a shot in a random man's legs, and he tells him, "Hey, at least you're already in the emergency room, right?" Suddenly, an oxygen tank is thrown into Deadpool's face, and he stumbles into another room shouting, "Oh, I'm gonna kill you!" The doctor and patient in the room begin to scream, and Cable charges into Deadpool's back, and he begins beating his head. Cable then throws Deadpool, telling him, "Fine, I don't care anyway. Everyone has a plan to permanently kill you, and we're about to see what mine is like." Cable tackles Deadpool into the MRI room, shouting, "I tried to warn Rogers. Everything Wade Wilson touches turns to garbage." And Deadpool punches Cable in the throat, telling him, "Are you kidding? This is your fault. Well, not this specific part. This one's kind of my bad." As Deadpool then hits the switch for the MRI, suddenly Cable's prosthetic arm is swung back from the magnetic pull of the machine. Deadpool walks up, telling him, "That's why I have carbon fiber katanas. Always thought I'd surprise Magneto to death. Funny how life works out, huh?" Then Deadpool swings down, cutting Cable's prosthetic arm off. Cable's eye flares up as he calls him a maniac, and Deadpool sighs, telling him, "Yep, sorry, Nate. Didn't have much of a choice here." As Deadpool swings his katana at Cable, it suddenly stops inches from his neck, and Deadpool says, why can't I move?" Cable tells him, "It's a tachyon field, dumbass. It's not one of mine either." Suddenly, a voice calls out that this is Time Variance Officer Salcido. They've secured the prison. Cable tells them thanks for the assist, officers, and Salcido tells him, "We're not here for Wade. We're here for you, Cable, or the man who's going to become Strife, the evil Cable." The officers grab a hold of him, and he yells, "Wait! Strife's a clone! It's really complicated." A few seconds later, the officers leave with Cable, and they resume time, freeing Deadpool from his location. He falls over sighing, picking up the phone asking for radiology. Strife answers, telling him, "What rotten luck to have the TVA show up, huh? Well, you have everything there to finish the job, so get to it." Deadpool looks at the prosthetic arm, and Belle tells him, "I am not helping you." So Deadpool tells her, yeah, I gotta do everything the hard way." He sticks one of his katanas through a door, and he positions his arm just above it. Then with a hard tug, he pulls his arm down, cutting it off. He grabs the prosthetic arm, with Belle shouting that he's despicable. And suddenly she's hit in the back of the head. Deadpool's AI says that it's going to take over for a second. He'll start by getting things taken care of. Deadpool positions the arm in his socket, stating, "Whatever. Just boot up the time machine. I gotta cut out Cable's heart." Over in Cable's cell, he tells Salcido that they really shouldn't have left his arm back in 2017. Deadpool will find a way to get here. Salcido says that there's no way that Deadpool could even find them, and Cable tells him, "Yeah, tell yourself that. Also, I want to get my call." Salcido asks how the hell would Deadpool even locate this place, and Cable tells him, "That's easy. He would use the Avengers database to collect information on the TVA. Then he would wait at a specific time to find a TVA officer and, well, kill him. He'll then get the information that he wants, and then there will be some knocking at the door." Salcido begins to tell him that there's no way that Deadpool could, but then there's gunshots coming from outside the door. The doors slide open, and Deadpool, holding the cut-off head of an officer that he killed to get here, says, "Turns out retinal scanners are easy when you roll it with katanas." He throws the head at one of the guards, and he proceeds to hack and slash his way through. Cable stands up in his cell, telling Salcido that he would like his phone call now. And at another time, Old Man Cable lays in his bed as the phone begins to ring. Old Man Cable opens up his eyes, and he grabs the phone, asking, "What do you want?" Cable tells his future self, "I'm fighting Deadpool in 2017, and I don't know how to stop him. These events have thrown a curveball." Old Man Cable tells him, "Wade lost everything. Men who have lost everything are exceedingly hard to beat. Perhaps you should find a way to lose. Good luck." But back in the other room, he runs past the last of the guards, throwing a grenade behind him, telling him, "You know what? Screw time, police!" As the blast throws Deadpool into the next room, he begins shooting, and then he notices he's run out of bullets. So what's the next best thing to do with a gun with no bullets? Stab people with the gun! On the other side of the wall, Cable and Salcido begin to make their way out when a flashbang is thrown right in front of Cable. The flash goes off, blinding two men, and Deadpool runs in, punching Cable, telling him, "Stay down!" And then he stabs Salcido, telling him, "You stay down too!" Deadpool then takes out another gun and points it at Cable and says, "Maybe in another timeline, it wouldn't have had to end like this." Cable leans into the barrel of the gun, telling him, "Actually, I've been giving my prosthetic challenge questions every day to make sure nobody compromises it. Like, say Strife. All I have to do is say the magic words, and I'll regain control over the tech in that prosthetic." Deadpool tells him, "Okay, what are those magic words?" And Cable tells him, "I already said it. The magic words are the magic words." Deadpool tells him, "No way, you're lying." But then, the prosthetic arm jerks back, punching into Deadpool. Cable gets up looking at Deadpool, telling him, "This is sad." And Deadpool tells him, "No, what's sad is what I've done to myself with this metal arm. Completely voided its warranty." Cable then steps up on Deadpool and tells Belle, "Get to work getting rid of that other AI." Belle throws the Deadpool AI into a wood chipper, spitting out emojis, asking what's next. Cable then rips off the prosthetic, attaching it back to himself. Then he leans down, telling Deadpool, "When you wake up, you're going to answer all of my questions about Strife." Deadpool asks, "Wake up? I'm not tired at all." Then Cable begins to shoot Deadpool in the head. Deadpool begins to dream, finding himself laying on a beach with Rogue. And while she feeds him grapes, he asks, "What did I do to deserve this?" She tells him, "Ew, gross, what's wrong with you?" Meanwhile, in the real world, Deadpool tries kissing Cable. Cable pushes the gun into Deadpool's face, telling him, "Just try it." Then Cable kicks Deadpool into the lava pit, holding his head down, telling him, "I never thought I was gonna ask this, but start talking." Deadpool wakes up telling him, I should have known something was wrong when Rogue smelled like ozone, old guy, and Ben Gay. Look, Madcap hit me with a virus. It ended up moving into Ellie and the Prestons. It was supposed to be their death, and I needed a miracle. So that's when I found him. I turned to Strife." Cable hits Deadpool with the butt of his gun, calling him, "You're an idiot. And now that I've got that out of my system, I'm going to assume Strife wanted me dead in exchange for his help." Deadpool grabs Cable's arm to get up, and he goes on telling him, "The worst of it all is Strife saved 4 lives. Now he wants 4 lives taken. Started with you. He's supposed to call whenever I manage to cut out your heart." Cable then says, "Well, that's not going to happen. When did all of this happen?" Deadpool tells him it was last Christmas. He returned from the future and gave him the cure for the bioweapon. Back in the past, at the moment that Strife handed off the cure, he tells Deadpool to remember that it was Strife who was there for him. Where was Cable? Just then, a portal opens, and Cable leans out, punching Strife, telling him, "Right here." Strife gets it back up, yelling at Deadpool, "If you don't want to help kill Cable, everyone knows you're gonna die a painful death." Deadpool tells him, yeah, or I can roll with Cable and we can punch 10 shades of crap out of you. Both Cable and Strife pull out giant guns, and Deadpool says that he's pretty sure they're overcompensating for something. So after a awkward standoff, Deadpool decides that he'll be the one to pull the trigger. Strife deflects the bullet, sending it into Cable's gun, and Cable tells Bell to pop a tachyon bubble and end this. Bell then says it's going to take a bit to charge. They're gonna have to delay Strife a bit, so Deadpool jumps in fighting against Strife, and a portal opens up behind Strife, and he says, I knew you were gonna betray me, and I planned for it. The portal finishes opening, and dinosaurs stampede out, attacking everything in sight. A raptor lunges onto Deadpool, slicing open his chest, and Deadpool cuts off the raptor's leg, using that to kill the other dinosaurs. Once Cable is able, he then points his gun at Strife, and Deadpool rides a raptor in, shouting, I've come to save the day! But then he's eaten by a T-Rex! Cable tells Strife that he prepared for this, and he's got neurotoxins ready for those dino pets. And Strife says that he thought he might, which is why he trapped a bunch of starving vampires since 2022. All the vampires fly out of the portals, biting into the dinosaurs, which then turn him into vampire dinosaurs, which in turn bite Deadpool, turning him into a vampire Deadpool. Folks, I'm not even joking. This all actually is happening in the comic. Meanwhile, over in the Pentagon, word of the vampire dinosaurs come in, and the commanding officer decides, you know what, we're blowing up New York. Seconds later, bombs are dropped, and the Avengers did not come to save the day, and Cable opens up a portal to 30 minutes in the past, shouting, don't do it, it's a trap. In that portal is Cable and Deadpool still in the lava pit, and they watch as Cable is literally blown to pieces. Cable's skull bounces off of the portal, and Deadpool says, you know what, I didn't realize it till now, but you have really nice bone structure, buddy. But let's clean it up here a little bit. He kicks the skull into the lava, and then Cable tells Bell to open up somewhere else. They have to change tactics a bit. Strife wants his heart. They might just have to deliver. A short while later in the subway, Deadpool leads Cable into a room, and Cable asks if it's his safe house. Wasn't he like an Avenger 20 minutes ago? And Deadpool tells him, yeah, but time flies when you're having fun, and then you have to live in an abandoned underground station. Cable grabs the phone, telling the receiver that this is Cable in 2017, and he's gonna need a ringback on this wire. As he hangs up, Deadpool asks, wait, did you just call Old Man Cable? And the phone rings, and Deadpool snatches it before Cable can, and he asks, what, are we out of ideas here? Old Man Cable asks, is that Wade? And Wade shouts, oh my god, you're even gruffer and more Eastwoody than ever! Old Man Cable then shouts, shut up and put my younger self on the phone. Deadpool hands over the phone and says, yikes! And Cable grabs it, telling him, we have a bit of a situation. Strife is changing his timeline. We need to talk in person. After yelling an obscenity, Cable then asks, is that a yes? And Old Man Cable tells him to meet him at the junction box 67 years from now. A short while later, in the year of 2084, Cable leads Deadpool to Penn Station, and Deadpool asks what is going on with this place. Cable pushes open the door, telling him that it's a pretty exclusive club. Two walk in and they're quickly scanned, and Bell tells them that the scan is complete. Deadpool then asks, what did they just scan for? We still have our weapons. And Cable says that was a Strife check. In one future, he sent clones here, and he doesn't know which one are really the clones. Also, don't talk to others, they won't talk to you. A second later, the doors open and Deadpool begins to shout, what the? As he sees a room full of multiverse cables. Cable then walks to the back and tells the terminal that he needs to see the old man. The terminal hands out a ticket, and once they're through the gates, Deadpool says, so, where's the old version of you again? The two board the train, and as they sit, Cable says, see you in a couple million years. Just then, the train takes off in a blaze of colorful lights and disappears. Seconds later, Deadpool is thrown into a wooden box, and he asks, what was that? In the future, do you like live at a storage locker or something? And Cable tells him to shut up and come on. Let me do all the talking. As Cable starts to climb up, Deadpool looks at Cable's butt and he says, haha, nice up pooch view. And where are we? Space Camelot or something? As the two climb out, Deadpool looks at a Viking boat and Cable says, welcome to the end of the universe. Old Man Cable shouts from his bed, good, now you can go the hell home. There's things about that pigman that I've never said and maybe I should have. Cable looks towards the sun, telling them that they're just a few minutes away from the total death of the universe. He's always wanted to see that. Old Man Cable grabs the gun from under his pillow and yells, Deadpool is not our friend. He's always trying to kill us. Now you need to leave so that I can die in peace. But Deadpool shoots Old Man Cable in the head, asking, what? The old view's just blathering on about seeing some white hot light in his face before he dies. And voila! He pulls out a knife and says, all right, now let's get a stick around and be on our way. Deadpool gets to work and he pulls out Old Man Cable's heart and he asks Cable if he's got a baggie. Cable shouts, no. Suddenly there's a crack-a-boom, and a ship teleports them back to New York, where Cable says that it's time to abandon ship. The next stop for this ship is the sun. The two leap off onto the building, and Deadpool asks why Strife wants his heart anyway. Cable tells them it means that Strife is getting back into the cloning business. A short while and a case of beer later, Deadpool heads over to the payphone calling Strife so that they can meet. Strife tells him, all right, stand by for transport. Deadpool tells him, you may want to wait a few seconds before you, free balling and techno-bamfing. Seconds later on board Strife's blimp, Deadpool continues chugging his beer with his pants down. Strife asks, what the hell? You're soiling the floor. Deadpool pulls his pants up, telling him, I don't have great impulse control. And come to think about it, the only difference between a payphone and a regular toilet is who's watching. Anyway, heart in the case with the cold beer. Sketch! Strife pulls the heart out and shouts, finally, Cable's heart is mine. The first weak draft is no more. He pulls the heart down onto the machine to scan it, and as he looks at the reading, he says, this is really Cable's heart. Deadpool tells him, told ya. Strife tells him, I expected some kind of a trick, but just then the alert goes off and Cable breaks through the window shouting, Strife! And Strife shouts, Cable! And Deadpool yells, Deadpool! Deadpool begins shooting as some of the bullets hit Cable, who yells, hey! And Deadpool says, whoops, hard to tell the difference. Strife then blasts Cable back out of the blimp and quickly grabs onto Deadpool, telling him that this is what I get for saving your family. Now, how should I kill them? Deadpool then reaches into one of his pouches, pulling out a pen, telling him, maybe you can see things my way or not. And he slams the pen into Strife's eye. Cable then rockets back, tackling Strife, and Deadpool gets up, telling him, I'm gonna leave you two lovebirds to it. Just then, Deadpool's phone begins to ring and he picks it up and says, whoever this is, it is not a good time. Ellie says that she's sorry to bother, but the doctor said that they needed to call him so that he could give permission for her to take the medicine. Deadpool pauses. Then he asks her to put the doctor on. In the hospital, Strife tells him on the phone, it looks like I needed to put my plan into motion and fix my eye. So starting from now, you will be on the right team. Deadpool sighs and he jumps into the fight, kicking Cable, telling him that he's sorry. Cable defends himself, stating, don't get cold feet now. And Deadpool stops him, telling him, no, nothing can be fixed. It's all horrible. Back when I had a time machine, I planted a bomb that would kill Hope. I won't say where or when, or that she may even already be dead, but you're gonna have to go back and save her. Cable stops fighting and asks Belle if it's true. And she says that there's no way to tell. She doesn't have access to the machine's black box yet because of Deadpool's AI. Cable punches into Deadpool, shouting, to hell with you! This is exactly what Strife wanted. He begins to time jump, and he says the next time that he sees him, I'm gonna kill you, and you will stay dead. Strife then says that he takes it the failsafe just rang, huh? Deadpool grabs a beer, telling him, yeah. He said that you might want to get your eye checked out. And just so it's out there, time travelers are freaking stupid. Deadpool pounds the beer, crushing the can on his head, asking, so, can you give me a ride home? Strife grabs Deadpool and throws him out, tells him, there's your ride home. As Deadpool is flung outside, he yells that he didn't want to be in the stupid blimp anyway. He splashes down on the river below, and as he floats back up, a drifter asks, you gonna be all right there? And Deadpool tells him, of course, just looking at the stars. The drifter tells him that the stars are dead, been that way for years. And Deadpool asks, telling him, you know what? You're right, hobo. And he climbs into the sewer. After a long walk home, he opens up a wooden crate and says that he's sorry. He's had a long day and he knows he shouldn't complain. Inside the box are the pieces of Preston that he disassembled when she tried to kill him after he killed Phil Coulson. And just then his phone rings. He says it's fine, they can leave a message for him. But on the other line, leaving the message is Bob, out of his Hydra uniform. He says he looked into what he was asked to look into, and it looks like the remnants of Hydra got a hold of Bizarro Steve Rogers. I'll text over the details in a bit. He hopes things are well. As the employees of a tech store groan in pain, Deadpool opens up a laptop, telling Strife to go ahead. Strife asks, are we on a secure line? And Deadpool says, sure, just give me the next name so I can get this over with. And Strife tells him, all right, the next person that you need to kill is... A short while later at the Daily Bugle, Deadpool, wearing a terrible Strife costume, yells, Irene Merriweather, it is I, Strife, Cable's evil twin, and I have come for you. Irene looks up from her desk, telling the person that she's on the phone with that she's going to have to call them back. A guard grabs Deadpool and laughs. Okay, let's go, Shredder. Deadpool spins around, punching the guard, yelling, unhand me, you knave! And Irene asks if this is a bit or something. Is Cable in trouble? Deadpool sighs and says that he's really sorry about this. He stabs Irene in the chest. The next day at the mall, Deadpool holds up a newspaper with the headline, Masked Lunatic Kills One of Our Own, with a picture of Irene on it. Strife tells him, good, now on to the third. Your young friend in future apocalypse, Evan Sabanur, must die. Deadpool grabs his gun and shoots the laptop, shouting, absolutely no way is Evan going to die. But as the night comes, Deadpool tries to figure out what to do. Kill Evan, the child that he killed once, brought back to life, and is now practically the godfather for. Or let Ellie die, his own actual daughter. Neither one of them dying is really an option. So rather than face the problem, he decides to pay a visit to the one person who started all of this. The Hail Hydra Captain America, Steve-L Rogers. As Steve-L sleeps in his cell, he wakes up to the sound of Deadpool whispering, wakey, wakey. Steve-L looks at a snake on his chest, and Deadpool says that he figured that he would like serpents, so he brought him one. A shame the poor chimpanzee with a revolver couldn't make it. Not even acknowledging the snake, Steve-L sighs, telling him, I was wondering when you would show up. Oh, and how you regarded how our new American empire ended. Deadpool shouts, "Ended? How about how it began? I killed Coulson for you even before hearing you say the words Hail Hydra. And because of that, you're going to tell the prosecutors that it was an order from you and clear my name." Stevel tells him, "Rather than incriminate myself, I would like to exercise my Fifth Amendment and not talk." Deadpool yells, asking, "Is this how other people feel when they talk to me? It's like I'm losing my mind. If Maria Hill hadn't betrayed me, none of this would have happened." Stevel says, "On that point, we can agree. Maria Hill has much to answer for. Either I'm a lie, or the world around me is." But Deadpool stands there with Stevel looking at him, and he smiles, asking, "Why are you really here? Is it because you're not being honest with yourself, and you're going to help me escape?" Deadpool starts laughing as he pulls out a small canister and begins to shake it. He pours the contents into the toilet, stating, "My life is ruined, and I'm going to repay the favor. Since you're going to rot in prison for 1,000 years, I'm going to rob you of the one thing that you have here: sleep." Stevel grabs the snake off his chest, crushing its head, and throws it against a wall as he watches Deadpool leave. And Deadpool calls back, "Also, I'm taking something else. Your toilet. Have fun crapping in the corner." Just then, the orange gas starts to rise out of the toilet, and a few seconds later, it shatters, flooding the cell with water. As Deadpool leaves, he steps through the metal bars that he cut, and he looks at the chimpanzee Caleb, and he tells him that he's sorry. In retrospect, he should have given him roller skates. Now he's just trained a chimpanzee to shoot a revolver for nothing. He turns back to the tied-up guard, yelling, "Next time you want to shoot someone, shoot them. I'm going to be breaking into this prison a lot over the next couple of years." Deadpool then heads outside to his getaway ride. At his getaway ride, a hot air balloon. He pulls the lever, and as the balloon begins to lift off, he yells, "Up, up, and away!" But as he slowly escapes, some of the prison guards spot him, and they open fire on the slow-moving object. He rolls over in the basket as it fills with holes, shouting, "You missed, suckers!" And then the hot air balloon lazily floats away, and then it hits a power line, exploding instantly. Meanwhile, as news of Deadpool's break-in spreads, Rogue listens and sighs, stating that she's trying to ignore him, but now he has her full attention. The next day, two guards keeping watch over the city begin to see something in the sky. The first guard yells that it's a helicarrier, and the other one says, "Oh hell, are we under attack again?" And as they get a closer look, they see that it's him. Up in the sky, Deadpool is flying his newly acquired helicarrier, shouting, "Come on, New York! Come and get me!" The second guard asks if they should call it in, and the first tells him no. It's just Deadpool. If we just ignore him, he'll go away. Deadpool looks down at the guards doing nothing, and he says that it looks like they found out ignoring him is his kryptonite. Just then, there's a green flash that shoots by, punching Deadpool off the ledge, barely giving him enough time to catch himself. He looks up and says, "Hello, sugar." And Rogue tells him, "Don't give me any sass, I'm not in the mood." Deadpool asks if she's here to pick up where they left off. "I must say, I do like a little warm-up before the rough stuff." She reaches down to help Deadpool up, stating, "A swing and a miss. I'm here to take you in." So he tells her, "If that's the case, then I'm afraid I gotta bounce." And he lets go off the ledge. She watches and says that she should let it happen, but she flies down, grabbing Deadpool before he hits the ground. He tells her that he always knew that he would be safe in her arms. And Rogue says, "That's strike two, let's go." As she does, Deadpool's body slingshots into a fish truck. And he asks, "Did you know that you were throwing me into the stinky truck?" She tells him, yeah, she had a choice between this or a pillow truck, so she went with this one. She lifts the truck to slide Deadpool out, and as she does, Deadpool makes a break for it, trying to jump over her. Rogue grabs him by the leg, slamming him back onto the ground, stating that if he would just work with them, he can probably get a lighter sentence. Deadpool then jumps up and shouts, "You're just like the rest! Everyone's always trying to control me! You never cared about me, and I never cared about you! I would never date anyone who dated Gambit!" Deadpool punches Rogue a few times in the face, clearly not doing anything to her. And she tells him that she doesn't need to have a make-out party with him to know that that's a lie. After they beat the skull, she saw the good, the bad, and the ugly in him. She knows that he's the type of guy who would go through hell for his friends, and right now, he's just pushing everyone away. Deadpool stops and says, "Well, shut up. You're right. Hell, I would even probably date Gambit, but I wouldn't want to make it weird between us." She laughs, asking, "Do you know why there isn't anything between us?" And Deadpool says, "Because I killed it." And Rogue tells him, "Deader than Coulson." But just then, Rogue punches Deadpool, shouting, "That was for Coulson." The force of the punch launches Deadpool into the air and up into a nearby building. He gets up, stating that they would have been so good together. She flies up, telling him, yeah, two unkillable people just hurting each other non-stop. Deadpool then reaches into one of his pouches and says, "Speaking of invulnerability, catch." He throws a small thermite bomb into Rogue's face and tells her, "The blindness should be temporary, or at least I hope it is. Or maybe this could be a new origin story for you." He grabs his grappling gun and takes aim, telling her, "I'm sorry. I know I blew it with you." And Rogue yells, "No, you blew it for yourself. Just make sure you keep the promise to the girl. Don't let my sins keep you from doing the right thing. If she needs you, be there." Rogue tells him they will. They don't have many new mutants. As Rogue hears the wire retracting, she swings aimlessly, yelling that she will see him again. She will find him. And Deadpool tells her, I have no doubt. Go easy on me. I'm gonna be a very different guy then. Goodbye, Anna Marie. She quietly says, goodbye, Wade, and then wanders off to the water tower to wash her face off. A voice asks if she's gonna be alright, and she tells the person that he's late, they just missed Deadpool. The voice asks if she's hurt, and she says the only thing that is hurt is her pride. She just had to try and get through to him. He was her friend before everything went to hell. But anyway, she's neck deep in X-Men stuff. And the voice says that they completely understand. As Rogue flies away, Captain America tells her, leave Deadpool to me. Deadpool's a mess that I need to clean up. A short while later, in another part of town, Madcap sings and dances at the Schaefer Theater to finally ruin Deadpool's life, except the theater's already been destroyed, and he yells, of all the rotten luck! The Avengers' old pals must have beat me to it! Come, dancing mob, let's go find Deadpool! If you don't know who Madcap is, he's Deadpool's actual arch nemesis in this entire arc. There's many videos in the playlist that involve Deadpool fighting against him and Madcap trying to get back at Deadpool. It's Madcap trying to kill Deadpool's family that started this entire situation with Strife, because as Madcap tried to kill Deadpool's family, he had to contact somebody in the future to help him and Cable was unavailable. So he had to get a hold of Strife, who is now sending Deadpool off to go kill other people as a way to return the favor of saving Deadpool's family. Anyway, Madcap sings and dances over to the Preston's home and finds that it too has been destroyed. And he's confused. Huh? Something really bad must have happened. After stopping by a coffee shop to read The Secrets of the Secret Empire, Madcap says, oh, something really bad did happen. Madcap then tosses the book into the trash, stating, that sucks. I wanted to destroy Deadpool's life, not turn the rubble of his life into a slightly smaller pile of rubble. Deadpool then shouts, you thought you could destroy me? I say nay! And Deadpool runs Madcap over with a horse and carriage. Madcap starts laughing, telling him, haha, looks like you're giving the horse a ride. Be careful, anyone who gets close to Deadpool doesn't live very long. Deadpool then starts shooting Madcap, asking, and whose fault is that? You're the one who tried to kill my family. As Deadpool jumps off the horse, it begins to panic and it runs out into traffic, getting hit by a car. And Madcap boops Deadpool on the nose. Boop! See what I mean? Now I should be off to go beat that dead horse. Deadpool pulls out his katanas and cuts Madcap's arm off, telling him, this time I prepared for you. I went to space looking for a weapon that would kill you. Madcap grabs his arm and reattaches it, telling him, oh, that's so thoughtful of you. Deadpool pulls out a small device, pressing the button, telling him to shut up. You're about to get the ending that you deserve. As Deadpool hits the button, Madcap begins to fight back, hitting Deadpool in the throat, then kicking him in the face. The two go back and forth, hitting each other until finally a bright light appears. Deadpool rubs his eyes after being poked in them, and he says, meet the Collector! And the Collector says, ah, an indestructible clown. At the same time, both Deadpool and Madcap look back, asking, yes? The Collector tells Rhiannon to go please test the specimen. Rhiannon tells him of course and pulls out a sword, cutting off Madcap's head. He catches his own head laughing, and Rhiannon says that they'll see if he can survive this. Suddenly, Madcap bursts into flames, and as the flames go out, Madcap pops on his original form, stating, ta-da! The Collector then encases Madcap in a clear box, stating that the specimen is just as Deadpool said. Let us leave. Deadpool starts laughing, stating, you thought you could destroy me? Like that would ever happen. Now you're going to spend an eternity as some nutbird's private zoo. Madcap's eyes light up like stars, and he says, I've always wanted to go to space, and I love zoos. Deadpool yells, wait, what? Madcap shrugs, stating, I'm actually bored of this. I just wanted to make your life a living hell, but this is perfect. Deadpool yells to the Collector to wait, and the Collector tells him, I'm afraid not. This unique and wonderful light form will make a fine addition to my collection. Madcap laughs, yelling, thank you, Deadpool, for releasing me from your terrible orbit. I owe it all to you. And then the Collector and Madcap disappear, with Deadpool sighing that his plan did not go according to plan. Then he hears a payphone ringing. He picks it up and asks, are they like ringing phone booths in his area? Actually, never mind. Who's next? And don't say Evan. Strife tells him to look up. There's a picture of the target, and there's no getting out of this. One more screw up and the kid dies. Deadpool reaches up to see a picture taped to the ceiling, and as he pulls it down, he sees it's Evan. Later, that stormy night, a young boy runs through the streets and is accidentally bumping into a couple. He falls and the woman asks if he's okay. Oh God! Evan with a dart in his shoulder looks up and tells the couple that they need to run away. Deadpool's trying to kill me! And the woman tells him, we won't let him do that. And the man asks, what are they going to do about it? Deadpool hits the man and the woman in the back of the head, telling them, you're going to do nothing. He puts his sword away, and Evan asks, what happened to my powers? Deadpool points a gun at Evan, and he says, you were hit with a drug that suppresses them. Don't struggle. It'll be over in just a moment. Evan then asks, did I do something wrong? Is this something that I'm going to do? And Deadpool tells him, no, it's all on me this time. Meanwhile, over at Strife's hideout, he quietly says, "Come on." And a second later, the Genesis marker on his map of mutants fades, and he presses a button. Just then, Deadpool's teleported to the hideout, and Strife tells him, "Well done. Shooting the boy must have been hard." Deadpool coldly tells him, "No, it wasn't. I'll give me the next name, and you better hope that we never meet again." Strife pushes the button to send Deadpool away, telling him, "This one's going to be easy. It's a civilian named Marionette Nelson." As Deadpool teleports back to the streets, the couple starts to wake up, and he just knocks them back out before heading into a back alley. Deadpool smacks a human Evan, telling him, "Wake up. I owe you an explanation." And Evan yells, "Damn right you do! What did you do?" Deadpool tells him, "You're a real boy now, but don't sweat it, it's not permanent. It's a drug developed by a scientist named Butler. It suppresses X genes for a short while. He was a brilliant man until I murdered him to death. But come on, did you really think I was going to kill you? If you really thought I was going to kill you, you would have called the X-Men, right?" Evan stares at him and says, "I did." And a second later, Colossus bursts through the wall, punching Deadpool through another wall and into a sporting goods store. Deadpool groans, stating, "I like that guy better in the movies." And then Kitty Pryde phases in, telling him that it's taking every ounce of her self-control not to phase him into the ground. Deadpool gets up and charges at her, telling her, "Sorry, but I'm late for a blind date, or a date to the blind. I haven't really decided yet." Kitty grabs a bat and Deadpool tells her, "I've been hit with more bats than you can count." And Kitty tells him, "Oh, I'm not gonna swing it." She phases the bat inside of Deadpool's chest and then lets go, and once it turns back to solid, Deadpool screams out in pain. He continues to run, and Kitty grabs him by the shoulder just as he's about to jump through a window. He then yells, "Don't do me like this!" And Kitty then shouts, "Hush now," and she lets go. Deadpool becomes solid in the glass, and he screams again, falling to the ground with the pieces of glass still inside of him, and he gets up yelling, "Oh God, there's glass in my ass!" And Evan asks why. Colossus tells him it doesn't matter, and Evan says, "No, it does. Why did you do it?" And Deadpool sits up, telling him he'd kill Ellie. Hell, he may still kill her when he finds out that I didn't kill you, but I'm doing it for the girl. Colossus gets ready to hit Deadpool again, but Evan tells him to wait. Deadpool then pulls the bat out of his chest, stating, "It's my daughter. She's gonna be a mutant one day, that is, if she survives being my kid." And Kitty yells, "You're wanted for murder. You're not walking away from this." Deadpool reaches into his pouch, stating, "It's exactly what I'm doing." He tosses the grenade at Evan for him to catch, and he tells Kitty that she better get to phasing. Kitty grabs both Evan and Colossus just before the grenade goes off, and as they look around, Deadpool's nowhere to be found. Later, in the apartment of Marionette Nelson, Marionette suddenly wakes up asking, "Who's there?" Over in the shadows, Deadpool pulls shards of glass out, stating, "My name is Wade Wilson, and I owe you an apology. I didn't mean to wake you, but I'm not on top of my game right now. Someone wanted you dead, and I didn't want to do it. But that person was going to kill my daughter if I didn't. No one deserves me, I just kinda happen to people." Marionette begins to cry, asking, "Isn't there any way you can save us both?" And Deadpool grabs the last shard, telling her, "I know it really doesn't matter, but I'm really sorry." Marionette asks what's her name, and Deadpool tells her Ellie. As he gets up, Marionette sobs that maybe this isn't the worst end. A middle-aged woman dies so a young girl can survive. Will it hurt? Deadpool takes Marionette's hand, telling her, "No, I already did it." And just as he says that, her eyes roll back into her head, and she falls back down onto the bed. Deadpool walks out of the apartment, and he already knows who's there. His heavy boots hitting the roof above, but he's already too late. The red, white, and the blue flash hits Deadpool in the face, bouncing off the wall and then back into Captain America's hand. Cap looks at him and he says that he's sorry that this all went horribly wrong for him. But it ends now. Deadpool tells him that he can't do that, there's one more item on his bucket list. And Cap tells him, "Then you better prepare to have some good old-fashioned sense knocked into that head of yours." Deadpool jumps up, slashing at Cap's shield, and Cap yells, "You're making this worse." And Deadpool says, "I know, that's my superpower." Cap knocks Deadpool back, telling him, "You have every right to be upset." And Deadpool begins shooting back, shouting, "Everything that's happened is your fault." Cap knocks the bullets away and then asks, "Murdering Coulson sound like something I would ever say?" And Deadpool charges in, telling him, "Yes! I've heard you say it with your own voice. You kept climbing the ladder until you got to the top and you became the guy who decides who lives or dies." As Deadpool punches Cap a few more times, Cap ducks the last hit, telling him, "Those were free, and they're gonna be the last that are gonna land." Deadpool pulls out a katana and he swings it, breaking it across Cap's shield. So Cap kicks Deadpool back, and as Deadpool catches himself, he throws the broken sword at Cap's foot, asking, "Would you even be having this conversation if I was Black Widow? No, right? She would get a pass, but for me, nope." Cap kneels to block the sword and he says, "How about we not deal with the hypotheticals? I saw a lot of potential in you." But before Cap can finish, Deadpool runs in, punching him, shouting, "Give me a break! You didn't care about me until you lost the super soldier serum. Logan died and you needed another obedient torpedo. Cap cracks the shield across Deadpool's jaw, telling him, I feel terrible that you got duped. So were a lot of other people. Cap then sweeps Deadpool's legs out from underneath him, and as he picks him up, he puts him in cuffs. He tells Deadpool, I watched the security footage from the prison. You showed a lot of restraint, leaving my evil doppelganger alive. Deadpool waits until the cuffs are on him, and then he asks, you know who wins if I kill Hydra, Cap? He then flicks his head back, bashing into Cap. You! Deadpool pops his thumb out of place, grabbing his other katana, telling him, you wouldn't have to spend the rest of your days looking over your shoulder for a doppelganger. I would never kill Steve-O, but I didn't want you to know that. You want him dead, you could do it yourself. Deadpool pushes the katana close to Cap's neck, and Cap grabs him by the chest strap, flipping him over, slamming him into the ground, telling him, just shut up. Deadpool groans, stating, the only way you're gonna stop me is put that sword through me. So Cap grabs it, telling him, as unpleasant as that sounds, I don't want to fight anymore. He stabs the sword down into Deadpool's back, asking, are you happy now? And as he does that, he looks over and sees a group of kids with their phones all taking pictures. One of the kids even states, I knew he was no good. And the kids run off with Cap yelling, wait, I can explain. Deadpool yells to the kids, I'm paralyzed! Send help! Sell the pictures to Jonah! They're brutalizing me! And Cap looks back asking, how could you? Shame on you for baiting me like that. And Deadpool gets back up telling him, you know, I don't just blame you. Cap yells, great, because I'm not the one to blame. And Deadpool runs off telling him, I blame myself. I know now that I shouldn't have trusted you as much as I did. He jumps into the sewers and Cap follows closely behind, yelling, look at how many innocent people are harmed in your wake, Wade. Deadpool continues running, telling him, I know, just keep up. There's something I want to show you. Cap turns the corner and he sees Deadpool's underground hideout. And he asks, is this supposed to make me feel bad? Deadpool calls out, I don't care how you feel about it, but that box next to you, that's what I wanted to give you. Cap knocks the lock off the chest, and as he opens it, he says, hell, Wade. Down in the box is Preston's mangled LMD body, and Deadpool steps out stating, nobody's my friend for long. You can fix her. Cap tells him S.H.I.E.L.D's disbanded. I'm not sure if, and then he stops him shouting, you're Captain freaking America! Make America fix her! Cap tells him that he'll see what he can do, but he's noticed the explosives planted to the support beams. Deadpool pulls out a device telling him, I'm walking out of here. And if you try to come, I'm gonna drop a square block down on you. You'll probably survive, but the office workers won't. Cap steps forward telling him, I'm calling your bluff. So Deadpool presses down on the button telling him, watch how many craps I have left to give. One of the beams explodes, causing water to fill the room, and Cap yells, you're out of your mind. So Deadpool tells him, attaboy, Captain Obvious. Now this detonator is a dead man's switch. If my thumb comes off of this, all the columns are gonna blow. If I take my finger off this button, it'll be Captain America. You want me off the board? Good, because that's what I want too. My demand is very reasonable. Make one thing right. Fix Preston. She's the only person I'll surrender to. Until then, it's me against the world. And the world is gonna take it up the tailpipe. As the Queen Kathleen sets sail off of the port, Tombstone tells a room of villains that here, on this boat, they stand on neutral ground. Everyone here is gathered to enjoy an evening of gambling. And with that said, let the fun and games begin. And just as he says that, the lights in the cabin go out, and Deadpool tells everyone, I got some good news and I got some bad news. The bad news is, everyone is going home a loser. The good news is that you all get to live if you don't screw with me. If any of you try something, this tub is gonna go down quicker than Uncle Ben meeting a robber. One of the men at the poker table says, word on the street is that Deadpool is no longer with the Avengers. But what if he's still with them and is just trying to bust our meetup? Deadpool takes out his flare and he laughs as he tosses it onto a table, telling the man, haha, that's funny. I'm not a mole for the Avengers. They have rules, like no killing. He grabs his gun and he shoots the man in the head, and then he turns back to everyone asking, anyone else have any personal questions they want to ask me? The room stares in silence, and Deadpool throws a duffel bag at one of the dealers, stating, I didn't think so. The dealer starts to fill the bag with money, and Typhoid Mary looks at the switch in Deadpool's hand and says that he's bluffing, and pushes his thumb on the button. Suddenly, It's Raining Men starts playing on the speakers, and Deadpool says, okay, maybe I bluffed, and hooked the detonator up to the music system. Lady Stiltman runs up and kicks Deadpool through a set of doors, and as he gets back up, he tosses a grenade behind him, telling him, the pin is actually off on this one. Good luck. The grenade goes off and he runs up the stairs and onto the deck, and two guards see him, telling him to freeze. He knocks them both out, yelling, don't you ever tell me or my duffel son to freeze again. But before he could continue, Jack-O-Lantern flies down, throwing a bomb, telling Deadpool, just return the money. Deadpool quickly grabs one of his katanas, batting the bomb back, stating, counterpoint, I'm gonna mess up your face. The bomb hits Jack's head and it explodes, and Deadpool starts to move forward. A short while later, 2 armed guards sweep the deck and they state that Deadpool may have escaped. However, in front of them, peeing in the pool, Deadpool says, "No, I didn't leave yet, just peeing in your pool. It's kind of like a signature thing, so, we gonna shoot?" The other guard tells him, "Actually, we don't get paid enough for this." Once Deadpool's done, he hurries to the front of the boat singing, Deadpool man, does whatever anyone can. Look out, I have a grappling hook." He fires the anchor up onto a passing bridge, and as he climbs over the railings, 2 officers stop him, telling him to freeze. And Deadpool asks, "Or what? You watching horror as your bullets go right through me and do nothing? Now piss off." One officer whispers to the other to shoot out the knees, and they open fire. Deadpool falls into a pool of his own blood. He sees an image of a green-skinned woman that he met on the other planet, the one that told him that she left him a little surprise. He reaches into his pouch, pulling out a small vial of red liquid. He says, "Can't use this yet. I can get myself out of this jam without that space weapon." If you want to know that storyline, we're going to link it down below, because that's when he went out into space and killed most of space. Deadpool then gets back up, headbutting one of the officers, and just as the first one falls, he takes out his gun, throwing it at the second officer, knocking them both out. Just then, a helicopter flies down, shining a light on Deadpool, shouting, "The bridge is closed off. There's no escape. Surrender immediately." Deadpool looks at the helicopter and says, "Haha, cool, my ride is here." And he aims his grappling hook at the pilot. As the hook lands on the helicopter, the pilot radios back, "I'm being boarded!" And once Deadpool pulls him out, he throws him into the pool on the boat. The man spits up, spitting out water, stating, "Haha, thank God." And Jack-o'-lantern tells him, "Just so you know, Deadpool peed in that." Later, Deadpool flies the helicopter over to St. Steve Braddorfer's chapel, and he walks in asking if Sister Danielle is there. Sister Danielle tells Deadpool that she's inside of the confession booth. Deadpool heads inside asking if she's allowed to hear confessions. She says no, she came in here to play with her Switch. So, she understands that he has some sins that he would like to commit. Deadpool tells her that he's got a job, a kill job. So Sister Danielle takes out a notepad telling him, "What is the prayer?" Deadpool says 20 million, American. Sister Danielle asks, "Who's the target?" Deadpool sighs, and he tells her, "Deadpool." The 2 of them step out of the booth, and Sister Danielle says, "Are you sure about this? There's no one doing a prayer once it hits the air." Deadpool throws the duffel bag on the ground, telling her, "Let's have some fun." And Sister Danielle takes the note and drops it in the box. She tells him that it's going to be his funeral, and Deadpool tells her, "It's what I'm counting on." The note then drops into the inbox, and as a man reads it, he burns it. A few moments later, in a hole-in-the-wall bar, all of the patrons begin to see their phones going off with notifications. One picks up the phone reading, 20 million for the death of Deadpool. "Oh, this'll be fun." And Taskmaster tells the other villains in the bar, "Well, may the best of us win." Later that night, Juggernaut bursts out of a building shouting, "I've always hated Deadpool. Now I have 20 million reasons to want to kill you. Where are you hiding?" Juggernaut turns back and sees a bright light coming towards him, and a second later, a cement truck crashes into him. Deadpool's ejected from the cab straight into Juggernaut's helmet and begins to yell gibberish. Juggernaut yells, "Do you really think a truck is gonna stop me?" And Deadpool then starts shouting back more gibberish. Juggernaut tells him, "You know, that face is really messed up. Can't make out a word you're saying." Deadpool pushes on his jaw until it snaps back in place, and he says, "No, a truck won't stop you, but you still gotta breathe." He grabs the hose from the back and he begins to spray Juggernaut with cement until his entire head is covered. And then he asks, "Who's next?" Deadpool spits out a few teeth as Taskmaster tells him, "I'm up next. I saw what you did to Rhino." Deadpool laughs, "Ha ha ha! That horde's been jammed in worse places. Let's get this over with." He slashes, forcing Taskmaster to deflect, and as he does, he tells Taskmaster, "By the way, the T on the shield? That's freaking dumb!" Taskmaster takes the shield, cracking Deadpool on the back, telling him, "The T isn't dumb." And just as Deadpool falls to his knees, a voice shouts, "Excuse me?" Taskmaster looks up asking, "Who are you?" The man in the wheelchair rolls by, telling him, "I'm someone who needs to use the sidewalk so I can get to my job. That is, unless you're gonna turn me into a bystander." Taskmaster tells the man, "This is a private matter that does not concern you. You are free to pass with my sincerest apologies, sir." The man begins to roll forward, and Deadpool then gets back up, telling him, "I've known Taskmaster for a long time. His word is his bond." Deadpool lifts the man up and throws him at Taskmaster, yelling, "Me, on the other hand, I did not promise safe conduct." The man leans up, asking, "How could you?" And Deadpool runs off, telling him, "It was simple. I put my legs into it." The man screams, "You despicable freak!" And Taskmaster gets up and hands a bow to the man, telling him, "You're welcome to join the hunt. You can have half my share of the bounty." The two begin to chase after Deadpool, and Deadpool looks back, telling them, "Haha, look at those two. Move over, look at Danny. There's a new marvelous team up." Just before Deadpool could let out another quip, he hears cars honking, and then he's hit by a speeding taxi. Inside, Bullseye asks, "You okay, mate?" "My bad. I never got to practice driving." Deadpool begins to pick himself back up, telling him, "I can't believe you're working with T-Man! Or is he the T-Man?" Bullseye then throws the car into reverse, stepping on the gas, peeling out, parking on top of Deadpool. Bullseye gets out telling Deadpool, "You do have a point about Dasky's shield." But underneath the car, Deadpool stabs into the gas tank. Bullseye crouches down to look under the car to make sure Deadpool's dead, but as he does, he sees a lighter being struck. Seconds later, flames shoot out from underneath the car and Deadpool reaches out, biting into Bullseye's leg. Bullseye shouts in pain as he lifts Deadpool to his feet, and the two begin headbutting each other over and over. Bullseye yells, "No one will ever out-headbutt me!" And then Deadpool just knees him in the groin. Deadpool sighs, telling him, "I was really hoping that you guys are gonna be the ones to do it. Now I'm just gonna have to kill you." As Deadpool brings the knife up, an arrow shoots through his wrist, and the man in the wheelchair yells, "Damn it!" Taskmaster asks, "Why are you upset? You hit him!" And the man says, "I was aiming for his head." Deadpool tells the man, "I want you to know, I treated you just like I would any other man when I threw you. Be sure to remember that when you're rolled off a building." As Deadpool goes on, Bullseye gets back up, throwing a card into Deadpool's back. And Deadpool asks, "Is that all you got? I'm beginning to lose respect for you and Daredevil. How has he not?" But before Deadpool could finish, Bullseye runs up, kicking Deadpool into the back of the head, launching him into an aquarium. Deadpool pulls his head out as the crabs pinch it, asking Bullseye, "Seriously? What does Daredevil see in you?" But then Deadpool is struck with another arrow in the groin. The man shouts, "Hey, I did it!" And Taskmaster tells him, "You sure did." While Deadpool is stunned, both Taskmaster and Bullseye punch Deadpool in the head, knocking him out. A short while later, Deadpool begins to wake up tied up, and he sees a wood chipper next to a tank full of piranhas. He says, "You know, I may have been wrong. You might actually be able to pull this off." Bullseye flips the switch onto the wood chipper, and he begins to push Deadpool towards the blades, telling him, "The only thing I was wondering is who would want Deadpool dead." And Deadpool yells, "Oh, that's easy. It was me, of course." Taskmaster and Bullseye both stop asking, "What?" Taskmaster turns off the wood chipper, telling him, "That's a total bummer. Give me a moment to think about this." Taskmaster and Bullseye huddle together and talk loud enough for Deadpool to hear, stating, "I really don't like this." Taskmaster looks over and tells Deadpool, "We so wanted to kill you, but not like this." Deadpool screams, "You two are the biggest disappointments in this entire stupid universe." And Bullseye yells back, telling him, "Get better so we can kill you proper." And Deadpool shouts, "You two are cowards!" As Taskmaster and Bullseye leave, Deadpool lays back down, asking, "Won't anyone send me off to the sweet embrace of eternal night?" And then he's hit in the head with a bag of garbage. Elsewhere, Maria Hill meets Captain America and the other heroes, telling him the spike of violence needed to end yesterday. And Cap says, "I'm working on a plan to peacefully bring Deadpool in, and if that fails, we all need to work together." The next day, Maria gathers up some local heroes and local police, telling them that they all have a dangerous and unpredictable subject that needs to be brought in. And just then, a bandaged up Hawkeye walks in, stating, "I'm sorry for being late." And Maria asks, "How did the peaceful talks with Deadpool go?" Hawkeye tells him, what? Listen, you see all the bandages on my head? It means I get hit in the head a lot, and you shouldn't listen to me. Potatoes. Sorry, head injury." However, a few moments later, Kate walks in, stating that she's sorry that they're late, and right behind her is Hawkeye. The first Hawkeye shouts, "Look out! It's a Skrull!" And he fires an arrow, hitting the wall next to the other Hawkeye. After several gunshots, we find out that it's actually Deadpool disguised as Hawkeye, well, the first Hawkeye, and Deadpool jumps out of the building laughing, and right behind him are the real Hawkeye and Kate, telling him to stop. Deadpool tells them, "You really suck! I had a whole fun day planned with the task force. I would have gotten away with it too if it wasn't for those meddling kids!" As Kate and Hawkeye land, Hawkeye hits the ground hard, asking, "How could anyone fall for Deadpool being me? I am not always bandaged up." Deadpool puts on his mask, asking, "How could you say that with a straight face? Seconds ago, you suplexed yourself." Both Hawkeye and Kate aim their bows, and Kate says that she knows that he won't shoot her. And Deadpool tells her, "You're right, but I will shoot Hawkeye twice." Hawkeye and Kate release their arrows, and one goes into Deadpool's shoulder while the other one goes into the barrel of his guns. He looks at the gun with the arrow in it and says, "You know what? I ain't even mad." Hawkeye readies another arrow and tells Deadpool to drop the gun. He can't hurt anyone with that. And Deadpool yells, "Wrong!" And he throws the gun, hitting Hawkeye in the face. Kate shoots another arrow into Deadpool, asking, "How could you?" And as Kate gets closer, Deadpool leans back, kicking Kate away, stating, "I'm not sure what you're referring to, but if it's about Coulson, ask Captain America. I would love to hear him explain that." Hawkeye then charges at Deadpool, punching him, causing the two of them to fall through a window. And Deadpool quickly jumps up, punching Hawkeye, telling him, "You know what? I could have ratted on you when I found out about your little hideout in the mountain back at Secret Empire, but I did not." Hawkeye then starts getting back up, asking, "You knew where we were hiding?" And Deadpool says, "Yeah, I was waiting for you to make contact with me so I could help you guys, but you never did." Then Deadpool is shot with an arrow, and he reaches down, grabbing a toilet seat, stating, "I never expected a statue to be put up, but I expected better than this." He flings the seat, hitting Kate in the head, and she falls into the bathroom, and he catches her and hands her to Hawkeye. Hawkeye asks, "What is your way out of this?" And Deadpool tells him, "I have a plan A and a plan B. We're gonna see which one the universe gives me." Just then, the owner of the apartment runs in asking what the hell is going on, and Deadpool grabs the man, pressing his gun to him, telling him, "Looks like my ride is here." We both know that I won't shoot the man in the head, but I would have shot him somewhere else, and you'd have to rush him to the hospital. Kate steps forward, but Hawkeye grabs her, tells her, "Let him go." Later, after Deadpool's escape, Hawkeye heads back to the roof to patch up the window, and Kate asks Maria, "Is what Deadpool said true?" Maria asks, "How should I know? You should ask Coulson." Hawkeye gets up and asks, "How did you know where to find Blackout?" Deadpool said that he's the one that told you, that he's the one that saved us at Secret Empire. And Kate then asks, "Did you get your information from Deadpool?" Maria turns, leaving, telling them, "I beat it out of him." You'd be fools to think that Deadpool couldn't have ended Stevel's evil reign of terror with a single bullet. And yet, he didn't, did he? Elsewhere, in an abandoned shield carrier, a shield technician steps out of the room stating that she did all that she could. Cap tells her that she helped him with a matter of national security. She's done good for a woman who's given her all to the country. The technician tells him yeah, but she isn't thrilled about chatting with him. Cap walks into the room stating that he can understand, but please give me a moment. He steps in and he tells the person laying down, "The hardest part about leading people is asking them to do something that they don't want to do. You've given your life for this country." And the person says twice. Cap continues, "Your family is out there somewhere waiting for you, and I wouldn't blame you for running back to them. You have more than earned it." He then salutes, telling them, "I'd be grateful if you would come out of retirement and join me for one last mission." The person starts to get up out of bed, and Preston, with the exposed face of her LMD core, says, "Damn it, you're one persuasive hunk of cheese. All right, Boy Scout, let's end Deadpool." Not long ago, in the galaxy bar of nowhere, Deadpool is sitting there asking, why is he always getting stuck in decapitated heads? What does that say about him? But with the woman that he is with, she says that her shift is over and she can think of a few ways that he can work out that depression. Deadpool tells her that he appreciates the effort, but he came to space to find a weapon to kill some powerful enemies. The woman pulls out a small vial asking, "Why didn't you say so? I've got something here that will make your enemies wish they were dead." Now, back in the current time at a cheap hotel on Earth, Deadpool takes out that small vial and he begins to dose himself with the contents. It's time for Deadpool to come to the end of his entire life, and he wants the Marvel Universe to kill him. This is it. This is going to be his final battle, and soon he will be surrounded by his enemies, partly because he may have called 911 on himself. Once Deadpool is covered in the pink mist, he asks what kind of powers did the woman give him? Death rays? No, maybe he's invincible now. However, as Deadpool punches a wall, he breaks every bone in his hand, and he quickly realizes that that is not the case. After throwing up from the pain, Deadpool leaves the room to grab a bucket of ice, and the woman passing by to grab the ice sees Deadpool. As Deadpool bends over, she sees all of Deadpool, and she throws up. Once he suits up, Falcon watches from outside and reports to the others that Deadpool has left the hotel. Wave 1, move in. Except as Falcon flies down to attack, he throws up. Deadpool asks, "What the hell? That was weird." Just then, Deadpool's hit in the head with a red baton, and as the baton bounces back into Daredevil's hand, he throws up. Daredevil tells him, "My radar is actually showing the stink lines off of Deadpool. He's a walking bio attack." Deadpool sniffs himself and he thinks, "I smell as fresh as a daisy, though I have been skipping on deodorant ever since I started experimenting with the homeless." Suddenly, Deadpool feels himself being webbed up, and as he turns back, he sees the champions. Spider-Man asks him, "What happened to you? We all used to be able to ignore you." And Nova charges up, telling everyone, "Stay back, I'm gonna handle this." But as Deadpool looks at him, he tells him, "What's wrong? You look a little peaked." And then Nova throws up, which in turn makes Miss Marvel throw up, and Deadpool shouts, "This was not deliberate! I did not want this! I just wanted one ginormous fight!" He turns to leave, but through the sounds of everyone throwing up around him, he hears the news talking about how much of a terrible person he is. He grabs his gun, shooting the TV, but as he pulls the trigger, his gun begins to disassemble. Scarlet Witch yells to Deadpool that he is, and then she throws up. Scarlet Witch says, "You are so disgusting! What have you done?" And Deadpool tells her, "I would be hurt if you weren't the most dangerous Avenger that ever lived." He pushes Scarlet Witch over as she throws up again, and then he asks, "What if this is permanent? I mean, I've always wanted a superpower, but not really this one." This continues for a while, with Quicksilver throwing up on people as he runs, Voodoo opening up a portal and hitting Deadpool and throwing up, and Tony Stark throwing up so much that his Iron Man suit actually throws him out, or up, you decide. But just when the heroes finally brought in Vision, since he can't throw up, Giant Man passes by and ends up flooding the entire block. So later that night, after a quick swim and a visit to the Hoboken laundromat, Deadpool decides that there's one thing that he could do. The question is, does he really have the stones to do it? To kill one last person? The next day, Cap fills Preston in on Deadpool's recent attack, and as the two talk, A hazmat worker tells them that they just received reports that Deadpool swam to New Jersey and proceeded to walk north along the roads of the New York Thruway. Preston says that they're going to have to redeploy upstate. She has an idea of where he's going. A short while later in upstate New York, Cap and Preston take a helicopter to their next target location, and Preston asks the question, "Why did you ever trust Deadpool?" Cap smiles and asks, "Why did you?" As the helicopter lands, Preston says that maybe she just wanted a crazy guy to fight against a crazy world. And as the two get into a police cruiser, Cap tells her, "I could see why you were friends with them, but why are we going upstate?" Preston says that that's where Butler experimented on Deadpool. Butler had a medical supply business as a front, and that's where Deadpool is probably heading. So we're gonna beat him there. As the two drive, another car comes speeding up and Preston sighs, stating, "You have got to be kidding." Deadpool shouts in the other car, "Hey, Preston's alive! This is so great! You make me feel 1,000% better about this crazy plan. I'm so happy! Let's crash cars!" Deadpool swerves his car into Cap's, and just as he does, Cap throws his shield, knocking Deadpool out of his car. He quickly grabs the shield and begins riding it down the road, shouting, "Oh, seeing Preston alive makes me so happy." But before he could sing about his happiness, Cap drives the police cruiser right into him. Deadpool crashes through the windshield, but both Cap and Preston grab him, telling him, "You're gonna be coming with us." And Deadpool yells, "Correction! You're coming with me!" And he grabs the shifter, throwing it into park. The car screeches to a stop, throwing everyone out and onto the road. And Cap gets up, telling Deadpool, "You can't run anymore, Deadpool." Deadpool stops and he looks at him. "You're right." And then he turns and he starts running. Preston jumps back up and chases after him, telling him to stop. "This is what you wanted, right? Don't make me spend this life fighting you." As Deadpool is punched down, he shouts, "I don't want to hurt you anymore either. My mutant power is to kill people whether I want to or not. Just watch." He takes his gun, firing 3 shots into the air, and they just happen to hit a passing by spacecraft, sending it crashing to the ground. He begins to yell, "See? See, I did that! I can't even mindlessly fire my gun into the air without bringing down tragedy." Cap shouts, "There's survivors inside!" And both him and Preston run in to pull whoever they can out. As Preston rips off the metal siding, Cap comes out holding Adsit, and Adsit shouts, "I thought you were dead! I'm so happy to see you." Cap tells them that they're going to have to wait in the pleasantries. Deadpool's getting away. Later that night at Butler's medical supply front, Deadpool kicks in the door and makes his way to the back. He opens the fridge, stating that the remains of Butler's science experiment are right here where he left them. He's going to eat them like Popeye Down's spinach. Deadpool starts to grab the vial and the IV bags, and he thinks that he fought hard to regain his memories. What an idiot he was. Ignorance really is bliss. He starts to set up all of the IV bags, injecting the contents of the vials into all of the bags right next to the chair. And as he does, Deadpool hears Cap outside yelling, telling him that he's surrounded. "I held up my end of the bargain by fixing Preston, plus an apology is owed. Won't you come out and accept it?" Deadpool takes off his mask and he yells, "Give me a sec, I'm changing. I also have, hostages." Preston calls out that he doesn't, and Deadpool says, "That's not true, I got a little weight in my hands right now." Outside, Preston scans the area and sees that there's no one inside of the building but Deadpool. And it looks like he's relaxing in a chair. Preston and Cap charge in, shouting for Deadpool to come out quietly. And then they look up at Deadpool, and they both suddenly stop. The small office room falls silent until Deadpool snores and lets out a large fart. Cap asks what has he done, and Preston looks at the vial, stating that this is the stuff that Butler used to wipe Deadpool's memories whenever they harvested his organs. A small amount used to wipe his memory for days, but this is enough for a full mind wipe. Cap looks at Deadpool and says, Deadpool did say that he had one more name on his list. Inside of the mind of Deadpool, he walks down the halls of his memories, stating that a mind is a terrible thing to waste, but it's all gotta go. With the machine gun in hand, he walks through his memories, destroying everything in sight. His time with the Avengers, his team up with Preston and Adsit before all of this started, his vacation trip to Asia that happened to be the worst vacation ever, but at least he got to do it with Wolverine and Cap. The time that he was at his happiest, when he was with Shikla dancing. He sighs, stating he loved her so much, but even this has to go. He shoots the memory, and the memory drops Shikla. She asks, couldn't he have waited until after the dip? Deadpool tells her, I'm sorry, Shirley. And Shikla corrects him, telling him Shikla. And Deadpool tells her, good. Butler's drugs are already working. Just one last stop to make. The next stop is Christmas, when he gave Ellie the present that Thor left for Cap. He figured it must have been very important, so he decided to give it to her. He asked if maybe he can just keep a few memories. And Ellie says that that would be nice. He opens fire on the memory, shouting, no, she won't be safe if she's a part of my life. And as the last of the memories fade, Deadpool falls to his knees screaming. And as he does, the ground shatters beneath him, and he falls down into the fiery pits of hell. He pulls himself out shouting that he's been through worse hell than actual hell, by the way, so bring it on! Soon hands begin to reach out, pulling Deadpool down into the hands of all of the people that he's killed, including Coulson. As he's held down, Coulson shoots him, and he shouts, Hail Vetus! And Deadpool says that he killed Vetus once before and he'll do it again. and Vetus laughs, telling him, "You're a useful idiot." And he reaches into Deadpool's chest, taking out his heart. Vetus begins to eat it, and there's a light that shines down and a hand that reaches out asking, "Why do you torture yourself?" The hand pulls Deadpool out of the pits of hell, and an image of a woman tells him, "Everyone deserves love, but first you must love yourself." Deadpool tells her, "Oh, believe me, I love myself at least once a day. Sometimes," but the woman tells him, "Hush," and she kisses his forehead. Back in the real world, Deadpool begins to smile, and Preston asks if he's smiling, and Cap says just a little. He salutes Preston, telling her that it's time for her to go home. "You've served proudly and sacrificed everything for your country. You are an inspiration to us all." Cap opens up a car door for Preston and says, "Make sure you give that beautiful family a hug for me." Soon the ambulance with Deadpool drives off, and Preston leaves in the other direction, leaving Cap alone. He stands there, and he notices Deadpool's jacket on the ground, and inside it is a folded picture. He opens it, and he sees a picture of him, Deadpool, and Logan, and he quietly stares at it. The next day, Deadpool goes on trial, and the judge rules that due to Deadpool's mental condition, the defendant is found mentally incompetent to stand trial. He has been remanded to the state psychiatric system, and days pass. Deadpool laying in his bed sleeping, not moving, or showing any signs of life. That is until a man claiming to be Deadpool enters the ward. The man shouts that he was an Avenger, and the doctors strip him down, telling him, "We don't care if your name is Galactus the Hungry, we're about to put you up in tranks." Deadpool begins to mutter in his sleep, stating, "Avenger, hungry." And he shoots up from his bed yelling, "That is not how you Deadpool!" He gets out of his bed and he puts on the man's costume and he says, "I am going to show you how to properly Deadpool." He walks to the next room and he throws a nurse at a nurse, and then he karate chops a doctor in the throat. As he begins to leave, he tells the doctors, "By the way, I've totally been awake for the past 2 days. Those were very sensual sponge baths, and they were amazing." The nurse asks if they should go after him, and they say, "Hell no, someone else's problem now." As Deadpool steps back out into the world with no memories at all, he says, "I feel amazing, no spectacular. I'm not sure what kind of food I like, but Mexican sounds right. Time to make some chimichangas." But for Deadpool, this isn't the end of his story. 81 years later, in the year 2099, the men's room stall begins to fill with smoke. As the cloud gets bigger, Deadpool steps out, stating, "Well, that stunk up the joint. Better use some of that bat fart repellent." As he pulls out a spray, a young girl shouts through a hole in the wall, "Hurry up, we're gonna be late." Deadpool climbs out of the hole and jumps, stating, "No, we ain't. We're gonna be right on time. This is some classic Gandalf crap." And just as he lands on his mechanical dragon, we see him with Preston, his future daughter Ellie, and his other daughter Warda, the Deadpool of 2099. And with that, the four lived happily ever after. And there you have it, the conclusion to our Deadpool Jerry Dugan full story series. You are amazing for sticking it out this long in this video. I know it, I don't know how long it was. It was long. It was really long. Dan, what did you think? What did you think of this?
I thought this was probably some of my favorite Deadpool stories.
We're too
definitely.
close. This is kind of awkward.
Well, it's actually probably farther than we normally are.
Oh. Ew. So you did enjoy this the most, though?
Oh my gosh, this was probably some of the best Deadpool stories I've ever read.
Yeah, it definitely was. And if you want to get our opinions on comic books, then join us over on our Twitch, twitch.tv/EligibleMonster every Sunday at 2 p.m. Eastern, where we review various comic books. But yes, I enjoyed this run as well. Now, you have to do something crazy to leave. It's the full story series. They've hung out the whole time. You got to do something crazy to end the video. Let me know if that suffices. I'll see you next time.